a year, she was now at the level of her collarbone. This missing year is difficult to make up for. Mom, Wan misses you so much. Wan is very well behaved and obedient, although her grandma, grandpa, aunt and dad all love her very much. She always feels like something is missing without her mother around. She also knew that she couldn't be naughty in the palace and cause trouble for her mother. So after finishing my homework every day, I would go to take care of my younger siblings. Mom misses you too. She hugged the child in her arms again. Li Yuan also walked forward and looked at Xiaoji and Jia. After not seeing her for a year, she had lost a lot of weight and her eye sockets were slightly sunken. Her facial features, which were already three-dimensional and delicate, looked even smaller at this moment. She opened her arms and hugged the mother and daughter. Welcome home. A warm embrace and strong, powerful hands surrounded her, and an indescribable sense of security surged in her heart. She looked into Li Yuan's eyes, full of tenderness and heartache. I've caused you trouble. You've done me a great service by not causing any trouble. Li Yuan pulled Huan up and carried her on his back, then picked up Xiaoji and Jia in a princess hug. He was tall to begin with, and after years of physical training, he was even more powerful after taking the Dragon Eiger Golden Pill. His strength reached a new level. Xiaoji and Jia was held in his arms, looking at Huan lying on Li Yuan's back, blinking her big eyes full of teasing, but also feeling very shy. When had she ever been so intimate in front of a child? Put me down, Xiaoji and Jia pushed gently. When I see you, I will definitely hug you. Li Yuan smiled. The woman in his arms was very light, and the armor could not hide her graceful body after not seeing her for a year. His feelings for Xiaoji and Jia did not diminish at all, on the contrary. They became deeper with the passage of time. Xiaoji and Jia is special to him and no one can replace her. It is one of the pillars that supports him to keep going. However, this pillar collapsed, which can only be attributed to fate. She is stubborn, proud, and contradictory. Perhaps I am also unique in her heart. But now Xiaoji and Jia has been transformed, free from all worldly desires, and has long lost her former immaturity and affectation. Li Yuan liked her very much and wanted to make it up to her. I still have to go pay my respects to my mother and father-in-law. Please put me down, Xiaoji and Jia said in a low voice. Although she enjoyed the hug very much, Li Yuan was the emperor, and the only emperor in history, so the weight of this hug was very heavy. In the past, she would only feel that Li Yuan was embarrassing her. And now, she understood that Li Yuan was using his own way to tell everyone the importance and status of her and her daughter in his heart. This is silent support. She felt warm in her heart, and felt that she had been pretentious, stupid and childish before. When she looked at Li Yuan again, the love in her eyes was even stronger, and she wanted to pounce on him and kiss him twice. After not seeing him for more than a year, this man seems even more handsome and more imposing. Even through his clothes, I could feel his hard chest and abdominal muscles. She put her face against it, feeling a little fanciful and a little embarrassed. Dad and Mom have already prepared a sumptuous meal to welcome you. We are a family, so we don't care about those things. Li Yuan smiled and said, as long as you come back safely, it's more important than anything else. Xiaoji and Jia nodded heavily, feeling extremely relieved at this moment. When they arrived at the harem, Suexiyue and others hurried to greet them. Sister-in-law, you are finally back. Lu Ling Zih. I didn't care who the queen was in her heart. Xiaoji and Jia was her sister-in-law, and of course, so was Honggu. Li Wuyu. Xining, she would never call them that. Put me down quickly, Xiaoji and Jia said hurriedly. Only then did Lu Yuan let her go. Mother, Ling Zhi, father-in-law. Xiaoji and Jia hurriedly bowed to the elders. It's good that you're back. It's good that you're back. Suexiyue hurriedly helped her up and held her hand tightly, refusing to let go. Although the position of queen had been decided, Suexiyue's approval of Xiaoji and Jia remained unchanged. If Honggu is the number one in the harem, then Xiaoji and Jia is the well-deserved second. Deep down, she is more inclined towards Xiaoji and Jia. After all, she is also a commoner under the rule of Daqi. On the bonus of Xiaoji and Jia's identity, or Huan make her more inclined to Xiaoji and Jia. Lu Qiushan also nodded with a smile, although he felt sorry. Xiaoji and Jia could definitely be a good wife. Although Honggu is a good person, she only has the support of an old man from Biaoyang. No matter her methods or governance methods, she is far inferior to Xiaoji and Jia's. As long as Li Yuan can maintain the balance, there won't be any big problem. Sister. Xiaoji and Jia looked at Honggu. If it were in the past, she would not be able to let it go, but at this moment, she no longer cared about those things. So I shouted sister from the bottom of my heart, and let go of the previous targeting. Honggu was also stunned, but she reacted quickly and stepped forward to hold her hand. You have been tired from the journey. You are expanding the territory for day. I am also very excited to hear that. I only regret that I can't be like you and kill the enemy outside. The two of them complimented each other, exchanged pleasantries, and were quite friendly. After the welcoming banquet, Suexiu especially put a gold bracelet on her hand. Lu Qiushan said that he would personally write a front-page news tonight to praise Xiaoji and Jia. This made Xiaoji and Jia blush with embarrassment. Ling Zhi also sensibly pulled Huan away. You sleep with your aunt tonight. Ongu smiled and said, your palace has been built. And I have already had the mattress laid out. You should have a good rest these few days. Having said that, she glanced at Lu Yuan and left with her concubines. I'm getting old, and I feel sleepy at a certain time. Suexiu's poor acting skills made Lu Yuan laugh. Come on. Let's take a bath to get rid of the bad luck. I'll give you a good massage tonight to reward my female general. You are the emperor, how can you give me a massage? If this gets out, people will scold me and say, I don't know respect and inferiority. You were my emperor before, so what's wrong with giving you a massage? Lu Yuan held her hand and said, you've suffered a lot outside these days, and I understand your feelings. I will definitely make it up to you. I am willing to say and do all this, and this is what I should do. Xiaoji and Jia looked at Lu Yuan sincerely and said, if I can't revive Daqian, and I will push my man to the highest position. Chapter 535, Xiaoji and Jia's huge change. Lu Yuan looked at her and felt slightly moved. The fact that Xiaoji and Jia could say these words shows that she has truly changed. He hugged Xiaoji and Jia and said, let's go back and rest. A new bedroom is much larger than the previous one and has more complete facilities. There is also a 2-meter square pool inside the bedroom. The built-in channel can be quickly filled with water, and hot water can also be introduced in winter, which is very convenient. Lu Yuan entered the pool and looked at the shy Xiaoji and Jia. It's been over a year since we last met. Are you unfamiliar with each other? Xiaoji and Jia clutched the bath towel, being really awkward. Seeing that he was calm, she loosened her hand and the towel fell to the ground. That extremely perfect body was reflected in Lu Yuan's pupils. If you are 1 pound thinner, you will be deficient. If you are 1 pound fatter, you will be full. The waist is of golden proportion and can be held in one hand. Thanks to Xiaoji and Jia's life in the military camp, where he honed his martial arts, he no longer has a trace of fat on his body. Fighting outside, sleeping in the open air, his skin became darker than before, but it was a very healthy wheat-colored skin, no longer like a cold iceberg like before. Although he exuded fairy air, he gave people a cold and indifferent feeling that kept people away and was difficult to approach. At this moment, she was like a woman who had fallen into the mortal world. With a hint of worldly air, her arrogance was no longer superficial, her eyes became softer, and she no longer looked at anyone with strong hostility. That hint of shyness and timidity is the normal reaction of an ordinary woman. Even though the two had been honest with each other and shared their feelings for a long time, the tension did not diminish. When they were face to face, she was even too embarrassed to look at herself. Ji and Jia, you are so beautiful. Lu Yuan raised his hand and gathered the hair that was scattered around her ears. Xiaoji and Jia bit her lower lip. She's darker, thinner, and has some scars on her body that are hard to get rid of. She's so ugly. If you led troops into battle, you will inevitably get injured. If you sleep in the open, you will inevitably get tanned. Pinching her soft hand, I found that my palm did have some calluses and was a little rougher than before, but this is normal. No one would get calluses from using a knife every day. Even if you have fair skin, you will get tanned if you are exposed to the sun, right? As for the tiny scars on her body, in Lu Yuan's opinion, they were all signs of growth. Lu Yuan stood up and pointed to his chest and back. While there were many scars, there were also many night scars on his arms and thighs. These are all left over from those years later. When Biaoyang rose to power, I had more talented people under my command, so I had fewer opportunities to lead troops into battle. Lu Yuan gently stroked the wound on her body, extremely tenderly. In your eyes, this is ugly, but in my eyes, this is all evidence that you are mine. Xiaoji and Jia hugged him and said, I'm sorry for causing you trouble. If it weren't for me, Yijin wouldn't be in this situation. You are a woman, but you drove out the Xiongnu and recovered the lost territory. Many people admire you. For day, you took risks and advanced forward. How can this be considered trouble? Lu Yuan also held her tightly in his arms, stroked her jade back and said, that was Wang Dabiao's own fault. He is proud and arrogant. Even if nothing happens today, something will happen in the future. I have hit him more than once or twice, over and over again. Today is a good day. If he were to act rashly and fall into the enemy's trap, he would truly regret it. Don't listen to those people's nonsense. They just habitually put the blame on others. How could he not understand those people in the court? After all, it had something to do with those people in the Xie and Jing dynasties who fanned the flames. I'll listen to you. Xiaoji and Jia said. Come, let me give you a massage. Lu Yuan waved his hand, and someone brought a special massage chair over and put it into the water. Looking at the chair in front of her, Xiaoji and Jia blushed. Lie down on it. You can lie down, lie prone, or kneel down. Xiaoji and Jia felt a little embarrassed after the process. How does it feel? Very good, Xiao Ji and Jia said lazily. The places you massaged are very relaxed. Turn around. Xiao Ji and Jia obediently did as she was told. Li Yuan rubbed his hands. You always served me before. Today it's my turn to serve you. Xiao Ji and Jia closed her eyes. Don't play around. Li Yuan couldn't stop himself and said. This is called teaching and imparting fluids. Is there such an unorthodox teaching method? Xiao Ji and Jia asked. Isn't that it? Li Yuan also moved forward, and soon Xiao Ji and Jia stopped talking. I don't know how long the massage lasted, but Xiao Ji and Jia felt so comfortable that she didn't even want to move her fingers. Wave. Li Yuan stood up and looked at his masterpiece, and was very satisfied. Sorry. I haven't seen you for a long time. I didn't control my strength well. I will reflect on myself, Li Yuan said. Xiao Ji and Jia bit her lip and said, my lower abdomen is swollen and painful next time. Use less force when massaging. The wound has opened up. Li Yuan also apologized repeatedly. I'll apply medicine to you right away. She took a bath towel and wrapped Xiao Ji and Jia in it. Su watched the two people walk out from behind the screen. She felt them all over. She sat in the corner, feeling sick. She didn't know if it was because the bedroom was too humid, but she felt like she had been fished out of the water. Wobing was recording at the side when she saw Li Yuan coming out. Although she was used to it, her heart almost jumped out of her throat when she glanced at him inadvertently. She has been single for so long, and Li Yuan still teases her from time to time. If she hadn't kept a cool head at the critical moment, she would have fallen completely for him. However, can't you know your own business? How many nights have I spent tossing and turning in bed? The emptiness she felt when she woke up made her extremely painful. Every time she rejected Li Yuan, she felt that she was hypocritical and that she was not a good woman. As she wrote it down, her handwriting became crooked. My mind has flown away and my eyes can't move away. She felt despicable. Like a bad woman hiding in the dark and peeping at happiness. Sister Luo, where are the medicine? Li Yuan asked. Oh, yes, I'll get it right away. Wu Bing came to her senses. Hurriedly took a piece of medicine and handed it over. When Xiao Ji and Jia saw Wu Bing, she was too embarrassed to look at her and subconsciously pulled the mattress over. Wu Bing looked at the wound and sighed. Your Majesty, you are a woman, and this wound is the most fragile if it gets infected. Your body will easily be in trouble. Then, he said to Xiao Ji and Jia, don't be nervous. Madam, it's just a minor injury, just apply to patches of medicine and it will be fine. Chapter 536. The Huns, the eternal enemy. After applying the medicine, Wu Bing reminded. Your Majesty, please do not torment the queen tonight. Li Yuan lowered his head and sighed. I understand. Wu Bing was also very nervous. If there is nothing else, I will take my leave first. It's getting late. Sister Wu, you should go down and rest first. Xiao Ji and Jia said shyly. She was not the type of person who could let go. She was fine in front of her man, but she couldn't let go in front of outsiders. Sister Wu, I want to have a midnight snack. Well, I will go to the imperial kitchen right away. Wu Bing looked at Li Yuan's aggressive eyes, her heart trembled. And she fled from the bedroom. She told herself that she must not take over the show, no matter what the time. If you make a mistake, it's hard to undo it. Xiao Ji and Jia looked at Li Yuan and said, You, come here. Ow? Just come over here. Xiao Ji and Jia said this without saying what she was going to do, but just urged Li Yuan to go over. Li Yuan walked forward puzzled, then wide in his eyes. Ji and Jia, you. Yes. He also didn't expect that Xiao Ji and Jia would give him feedback in this way. He was really filled with emotion. Who could have thought that the arrogant empress would be so considerate now? No, so empathetic. Li Yuan's eyes were full of tenderness. Yu Su turned around, covered her ears, and her eyes became increasingly empty. She smiled bitterly and thought, I don't know anything about actual combat, but I know all the theoretical skills. Who else is more experienced than me? Besides, Your Majesty, I am the one who knows the preferences of all the concubines in the harem the best, right? To be honest, she was really shocked by Xiao Ji and Jia's gentleness. In the past, Xiao Ji and Jia was so stubborn and contradictory that one could even describe her as arrogant. Now, her eyes are full of tenderness and she has taken off all the armor, leading thousands of troops just to expand the territory for her man. Who would believe it if I told them? It was no wonder that His Majesty doted on her so much. Even a woman like her couldn't bear to see that transformation. Wave. Yu Su covered her ears even tighter. If this continues, how many clothes will I have to change every day? Stop showing off your affection. She felt like she was going crazy. Seeing that Xiao Ji and Jia was about to collapse, Li Yuan also offered the highest courtesy. Xiao Ji and Jia rolled her eyes at Li Yuan, but accepted it all without any pretense. This was the first time they expressed their gratitude, but it was also not the first time they had communicated. So how could she not know Li Yuan's preferences? If I refuse, I don't know how I will be dealt with. Wave. Thank you for your hard work. Li Yuan hurriedly served tea and water. Wobing came over with the midnight snack at the perfect time. Your Majesty. Your midnight snack is here. Sister Wo, go back and rest early. It's still early. It's almost midnight, Wobing thought, then I will take my leave first. After leaving the bedroom, she took out a notebook and started recording. After having supper, Li Yuan was full of energy, but Xiaoji and Jia was indeed tired from the long journey. He didn't want to bother her anymore, so he hugged her and fell asleep. The next morning, Li Yuan didn't wake her up. He got out of bed quietly and patted Li Yusu's face. It's time to get up. Li Yusu opened her eyes drowsily. She usually stayed by Li Yuan's side. Each bedroom had its own small recliners. He would sleep beside Li Yuan when he rested last night. She had a sweet dream all night long. She felt very weakened, as if she had been hollowed out. It's morning? Why, do you still want to continue dreaming? Li Yuan pinched her nose unhappily. Do you want me to repeat what you said in your dream last night? What, was I talking in my sleep last night? Li Yusu was so scared that she sat up quickly. Wu Sun, who was standing by, teased. Oh, don't mention how bold it is. Even a eunuch like me feels embarrassed when I hear it. That's enough, stop making fun of her. Li Yuan waved his hand and prepared to exercise as usual. Today we will also meet with the Han envoys. At around 10 o'clock in the morning, Li Yuan met with this group of people at Yongping Palace. Entering the majestic imperial city, Pu said, it is worthy of being the #1 capital in the world. It is indeed magnificent and majestic. As soon as you walk in, you will be in awe. Xubu Li curled his lips and said, it will be ours sooner or later. Anqi was trying hard to observe everything around him, trying to memorize the terrain in his mind. A layout of Day Palace has always been a secret. I came in today and saw that it is indeed extraordinary. This place is easy to defend but difficult to attack. There are 12 palace gates, just like 12 city walls, guarding it in circles. A large number of troops can be deployed in each circle. According to Day's military deployment, only 10,000 people are needed to build the imperial city into an iron barrel. It is said that the foundation of the city wall under our feet is made of huge red stones and poured with cement. So it is impossible to dig it on into it. Prior to this, assassins from the Xia and Jing dynasties had attempted to enter from the sky using a hot air balloon, but were also shot down by Day's anti-rocket guns. In our eyes, the unstoppable airship is just a moving target on Day's side. There are also a large number of artillery pieces above the city walls. It is extremely difficult to break in here. Someone next to Han Qi whispered. Soon, a group of people entered the palace, looked at the young emperor above, and saluted hurriedly. The Xiongnu envoy, Han Qipu, pays respect to His Majesty the Emperor of Day. The group did not kneel down, but just bowed. How dare you, an envoy from a barbarian country, not kneel when you see Your Majesty. Kneel down. Kneel down quickly. The voices of the ministers were louder than one another. The Xiongnu are not barbarians, nor are they a small country. Do you think that Day is just looking down on people? Apu chanted a Buddhist mantra. I have always yearned for Day, but I didn't expect that after entering Day, I would encounter difficulties and confusion. It is said that the people of Day are humble and polite, and are a nation of etiquette, but today, it seems that it is nothing but a rumor. They are not even as good as us barbarians. Kawi Nhu said calmly, Day is a country of etiquette, so we are naturally polite to our friends, but how can we be polite to our enemies? China and the Huns have been enemies for hundreds of years, so how can we talk about respect? When you meet your enemy, will you greet him with a smile? There's no need to be hypocritical. Day, don't care about that. Just tell me why you are here. Kawi Nhu's words stunned Day. It was the first time he heard such naked words. No wonder those people below treated them so badly. It turned out that in the eyes of Day's top leaders, they were their mortal enemies. Is this what Your Majesty meant? Then why did Your Majesty ask us to sign a bilateral agreement? Since you look down on us, why bother sending us an invitation? Han Qi cupped his hands, a smile on his lips. Looking at Lu Yuan above, a hint of ridicule in his eyes. Chapter 537, Secret Weapon. Li Yuan said nothing. Tai Yongshu on the side said calmly, I sent you an invitation and asked you to come to the capital to keep the appointment because I want to influence you with my divine grace. Who would have known that you barbarians, who do not understand education and grace, are so arrogant and self-righteous? He has not yet gotten rid of the wildness in his bones. He looks less than 30 human. Yet he dares to bark here. It's not that others look down on you, it's that you look down on yourselves. Everyone cheered secretly. Kai Yongshu's words were a clean and neat refutation. He turned the tables and belittled these people as worthless. Han Qi narrowed his eyes and looked at the person in front of him. May I ask who this gentleman is? You are not worthy of knowing my name. Kai Yongshu smiled faintly, his eyes full of contempt and ridicule, and then said to Lu Yuan, Your Majesty, the Xiongnu are barbarians, wild and uncivilized. I think they should be kept in captivity. Well, you should keep him in captivity. Everyone applauded. If this isn't comparing the Huns to beasts, then what is? All the Hun envoys had gloomy faces. Amitabha, Bapu chanted a Buddhist name. Although I, the Xiongnu, was born in the desolate land of the northern grassland, I also yearn for culture. There is a saying in Middle-earth that goes, 30 years in the east, 30 years in the west, fortunes change over time. The three kingdoms of China were established 100 years ago, but they were defeated by the Huns, who were established less than 20 years ago. We are not good at speaking. And we are not as eloquent as the people in Middle-earth, but we like hunting, and no beast on the grassland can be our opponent. Even if there are wild beasts that are difficult to subdue, we Huns will charge forward one after another, until the beast is tamed. Li Yuan held his hands, not wanting to beat around the bush with them, and said, just tell me what you want to say, I'm tired of hearing your verbal battles. No one in the Middle-earth countries or the surrounding countries dares to gossip in front of me. Anki stepped forward and said, Your Majesty, Emperor Day, our emperor has received your letter before. He has been in a relationship with you for a long time, so he sent us here and repeatedly told us to deliver this reply letter to your Majesty. Li Yuan made a gesture, and Wu Sun hurried down to present the letter. During the whole process, Li Yuan did not touch the letter. Wu Sun opened the letter, then knelt on the ground and spread out the letter. Anki's eyes narrowed when he saw this scene. Although Li Yuan seemed to be arrogant, he was actually extremely cautious. No wonder all those assassinations failed. Li Yuan looked at the contents of the letter and couldn't help laughing. The Xiongnu were full of confidence in every word they wrote, and they almost asked Li Yuan to surrender. He waved his hand and looked at Han Qi. Xiongnu is a hero. I admire him very much. He has made the Huang tribe strong to its current level with his own efforts. Originally, everyone kept to themselves and had nothing to do with each other. It's a pity that he has to come to me to seek a sense of existence. You are clearly a defeated general, yet you still dare to invade our border. I really don't know how to write the word death. Your Majesty, you are joking. We are not violating the border this time. We are here for friendly negotiations. Negotiation is easy. Let the fierce slaves come to Liangjing, kneel before me. Kowtow and confess their guilt, become my permanent vassal, return the occupied territory and return to Mobi. Then I can forgive you, Li Yuan said lightly. Xubuyuki was so angry that he was shaking all over. This is not a peace talk. This is a mockery of us. Will they hand over the territory it occupied from the three kingdoms? Dai's unification of the Central Plains is the general trend in what everyone wants. Can there be talk of invasion? Looking at every war that we have fought, aren't they all self-defense counterattacks? Li Yuan smiled and said, even if it was you, the Xiongnu, wouldn't they fight back in self-defense? Xubu Li was speechless. If you think about it carefully, it is true. Every battle that they fought was well-reasoned and well-founded, and there was no problem at all. The Huns were different. They would march all the way across the country. And if they didn't like you, they would just kill you. Your Majesty is right, but this time we come with good intentions. As long as your Majesty can release Princess Yanzi, we will definitely meet all the conditions. Han Qi didn't want to keep pretending to be nice. They wouldn't get any benefit here. My conditions are very clear. Return the occupied territory. Let the vicious slaves apologize. Return to Mobi. Never come out, and always be loyal today. Your Majesty, why do you have to block the road? A war between the countries will cause great suffering to all people, which is not good for anyone. Han Qi bowed and said, it is true that our Xiongnu weapons and equipment are not as good as they. But we also have ways to fight to the death. Once these methods are used, there will be no turning back. We may not be able to defeat Day, but we can certainly make Day feel pain. Li Yuan regarded the Huns as a good opponent, but just a good opponent. They had already figured out the Huns' tactics, so it wouldn't matter even if they had developed gunpowder, because the two sides are not on the same level at all. But Li Yuan is also afraid of something. That's the plague. The Xiongnu were weak, with a population of less than 1,000 at the beginning and no more than 100 available troops. How did he annex tribes and grow stronger step by step? It is said that their shamans can bring plague to attack the tribe. It was because of the plague that swept across the northern desert, and the fierce slaves became the embodiment of disaster and were feared by everyone in a very short period of time. They unified the northern desert, then swept across the grassland and pushed all the way to the western Yi. Li Yuan didn't believe that something like plague would be brought about. Nomadic people were most afraid of black disasters, white disasters, or cattle, sheep and horse plagues. There is a saying that goes, even if you have a fortune, the hairy part doesn't count. The grassland has been one of the cradles of plagues since ancient times. But given their technology, the means to create a plague are extremely simple. But there is only one kind that is most easily contagious on a large scale, easy to spread, and not enough to infect yourself. Cholera. This was the Hun's secret weapon. When he was weak, he liked to poison the tribe's water supply and pollute the water source. This resulted in widespread cholera infection in the tribe, which in turn caused them to lose their combat effectiveness. During previous wars, cholera had broken out many times in the Middle-earth region. Before the war against Qian and Jing, the soldiers on the border suffered from large-scale illness. The Huns were indeed powerful, but they were more aware of their own weaknesses. For example, more than 1,000 years ago, another overlord of the grassland, called the Quan Ron, was defeated by the Middle-earth dynasty. In order to protect themselves, they mixed sick horses infected with plague into the tribute war horses. These sick horses caused a plague to run rampant in Middle-earth for hundreds of years, resulting in the death of a large number of people. It was not until several centuries later that the symptoms were alleviated. This was the most famous plague during the Warring States period, which caused the death of half of the population of Middle-earth. Seeing that Lu Yuan didn't say anything, An Qi knew that he had understood his threat, so he smiled and said, "The two countries can open border markets to each other and sign an agreement to never go to war." The emperor also said that as long as Dai doesn't move troops, the Xiongnu will never move troops. Chapter 538, Zhu Xiangyu. Kai Yangshu smiled faintly. "Do you think Dai was brought up by fear? Whether to fight or not does not depend on you, but on us. Beating you is a matter of life and death, and it is only natural. Not attacking you is because your majesty loves the people and wants to give them time to rest and recuperate." Li Yuan looked at him with appreciation. Kai Yangshu was indeed tough, but his single page was really good at speaking. In a word, the initiative is back in your hands. Fighting is natural, and not fighting is even more natural. If it were the old people in Dai, they would never be able to do this. Looking at Cao Wei and Hu, who was frowning on the side, he also sighed secretly. Biao Yang's plate was still too small. As Dai unified Middle-earth, the talents he needed became more diverse. High King's words make sense. Li Yuan said calmly, "I still say the same thing. If you want me to stop the war, the Xiongnu must show sincerity. But the sincerity that your majesty requires is too much to ask. How is this different from forcing the Huns to commit suicide?" An Qi looked up and said in an neither humble nor arrogant manner, "The people of the Central Plains are the people, but are the people of the Xiongnu not the people? How can this be possible? Your majesty, going upstream for the sake of the people of Biaoyang is an act of righteousness. Isn't it a righteous act for his majesty the Xiongnu to expand the territory for the sake of his people? Be it a few or a chance to recuperate with the people. After all, it's not a question of strength. Your majesty, it would be better if you don't say such harsh words. If your majesty is willing to release Princess Yanzi Yachai, firstly, the Xiongnu will never go to war with Dai within the next 30 years. The reason why it is 30 years is because your majesty may not be able to control the new emperor. Second, we, the Xiongnu, are willing to cede hundreds of Western Yi countries and nearly 8,000 miles of territory today. Third, they became friendly brothers, with Yi as the elder brother and the Xiongnu as the younger brother. If they encountered a powerful enemy, they would advance and retreat together. Fourth, a one-time compensation of 10 million taels of silver. Fifth, our Xiongnu country pays attention to the hierarchy. And in order to express respect for our brother countries, we pay millions of tributes every year. I had studied the issue of compensation a long time ago, and in the early years, the compensation between the three countries was roughly like this. They ceded territory, paid compensation, and became vassals and paid tribute. What Dai wants is face, so give them face. There are hundreds of countries in the Western Yi, so what does it matter if we cede 100 of them? There are many deserts and mountains in the middle, which are not fertile places. Even the Huns were unwilling to station troops there, but instead adopted a system of enfeoffment of princes. As long as these vassal states met the required annual tribute, based on their understanding of Dai, if they accepted it, they would definitely send a large number of troops, which would only increase Dai's burden. As for the tens of millions of taels of silver, the wealth they plundered in Middle-earth was more than 10 times this number. I don't feel bad about paying the compensation. As long as we get the princess back and work hard to develop the country, within 10 years, we will be able to lead our troops eastward and compete with Dai." Li Yuan suddenly laughed. "Why should I ask the Xiongnu to give it to me? Wouldn't it be better to get it myself?" After these words were spoken, all the Huns were dumbfounded. An Qi was also stunned. "Your Majesty, you? The Xiongnu still have some sincerity in ceding land, paying compensation, and paying tribute. However, as a brother and friend of Dai, the Xiongnu are not worthy of it." Li Yuan said calmly, "See thousands of miles of territory, pay 100 million taels of silver as compensation, become a slave of Dai, and pay tens of millions of tribute every year. This is the lowest condition I can accept. If you can't do that, then let's go to war." Having said that, he flicked his sleeves and floated away. "Farewell, Your Majesty," the ministers said hurriedly. Hai Yangshu looked at Han Qi and others and said, "As a defeated country, this condition is not harsh. You are the ones who came to ask for peace, and I am not Dai begging you. What qualifications do you have to negotiate with Dai? In this land, all kinds of conspiracies and intrigues have been unfolded, and all kinds of evil human behaviors have occurred. The tricks used by the Huns are all leftovers from our games. Having said that, he left the hall. This is too much. Xu clenched his fists. His eyes widened, veins popping out on his forehead. He simply didn't take the Xiongnu seriously. Amitabha. Apu shook his head. The Emperor of Day is indeed tough, however. What the official said is also true. We won the 3 kingdoms, but we have never won against Day. Han Qi was in a state of confusion, and it was expected that he would surrender and pay tribute. Compensation is also due. After all, form is stronger than people. Just take this 100 million silver coins as an example. They have lost all the benefits they had in Middle-earth. If the losses are included, it would be a huge loss. As brother countries, they are on the same level. If you become a vassal, you will lose the initiative. As a slave, the Huns will be forever trampled under Day's feet. Beating is right, not beating is a reward. The fight against the Huns is to punish the rebellious bandits. This is absolutely unacceptable. Alas, this is a turbulent time. We should write a letter to inform the Imperial Master as soon as possible, said Han Qi. After everyone retreated, Han Qi also tried to find a way to use his backup plan, but these people were under strict control, and even a bird flying in the sky would be shot down. The yard was covered with a net, and they looked like criminals. However, Li Yuan did not postpone his wedding date because of the invasion of the Han army. On June 6, the wedding went on as usual. Li Yuan got up early in the morning, but on this day, he did not exercise and went to pay his respects to his parents early. Then go to the Taimaya to worship ancestors. The head of the Lu family, Lu Xuanwen, is here too. He now serves as the chief minister. In order to facilitate the management of the royal family, Li Yuan established the Zongrui nephew. Lu Xuanwen's 3 sons are also very ambitious. They have worked very hard over the past year and were promoted by Lu Yuan to some low-ranking but very important positions. After the worship, it was almost noon. Li Yuan was also tired and sweating all over. The ministers behind him were also exposed to the sun, their faces flushed. After the worship, Li Yuan waited in the palace. Honggu and others also left the palace. Li Yuan originally wanted to call Xiao Yanlong back, but Honggu felt that Xiao Yanlong had lost his memory. So even if he was called back, it would be meaningless and he would not be considered a true member of her family. Fortunately, Honggu had a female master. And it was this female master who raised her and taught her martial arts and the principles of life. In the blink of an eye, more than 20 years have passed, and Xiao Honger is now a mother. The old woman was very kind. With gentle eyes and brows you couldn't tell at all, but this was the famous female killer 20 years ago. Honggu didn't know her real name. She only knew her nickname, which was Poisonous Hands of Xianyu. Master, I brought you to Liangjing this time so that you can enjoy a good life. From now on, you don't have to take any more missions, Honggu said with a hint of expectation in her eyes. She had grown up without a father or mother and had forgotten maternal love. Zhu Xianyu acted as both her mother and father to her. Teach her martial arts to protect herself and teach her the principles of being a good person and how to navigate the world. Me? I can't. Zhu Xianyu shook her head, a trace of worry flashed in her eyes. Xiao Honor, do you know who I am? Chapter 539, Honggu's background. Honggu said, you are my master. The person I am closest to and the one I respect the most in my life. Zhu Xianyu smiled, somewhat relieved. Xiao Honor, you have been asking me who killed your parents. Honggu was stunned. Who? When she was little. She asked the question countless times, but the only answer she got was, it's not the right time. She gradually gave up and just wanted to find her brother. After all, so many years have passed, and it is hard to say whether the enemy is still alive. Now that Zhu Xianyu brought up the old matter again, she couldn't help but get excited. Is the time right now? Yes, it's ripe. Zhu Xianyu nodded and looked around. Honggu understood what he meant and said, my master has something to say to me, please go down first. The maid who was serving also hurried down. Sister Luo, you go down first. Luo Bing nodded. She was extremely satisfied with Honggu, but she always had an indescribable feeling towards Zhu Xianyu, as if there was something wrong with her. But she was the one who raised Honggu, so she couldn't say anything. There were only 2 people left in the room. Honggu held her hand and asked urgently, Master, tell me quickly. Who is the person who killed my parents and destroyed my family? Don't worry, today, I will tell you everything. Zhu Xianyu patted the back of his hand and said, I am not actually from Middle-earth, nor am I the escort hired by your parents to be precise. I am your aunt, your dear aunt. Honggu was stunned. Dear aunt? Yes, from childhood to adulthood. Has no one ever told you that you look like me? When you were out on the road? You called me mother. Did anyone doubt it? Zhu Xianyu said, do you think this is a coincidence? Honggu had a complicated expression, recalling that when they were young, many people said that they looked like mother and daughter. She not only did not object, but felt happy instead. Sometimes Zhu Xianyu told her acquaintances that they were master and disciple, and she felt a little lost in her heart. Later, when she grew up, she realized that it was the love that she lacked in her childhood. So that's not a coincidence. You and I are really related by blood. Zhu Xianyu nodded slowly. Yes, you are my niece. So it is only natural that you should be like me. Why did you hide it from me for so long? Why didn't you tell me before? Honggu asked with red eyes. Xiangu smiled bitterly. The timing is not right. Okay, no matter if you are my biological aunt or not. In my heart, you are the person closest to me. Honggu did not dwell on this point and asked, who killed my parents? I was too weak before, but now, I am qualified to take revenge. I haven't finished yet. Zhu Xianyu shook her head. My ancestors' surname is not He to be precise, my surname is Xubu. Honggu frowned. Xubu, isn't that the surname of the Xiongnu nobles? She was shocked and looked at Zhu Xianyu in disbelief. Xubu, read faster, that is Zhu. More than 200 years ago, the Huang clan was defeated, and many branches were scattered all over the Middle-earth. Our lineage was the same. In order to protect ourselves, we changed our surname to Zhu and settled in Daqian. So, I am not from the Middle-earth. I am a barbarian, or what they calls a barbarian. Zhu Xianyu smiled bitterly. Honggu was shocked. Her face full of disbelief. No, this is not true. If you say so. I actually have the blood of the barbarians? Am I a child of the barbarians? No, that's impossible. She was extremely excited so. After waiting for so many years, this was the result. Child, I didn't expect this to happen. Zhu Xianyu held her hand. The Zhu family suffered disaster back then because of the imperial court search. At that time, Emperor Shenzong had just come to power. He was full of energy and wanted to take action against the barbarians. The barbarians were exiled to Biaoyang although we lived in poverty. We were accustomed to this kind of life. Mobi is even poorer than Biaoyang. Only this kind of baroness can nurture a true genius of the grassland. That year, Emperor Shenzong encountered difficulties in Biaoyang, and after that, he began the first investigation. Then we found out that it was the Zhu family's fault. So, it was the imperial court that took action, but we have lived here for 200 years and are no longer barbarians. Honggu held her hand tightly, tears in her eyes. Your father's escort agency business is not doing well. Those big families control the world, so there is no way for people like us to survive. Your father took a different approach and escorted his car abroad. Our family is Xubyushi, and your family is Lu and I. A well-deserved royal family. Although their names and genders have been changed, their ancestors integrated into Middle-earth and built a family tree in imitation of the Middle-earth people, so that they could still find their own people many years later. Relying on this family tree, your father successfully got in touch with the barbarians. It is precisely because of this that the Zhu family has grown rapidly. So, my family was exterminated because of treason. Honggu felt as if struck by lightning, her chest felt as if it was hit by a sledgehammer, and her face was filled with unspeakable pain. Zhu Xianyu lowered her head and did not respond directly. Since there is no positive response, that is the best response. It was the end of the dynasty and the world was in turmoil. How can it be called treason if we take back what belongs to us? Zhu Xianyu said coldly. Honggu shook her head. No. That's not the case, that's not the case. Everything that Zhu Xianyu said overturned her cognition, so she was actually a legitimate member of the Huang tribe, and a member of the Lu and I clan, the royal family of the Huang tribe. Ridiculous, so ridiculous. The Huns whom she wanted to kill actually had the same origin as her? Tears burst out. No, you lied to me. Fool, why would I lie to you? Then why didn't you tell me earlier? Why? Honggu choked up and said, I followed His Majesty and fought against the barbarians. Now you tell me that I killed my own people. Zhu Xianyu stammered. Unable to speak, I was already in a difficult situation at the time, and I didn't expect you to end up in the barbarian territory when I wanted to save you. You had already been rescued. If it weren't for your majesty, I would have died long ago. Honggu laughed at herself. So the child I gave birth to is Huang's bloodline. She couldn't imagine what kind of impression this matter would have if it became known, and how His Majesty would view her and the child. How would those court officials and Biaoyang elders view her? You must think she is a monster, right? They may even feel that they have been lurking for so many years with ulterior motives. Is this what you said? Is the time right? Honggu looked at her and suddenly understood why she said such words on her wedding day. As long as she enters the palace, she will be the queen. And her son will most likely be the crown prince. From now on, this third generation of Yi is very likely to be her son. That's why she told her the truth on such an important day. Do you want me to restore my country? Honggu said with sarcasm in her eyes. Chapter 540, A Huge Scam. Zhu Xianyu gritted her teeth and said, I know it's hard for you to accept it at the moment, but everything I said is true. If I lie to you, I will die a miserable death. Honggu shook her head and said, "No matter if it's true or not, I just want to know who killed my parents and who gave the order. Also, why was my brother taken in by the sword saint? Do you know where my brother is but you never told me? When doubts arise, trust is broken. I really don't know your brother's whereabouts, but I didn't expect that he would show up in this way after so many years. However, he has lost his memory. If he can recover his memory, you two sisters can join forces in this day." Realizing that Honggu's face was not right, she hurriedly changed the subject and said, "None of this matters anymore as long as you two brothers and sisters meet. It's all good. This is also God's arrangement. It was God's will that he was accepted as a disciple by the sword master. It was God's compensation to our family. The one who killed your parents." Zhu Xianyu was a little hesitant. "Who is it?" "Lu Qiuishan." Honggu felt dizzy. "Which Lu Qiuishan?" "The emperor retired from Day, the former doctor of the Ministry of Revenue." "You are lying. It can't be my father-in-law." "How could it be my father-in-law? He is a minister of the Ministry of Revenue. How could he kill my parents?" "Yes. He is indeed not the real murderer of your parents, but he was the one who proposed this suggestion. He was a recommended official back then. Do you know why he recommended him? It was because of his advice that the emperor conducted a thorough investigation, and our family was brought upon by unprovoked disaster," Zhu Xianyu said. "If you don't believe me, I have evidence here. This is the notice from that year." She slowly took out a yellowed notice, which said that traitors should be thoroughly investigated. And Lu Qiuishan's name was mentioned among them. Although Lu Qiuishan is not the organizer, he is qualified to assist in the management. Honggu spat out a mouthful of blood and fell backwards. "Xiao Honor, I know you can't accept it, but this is true. I never thought that your man would be our enemy," Zhu Xianyu said with red eyes. "However, Lu Qiuishan stepped on the corpses of our family members to get to the top. And you came to them again after a lot of twists and turns. This is God's will, and even God can't stand it. This is a godsend. No one knows your identity. As long as you brothers and sisters work together, this day will be ours. It's ridiculous that Lu Qiuishan and his son Lu Yuan fought so hard. But in the end, didn't they help us? If time permits us to annex the fierce slaves, we will be the masters of the world. And you will be the supreme queen mother. You only need to pass down the truth from generation to generation and keep these ministers and common people as slaves. No one can stand against us." Zhu Xianyu's expression was somewhat ferocious and even a little crazy, as if she had seen a bright future beckoning to her. Honggu pushed her hand away and said, "Really? That's great if you say so. Unfortunately, master, this is not the answer I want." "Xiao Honor, do you think your master would lie to you?" Zhu Xianyu asked. "Why, don't you care about your parents' death? Or the hatred in your family? Are you just concentrating on enjoying your own blessings? You begged me to tell you back then, and now I'm telling you the truth. Why, you don't believe it? Or have you been blinded by that man Li Yuan? Are you going to acknowledge the thief as your father? What can this notice prove?" Honggu tore up the notice and said calmly, "It happened more than 20 years ago. You are far away in the north. How can you know what happened in Bau Jinji? You want to throw dirty water on my father-in-law with just a notice? My parents secretly colluded with the barbarians and sent them food. How could he have known that many years later his own daughter would almost die at the hands of his own people? The people who gave birth to me and raised me are my parents. The person who saved me was my husband. You use your parents' grace of giving birth to you to kill my husband's grace of saving my life? Master, you are so cruel." Honggu took off her hair accessories and wiped the blood from the corner of her mouth. "Why didn't you tell me earlier or later? But you told me at this time. Isn't it for rights? Okay, I have Huang's blood in my body. But I won't admit it." She thought she was an authentic Middle-earth person, but in the end, she turned out to be a barbarian. Is there anything wrong with the imperial court hanging traitors? That's right. Her identity was subverted, but her values were not. She knew how the barbarians oppressed the people. That is something that even animals would not do. She would never agree with such a tribe member even if she died. The vicious slaves killed innocent people indiscriminately. Burned, killed, looted, and committed all kinds of evil during the Three Kingdoms period. Massacre in the city is also a piece of cake. How could she agree with such despicable and barbaric bloodline? I think you are bewitched by the devil. You don't even recognize your own identity. You are an ungrateful bastard who has forgotten your roots. Are you still a human being? Zhu Xianyu said angrily. No matter who I am, I must first be a human being. Even if I admit that I am a barbarian, I will not kill innocent people indiscriminately. You seem to be acting noble. But don't forget the blood in your bones. Even if you try to curry favor with those people today, they will treat you as an enemy when they know your identity in the future, Zhu Xianyu said with a look of disappointment. She never expected that Honggu would have this attitude, which was completely opposite to what she had imagined. It's a good thing that my eldest brother has lost his memory. At least he doesn't know his own identity. He looks so hateful that if he knew his identity, he would probably commit suicide. Honggu smiled faintly. Whether it's Huang or the barbarians, they deserve what they have today. Master, oh no, no. Aunt, even if I have forgotten my roots, I am a heartless person. I also cannot harm my husband, my father-in-law, and destroy my humanity to seize the peace that thousands of soldiers have sacrificed their lives to achieve. You, Zhu Xianyu was so angry that she was shaking all over. She pointed at Honggu and said, "You beast. If I had known you were such a thing, I would never have taught you martial arts. I would have just thrown you out to be eaten by wolves." Honggu knelt on the ground and kowtowed to her 3 times respectfully. "I have no way to repay your kindness in raising me, so just think of me as being ungrateful and failing to live up to your expectations. If there is an afterlife, I will work like a cow or a horse to repay you for your kindness." Her eyes were filled with despair, and on what was supposed to be a happy day, she didn't show any joy at all. The pale face, without a trace of blood, but the rouge-coated red lips looked particularly bright, as if they were painted on a corpse, forming a sharp contrast. You, what are you going to do?" Zhu Xianyu gnashed her teeth and said, "If you covet wealth and fame, I will destroy you with my own hands and let everyone in the world know who Ne is. I want you to be damned." She thought that threats would make Honggu back down. But Honggu said, "I have lived in a huge scam all my life. Thank you for personally shattering what I thought was a happy ending." Chapter 541 Honggu's Choice. You, what do you want to do?" Zhu Xianyu couldn't understand Honggu. "You want to report me?" She sneered. "I should have thought of it earlier. You have enjoyed all the glory and wealth over the years. If you really have me as your master in your heart, why would you accept me now? I just didn't expect that you didn't care about your parents' revenge. I spent so much effort raising you, but now you are going to turn against me for a man. Xu Hong, are you still human?" Her suppressed voice was like the weeping of a cuckoo. Her questioning, one sentence after another, struck Honggu's heart and made her face even paler. "I have never forgotten the revenge for my parents." Honggu shook her head and looked at Zhu Xianyu. "But master, I am from the Middle-earth, so what even if my ancestors were from the Huang tribe? How many foreigners are there in Middle-earth? If barbarians enter China, they become China's own. If China enters barbarians, they become barbarians' own. It is a fact that my father committed treason. You asked me to avenge your majesty. Does this hatred have anything to do with him? You think you can manipulate me with a yellowed notice? If there hadn't been this notice, I would have believed you. You are possessed by a ghost." Zhu Xianyu was a little flustered. "That is to say, I am indeed a descendant of the barbarians, and my parents did commit treason. The imperial court investigated the matter thoroughly, and my Zhu family fell into trouble because of it. Even if this was an idea from my father-in-law, how could he know all this? As an official of Daqian, isn't it his duty to think about Daqian?" Honggu's eyes became more determined. "Master, I'm not stupid." Zhu Xianyu was so angry that her whole body was shaking. You are such an evil creature. Let's leave here now before everyone reacts." Honggu turned around, looked at herself in the mirror, and continued to pick up the rouge on the table and apply it on herself. Zhu Xianyu's eyes were uncertain. "I'm going to ask you one last time, are you really not going to take revenge?" Honggu didn't say anything. Her mind was in a mess. But Zhu Xianyu's words also made her feel condemned in her heart. The murderer she had been looking for all her life turned out to be so ridiculous. She even felt that her brother's amnesia might be God's will. If he knew his identity, if he knew that he was the child of a barbarian, how would he collapse? It's really fate. "I will kill you." Zhu Xianyu gritted her teeth, and a slender dagger appeared in her hand. "I can never repay you for raising me. You can kill me or chop me up. All is up to you." Honggu said. Death did not scare her. If this is the truth, then she chooses to die and not hurt anyone. For the children, for her brother, for his majesty. And for the brothers who supported her. Death is the best option. You are really heartless. What kind of magic potion did Lu Yuan feed you? Don't you think about your son, your brother? Do you know how tragically your parents died? Zhu Xianyu understood her disciple and niece very well. Once she made up her mind, even 10 oxen could not pull her back. After wandering the world for many years, the thing I fear least is death. She couldn't help but soften her tone. "Xiao Honger, I'm your dear aunt. How could I hurt you? If I were you, I would never tell the truth, whether for you, for me, or for my brother." Honggu looked at herself in the mirror and found herself very beautiful. If Li Yuan saw her, he would definitely hug her, praising her all the time. But now, there is a high probability that I will no longer be praised by His Majesty and held in his arms in a doting manner. Tears welled up in my eyes, but soon disappeared. She stood up and turned to look at Zhu Xianyu again. "Master, you don't have much time left. If you don't leave now, you won't be able to leave. You evil creature." Zhu Xianyu's face was gloomy and uncertain. She also knew that Honggu had made up her mind. If she killed her, she would definitely not be able to get out. Okay. Just treat me as Zhu Xianyu, who raised an ungrateful person. If your parents are still alive, they would definitely be heartbroken if they knew they had given birth to a daughter like this. I curse you to be plagued by bad luck and suffer for the rest of your life. Go ahead." She inserted the dagger into the hairpin on her head, then turned and left. At this time, Luobing poked her head out in confusion. "Empress, may I come in?" "Sister Luo. How long will it take until the auspicious time?" "Less than an hour," Luobing said. "This dress is too heavy. It makes me feel a little breathless. Bring me some food so I can save my strength. You guys should also have a good rest," said Honggu. Luobing did not doubt her. Even though the dress was simplified, it was still heavy. The weight of the dress and the headdress alone was no less than 20 kilograms. Moreover, from the time she got up until now, Honggu has not eaten a single grain of rice or drunk a single drop of water, for she is afraid that something might go wrong during the ceremony. It was normal for her to not be able to bear it, so she immediately said, "I will arrange it right away." Not long after, Luobing brought over a bowl of ginseng soup and some snacks. "My queen, it's almost time for an auspicious ceremony. It's not easy to eat too much. A bowl of ginseng soup and some snacks should be enough to last the entire ceremony." "Thank you for your hard work, Sister Luo." Honggu smiled and handed a piece of cake to Luobing. "You haven't rested either, let's eat together." Luobing hesitated for a moment and reached out to take it, but the face of Honggu, who was originally smiling in front of her, suddenly changed. She only felt a flash before her eyes and a pain in her neck, and then she lost consciousness. "I'm sorry, Sister Luo," Honggu sighed. In this palace, Luobing had always been very kind to her and always guided her. Her identity has always been her humble place. She felt that she was not worthy of being a queen. Until today, Zhu Xianyu's words had put her heart at ease. If what she said is true, then if we follow this clue, we will definitely find some clues. But even if it is true, this matter cannot be blamed on Lu Qiuishan. Knock Luobing unconscious, and when the time comes, the blame won't be put on her. She took off Luobing's coat, then put the dress on Luobing, and then they each spoke to the two roles. For her, this is a skill that she needs to have in her hands to survive in the world. Then she put on her veil, closed the door, and left in front of everyone. At this time, Li Yuan was planning to leave the palace to welcome his bride. According to conventional etiquette, as an emperor, he only needed to wait for his bride to enter the palace, or at most greet her outside the 9 gates to show respect. Li Yuan felt that this wedding was not only for Honggu, but also a compensation to other women. Doing this is also a way to show my appreciation. Under heavy guard, Li Yuan arrived at where Honggu was in a bulletproof car. As for setting up wine to block the door, writing poems to urge people to get dressed, of course there wouldn't be any of that. Li Yuan came to the outside of the boudoir and said with a smile, "Honggu, I'm here to take you back to the palace." Chapter 542. Even if she doesn't want to, there are plenty of people who are willing. "Sister-in-law, please open the door quickly. Your nephew is still waiting for you to come back to the palace." Lu Yang also shouted from the side. "Empress, please open the door quickly and go back to the palace with His Majesty." A group of officials also shouted. But after shouting a few times, no one responded. Li Yuan frowned slightly, and Han, "Do you have any requests?" "Your Majesty, Your Majesty, Your Majesty." There was a sound of a woman crying in the room. Li Yuan immediately heard who was crying. "Sister Luo, what happened to Honggu?" He gritted his teeth, didn't bother asking any more questions, and kicked the door open. Then he saw Luobing in a red dress, and the eunuchs and maids kneeling and trembling beside her. "Honggu, Honggu, Honggu." Li Yuan shouted a few times and started searching. Li Yang also realized something was wrong and opened his arms to stop everyone. Fortunately, no one dared to enter the queen's boudoir without permission. He closed the door calmly. "My sister-in-law and my brother probably have something to say in private." Everyone was stunned, and then they all agreed. Yes, Your Majesty and His Majesty are a loving couple, and they must have a lot of personal conversations to share. Let's wait, but don't rush us." Everyone chatted intentionally to cover up their inner panic. Lu Yang was a little confused. He was right behind the eldest brother, and the first person he saw was not Honggu, but Sister Luo. Based on her understanding of her sister-in-law, she felt that it was impossible for her to make things difficult for her brother on such a happy day. So, what happened? At this time, Li Yuan searched the room but did not find Honggu. Looking at the crying Luobing, Li Yuan grabbed her hand and said, "Sister Luo, where is Honggu?" Luobing sobbed, my queen, you knocked me out, changed my clothes, and disappeared, leaving only this letter." Li Yuan stared blankly at the letter handed to him by Luobing, his mind going blank. Deserting from the battlefield again? Li Yuan was a little confused and even a little shocked. During the coronation ceremony, Honggu left him alone. But now, it's the wedding. He came to greet her in front of the whole city's people, but in the end, he didn't greet the queen? How will he explain? What will he say when his parents ask him about it? The first time, Honggu was nervous and felt inferior, and he could understand and even felt sorry for her. But this time, he couldn't understand it. He felt anxious and a little angry at the same time. What do you take him for? Or does he simply not take me seriously? He took the envelope somewhat dejectedly, opened it roughly, and a seal fell out from it. Li Yuan looked down and saw that it was the queen's seal that he had carved for her with his own hands. The content of the letter was very brief. I am of humble origin and cannot shoulder great responsibilities. I am grateful for your majesty's love. I do not want to be confined in the palace for the rest of my life, taking care of my husband and children. I hope your majesty will respect my leaving without saying goodbye. Your majesty, please choose another virtuous woman to be your queen and serve as the mother of the country. I was the one who knocked Sister Luo unconscious. She took the blame for me, your majesty. Please don't punish her. Here we go again. Here we go again. Li Yuan tightly grasped the letter, unable to suppress his anger any longer. She uses this excuse again and again. What do you want me to do to make her believe that I don't care about her background? He left the child behind, left me behind, and fled without a word. He glanced at everyone in the room and asked, "What are you doing? The queen left right under your noses, and you didn't notice it?" Wu Bing knelt on the ground. No matter how many mistakes I made, they are all my fault. It is my fault. I deserve to die. Please punish me severely, your majesty. Li Yuan looked up at the sky speechless. Looking at Wu Bing, who was crying, he also knew that it was not her fault. So he pulled her up and said, "Sister Luo, you know I won't punish you. Honggu knocked Wu Bing unconscious and even explained it personally in the letter. If you don't accept it, then don't agree to it in the first place." He sat in the room in silence for a long time, and Wu Bing didn't dare to cry anymore. The atmosphere was so depressing that the maids and eunuchs wished they could bury their heads in the ground. Forget it. If she doesn't want to, then she doesn't want to. Even if she doesn't want to, there are plenty of people who are willing. Li Yuan smiled derisively, pushed open the door, and looked at the people who were expecting. Your majesty, where is the queen? The scene was terribly quiet. Li Yuan's scalp was tingling. He felt that if he didn't say anything, the atmosphere would become awkward, so he asked with gritted teeth. The queen is not here. We are in the wrong place. Li Yuan smiled faintly. Let's go to the Shao mansion. Everyone looked at each other. Some guessed something, but no one dared to speak. Li Yuan also hurriedly caught up with Li Yuan and asked in a low voice, "Brother, what is going on? I told you we came to the wrong place." Li Yuan explained again, but his face was expressionless, which made people shudder. Li Yuan couldn't help but shudder and didn't dare to ask any more questions. Everyone left the zoo mansion, but those outside did not see the queen come out, and everyone was full of questions. Wu Sun also shouted helplessly, "Your Majesty, please get up and go to the Shao mansion." At the same time, Prince Qian's residence. After Day was founded, Li Yuan set up a meritorious road in Xiancheng district. This road of honor is inhabited by dignitaries and dignitaries. There are not many mansions in Day, and everything is based on practicality. Later, in order to better win over the hearts of the people, Li Yuan waved his hand and built a number of mansions on the road of merit. The mansion is not big and not luxurious, but it can win people's hearts very well. Quite a few people have already checked in. Chao Jianjia's mansion is on this road, in a relatively prosperous location. Chao Jianjia sat there, looking at herself in the mirror, feeling a little emotional. Sanbao, in the blink of an eye, so many years have passed. In my life I have never thought about getting married, nor have I ever thought that I would marry someone I love. Sanbao's eyes were filled with tears, and he kept wiping them away. You've worked so hard these years, carrying the burden alone, and no one dared to say anything. Now you don't have to work so hard anymore. Marry the person you love and have a happy family. The old slave is happy from the bottom of his heart. I only hope that the emperor can be more considerate and pamper you, and then I will be happy. He is the only one who knows best how difficult it has been for Chao Jianjia along the way. The death of her father and the betrayal of her mother and relatives was a long-lasting storm that continued to devastate her heart. Step by step, this young girl who was inexperienced in the world was forced into what she is now. She has indeed matured, but she has also become numb. Fortunately, the final result is good. Being able to watch you get married as your family member is the happiest thing in my life, Ma Sanbao said, crying. Sanbao, don't cry, good days are still ahead. Chao Jianjia also felt a little sour. On her wedding day, she should have been surrounded by relatives and friends, but at this moment, there was only an old eunuch following her. When other families' daughters get married, their mothers always follow them, but her mother. Who can understand the sadness of this moment? Chapter 543. You don't, worthy. It's not that Chao Jianjia is pretentious. After so many years, she has become a realist. It's just that certain days and certain things made her a little sad. This is the best arrangement. Chao Jianjia thought. Sanbao, we should all live happily in the future. You are not young anymore. When Huan is older, you can leave the palace and take care of things at home, you don't have to stay by my side all night long. Ma Sanbao is almost 50 years old. And most of his hair is gray. He has been displaced and suffered a lot with her over the years, and it is time for him to live a good life. I am a humble servant who cannot sit still. I just want to serve the little princess and make her happy. Ma Sanbao wiped his tears and said, when you give birth to a little prince in the future, I will also take care of him. Zhao Ji and Jia nodded. After so many years of getting along with each other, she had long regarded Ma Sanbao as a family member. So what if he is a blood relative? He is worse than a eunuch who has no blood relationship with him. At this moment, there was a sudden knock on the door. My lady, the servants in the mansion have prepared a gift for you. May I come in? Come in. Ma Sanbao wiped away his tears. Not long after, a middle-aged man in chef's clothes came in, holding a set of clothes in his hand. This is the BAZ suit that the servants in the mansion requested. We can't come up with a decent gift, so this is our little token of our appreciation. Please accept it. The so-called 100 Sons suit is made from a piece of cloth obtained from a family that has given birth to a son. It is said to be able to pray for children and is very popular among the people. Xiao Ji and Jia was also slightly moved, although she had only been back for a short time and was not very familiar with the servants in the mansion. The fact that they could have such thoughts showed that they were all grateful people. Okay, I'll accept it, Sanbao. This month everyone in the mansion will be paid 3 times their monthly salary. Not only did she receive rewards, but she also got some gold and silver from the long war, which was enough for Prince Qion's palace to live without worries for 100 years. And the Prince Qion's palace will most likely be inherited by her children in the future. There was no need for her to think about the position of crown prince. She would be content as long as she could take care of her children and live an ordinary life. But at this moment, Ma Sanbao exclaimed, You. Sanbao, what's wrong? Xiao Ji and Jia frowned as she looked at Ma Sanbao, who looked as if he had seen a ghost. Your Highness, Ma Sanbao pointed at the middle-aged man in front of him, his eyes almost popping out. Before this, the man had been keeping his head down, and Xiao Ji and Jia had not noticed his appearance at this moment. The man raised his hand, and she looked closely. A familiar feeling surged in her heart, and dusty memories suddenly emerged. Her whole body trembled violently. You, how come you look so much like him? My father had been dead for more than 10 years, although the man in front of me looked older than my father. They looked exactly like him, about 70 like him, especially his eyebrows and the way he looked at me. The man sighed. Sanbao, I haven't seen you for so many years. I didn't expect that you would recognize me at first sight. Ma Sanbao was stunned. You really are. The man nodded, and then looked at Xiao Ji and Jia with pity. Jia and Jia, you have suffered so much over the years. Xiao Ji and Jia was a little at a loss. The man in front of her looked too much like her late father, in his appearance, eyes, and tone of voice. You who are you? Ji and Jia. I know it's hard for you to accept it. Don't get excited, just listen to my explanation. Seeing his daughter's big reaction, Xiao Yan hurried to comfort her. You are Emperor Shenzong, how is this possible? I clearly saw you being buried, how could you appear here? He held his head and said somewhat collapsed, lie. I'm not from the underworld, and I'm not dead. Xiao Yan shook his head and looked at the two astonished people. For a moment he didn't know where to start. There were many guards around Xiao Ji and Jia, and he couldn't get close to her at all when he learned that Xiao Ji and Jia had another mansion in the capital and was recruiting people. He took some effort to get in. Only in this way could he see Xiao Ji and Jia. Before this, Xiao Ji and Jia had been in the palace and he had no chance. Today, Xiao Ji and Jia is getting married. He can no longer hold back and goes forward to recognize her. No, this is not true. My father died a long time ago. I saw him being put into the coffin with my own eyes. This is impossible. Xiao Ji and Jia had a stress reaction. Sanbao, get him out quickly. Get him out. Just when she thought both her parents were dead, her mother showed up with a half-brother and a large number of clansmen. At that time, she felt like a puppet pushed to the front, an abandoned puppy. After going through so much hardship, she could finally live a peaceful life for 2 days. But these people came over eagerly to suck her blood. When she accepted this, they took turns trying to kill her. Later, she was finally forced to become what she is now. She thought she could live a peaceful and stable life. A man who claimed to be his father suddenly jumped out and told him that he was not dead. If this isn't a joke, what is? So, no one died, only she was kept in the dark. Ji and Jia, don't get excited. I also have my own difficulties. Xiao Yan said helplessly. This time Xiao Ji and Jia did not speak. Ma Sanbao could not help it. He said in a very suppressed and angry tone, What difficulties do you have? Everyone thought you were dead, but you popped up again and said you were not dead. Is your reason to leave her alone in the palace to face endless oppression? Did you know that she was being hunted down, in danger, and almost died outside? You left this broken world to a weak woman like her. Are you qualified to be a father? So what if you are the divine emperor? I tell you, You are terrible and you are not worthy of being a father. Ma Bao protected Xiaoji and Jia behind him, grinning, and his dusty memories came to his mind. And he felt an instinctive fear of Xiao Yan. But his love for Xiaoji and Jia eventually outweighed his inner fear and oppression. He confronted Xiao Yan. Where were you when she was being bullied? Or were you when she was in desperate situation and was killed by the enemy? Or the hell were you when she was helpless? And you cover up all your mistakes by saying that you have your own reasons? Do you know how this child has survived all these years? Is your heart made of stone? Fuck you. Are you worthy enough to appear in front of her? When she was in trouble, you all disappeared. She is now finally settled and can live a good life. You are here to sensationalize again. You don't deserve. Chapter 544, Sanbao. My heart hurts so much. Ma Sanbao, do you know what you are saying? Xiaoyan frowned. Of course I know what I'm talking about. You two are really interesting. You both like to fake your own deaths. What were you doing before? Get out now, or I'll call for help. Ma Sanbao was like an old hen protecting her calves. Xiaoji and Jia looked at Ma Sanbao's back, then looked at the father who suddenly appeared. Sanbao, let me do it. Your Highness, just treat him as dead. If he is dead, then he should be completely dead. Don't let his ghost linger around. Isn't what happened before enough? Those people want to kill you, Ma Sanbao said angrily. Today is your big day. Why did he come out now when he didn't come out earlier or later? I didn't mean anything else. Hai Xiaoyan was speechless when he saw that Ma Sanbao had misunderstood him. It's okay no matter what happens. I can accept it. Things that are 10 times more painful than this have happened. This is nothing, Xiaoji and Jia said lightly. As if she really didn't care. But only Ma Sanbao knew that it wasn't that she didn't care, she was just numb. Xiaoji and Jia stepped forward and looked directly at Xiaoyan. I don't want to hear your difficulties, and I don't care. All I know is that my father has passed away and I buried him personally. So it doesn't matter to me who you are. As for your purpose in coming to see me now, I don't care. But I can tell you that you can't get any benefit from me. Xiaoji and Jia's eyes were calm and her tone was flat. She looked at Xiaoyan as if she was looking at a stranger. This was completely beyond Xiaoyan's expectations. Jia and Jia, Dad knows. Stop, you didn't call me Jia and Jia, and you are not my father. Please respect yourself. Xiaoji and Jia sneered. As for how you entered the mansion, I don't care, but you'd better leave here now. And don't appear in front of me again. Otherwise, I cannot guarantee your safety. She made a gesture of invitation. Xiaoyan said bitterly, Child, I know you have suffered a lot and been wronged. I also know that if I come out now, you won't believe anything I say. I am an unworthy father and I failed to protect you. Sanbao was right to scold me. I really have no right to do so. But I'm not here to cause you any trouble this time. I left at that time because I had no choice. Since you don't want to listen, this letter contains what I want to say. Sanbao, burn it. Yes, Your Highness. Ma Sanbao took the letter and lit it without hesitation. Xiaoyan was speechless as he watched the letter being burned to ashes bit by bit, looking at Xiaoji and Jia with a calm expression in front of him. He knew that he had hurt her deeply. True despair is not shouting, but silence. His mouth was filled with bitterness, and he could no longer call her daughter. Suddenly, tears were streaming down her cheeks. I was wrong. I shouldn't have abandoned you and left you alone. I am not a good father, let alone a good emperor. I am ashamed of the ancestors of the Xiao family, and I am ashamed of you. He knelt on the ground dejectedly, extremely sad. Xiaoji and Jia said calmly, What does it have to do with me? It's my big day, and you're crying here. What a disgrace, get out of here and don't spoil my fun. Ma Sanbao also pulled him up and said, Go away. Don't come here again no matter what your purpose is. His Highness is living a good life now, and there is no need for you to show up and interfere. Just leave here with your difficulties. You are not welcome here. Xiaoyan was locked outside the door and was in a daze for a while. Even if I had 1,000 words to say, I am speechless at this moment. He was not angry with Xiaoji and Jia, he was just angry with himself for taking so many years to come here. He didn't know whether what the old Taoist said was true or not. But now it seemed that all the suffering was borne by Xiaoji and Jia. What kind of hardships made her what she is today? Your Highness, he's gone. Ma Sanbao saw Xiaoyan leave through the crack in the door and breathed a sigh of relief when he turned around. Xiaoji and Jia was already in tears. Please don't cry. Your makeup will be ruined and you won't be beautiful anymore. Ma Sanbao kept coaxing her and felt distressed too. I just felt like my heart was being cut by a knife. This child has a hard life. He became an emperor in a daze, wandered around, suffered humiliation, and went through many twists and turns along the way. He finally settled down. Her father would pop up and cause trouble again and again, fearing that she would not live a good life. Even on the wedding day, there is no peace. These people haunt us like maggots in our tarsal bones. Ma Sanbao is sad. Why should the children you hold dear be treated so badly and bullied by you? Ma Bao is a eunuch and he also has a temper. In order to protect this child, he would even risk his life. I don't understand why. Chao Jianjia looked at him with sobs. She had finally settled down in Liangjing, but Queen Mu jumped out. The cruel reality told her that she was just a puppet and she'll push to the stage. She endured it. Now the deceased father has reappeared and said that he has his own difficulties. How ridiculous. Why would one abandon his country, his wife and daughter, and do whatever it takes? They're all excuses. This is just an excuse they use to protect themselves. Your Highness, they are all heartless and selfish. Why should you be sad about such people? Ma Bao took out a handkerchief and carefully wiped her tears. Now you have your own lover, and your lover will take care of you. You also have the little princess Huan, who will definitely be filial to you in the future. After all the hardship comes happiness. Let's not dwell on the past. Now that we enter the palace, we should try to leave as little as possible and live our lives in peace and stability. There are naturally men to conquer the world, and there is no need for us to be exposed to the wind and rain and shout for fighting and killing. Don't you think so? His Majesty said that he loves your eyes the most. You've cried so much that your body is swollen. Your Majesty might blame me. Chao Jianjia couldn't stop sobbing. My heart ached. At this moment, she felt extremely uncomfortable. Being abandoned by parents is like betrayal. What Li Yuan said is right. There is no love or hate in this world without reason. Even your parents will abandon you without reservation when they see that you are no longer useful to them. For half of my life, I have been like a ball, being kicked around by others. I am just a joke, a burden. And in their eyes, I am just a scapegoat. Chao Jianjia collapsed if she were to say. The appearance of Queen Mu was a pain that she would never be able to get over in her life. And the appearance of Xiaoyan completely broke down her inner defenses. Her seemingly strong heart collapsed in an instant. The tense nerves broke in an instant. Sanbao, my heart hurts so much, it hurts so much. Chapter 545. Losing interest. Ma Bao saw it and felt pain in his heart. But there is nothing I can do. He didn't understand what the Emperor Shenzong's difficulties were back then. Now that you have let go of everything, why bother showing up at this time to cause trouble? At this moment, the voice of a maid came from outside the door. Your Highness, the wedding procession is here. Ma Bao also hurriedly said, Your Highness, stop crying. The Emperor is here. He was also afraid that Lu Yuan would notice something was wrong if he knew that Emperor Shenzong was still alive. It would cause more trouble. Chao Jianjia forced a smile, but the self in the mirror just couldn't be happy. Life is full of ups and downs, but her life is like the tide. In this world, I'm afraid Lu Yuan is the only one who truly cares about her inner thoughts. Parents and brothers are nothing special. If that's the case, why should I be sad because of these people? The noise outside became louder and louder, and in the blink of an eye, it got closer. Lu Yuan's voice was heard outside the door. Jianjia, I'm here to take you back to the palace. Sanbao, open the door, Xiao Jianjia said. Ma Bao hesitated for a while, then walked over to open the door, only to see Lu Yuan smiling brightly. Your servant greets His Majesty. Lu Yuan nodded, walked into the room, but closed the door again. Ma Bao was puzzled and didn't dare to ask more questions. He walked up to Xiao Jianjia and asked, Are you crying? I never thought that I would get married one day, nor did I think that I would have a wedding. Xiao Jianjia said, Women are always sentimental. You don't think I'm being hypocritical, do you? Not hypocritical. Lu Yuan shook his head, sat opposite her, held her hand, and said, Come back to the palace with me. No matter what happened in the past, it doesn't matter anymore. What matters is how we will be in the future. Looking at the incomparably beautiful Xiao Jianjia in front of him, Lu Yuan felt dazed. That night many years ago brought them together. After that, Xiao Jianjia seemed to have become one of his motivations to keep going. In the blink of an eye, almost 10 years have passed. On this day, he finally married her. There are all kinds of complex emotions. The once high and mighty Empress, today's beloved wife. He held her in his arms, smelling the sweet fragrance emanating from the woman, feeling indescribably at ease. At this moment, the sadness of being abandoned by Honggu many times was also comforted. For some reason, Xiao Jianjia felt that Lu Yuan was a little strange, as if he was not as happy as she had imagined. At this moment, she heard Lu Yuan's low voice, Be my queen. Xiao Jianjia was stunned and looked at him in confusion. Me? Be your queen? Since when can the court have two queens? She didn't know that Honggu had left, so she said, I know you once promised me something, but I didn't cherish it at that time and gave up. You don't have to worry about it. To me, being a queen or not is not important. The important thing is that we live a good life, and I will be content after every day we spend. You have compensated me enough. Besides, I don't need any compensation. Your preference for me actually makes me feel pressured. There cannot be two suns in the sky, and there cannot be two masters in the harem. Failure to distinguish between legitimate and illegitimate children will lead to disaster. There will inevitably be chaos in the future. She grew up in the palace. Although she was ignorant in the past, she is mature now and naturally understands the consequences of Liu Yuan's promise. Even if the queen's children do not compete for the throne in the future, the other children have to call her mother. To a certain extent, this is also to protect the biological mothers of the princes. Cruel laws are the result of countless people learning from their experiences. Liu Yuan sighed. You used to be full of edges and corners, but now you are so considerate. Xiao Jianjia said, no one never grows up. Besides, it was because he was insecure and always afraid of being bullied, so he showed his fangs and threatened others all the time. Liu Yuan nodded silently. If only I had been more patient back then. Xiao Jianjia lowered her head and said, why bother saying these things? What happened in the past is in the past. The past is just a little bit of wind and frost. As long as we live a good life in the future, that's enough. She held Liu Yuan's hand and said from the bottom of her heart, I hope you are well, all the time. I used to be naive and ignorant. I took advantage of your love to hurt you and wear you down. I trampled on your kindness again and again. Looking back now, I feel that I was stupid, pretentious and ignorant. Thank you for giving me the opportunity to grow up. Without Liu Yuan, she might have died many years ago. Forget about taking power, she won't have that chance. The rich wolves, tigers and leopards in the court will eat her up until nothing is left, skin and bones. All that nobleness and pride are fake. She will become a plaything of men, a tool for them to control power, and then be constantly tortured. Her character will be erased, and she will become a veritable puppet. So at this moment, she only felt gratitude and love for Liu Yuan. Thinking back on it now, I still can't help laughing. Hearing this, Liu Yuan seemed to have made up his mind. I am not kidding you. Come back to the palace with me, and be my queen. Xiao Jianjia frowned, then shook her head. No. If you really want to do this for my own good, don't embarrass me if I become the queen. The officials will scold me. And the people will poke my spine, thinking that I am causing chaos in the palace. My father-in-law and mother would also think that I have evil intentions. Once this is started, there will be no end to the harem. Liu Yuan suddenly laughed at himself. It's really interesting. I can't even send my queen away. Is it so hard to be my wife? Noticing that Liu Yuan was in a bad mood, Xiao Jianjia asked, did something happen? Liu Yuan didn't explain too much, and said, I'll ask you one last time, do you want to be the queen? If you don't want to be the queen, forget it, I won't force you. Xiao Jianjia hesitated for a while. Based on his understanding of Liu Yuan, he was not a reckless person. Besides, such an important matter has been decided, and he would not change it without authorization. And there is only one possibility, something happened to Honggu. Is there something wrong with Honggu? You don't have to worry about it, you just need to tell me whether it's okay or not. Liu Yuan was a little impatient and anxious to him. Honggu escaped twice no matter what her concerns were. In his opinion, she was escaping from the battlefield and had no confidence to go on with him. He racked his brains and thought of all the possibilities, but he couldn't understand why she was like this. Or maybe he didn't marry her alone, so she got angry and abandoned her children, her amnesiac brother, and everything else. How many registration ceremonies and weddings did he have? The most important things in life were ruined by her. Liu Yuan was a little bored. If Xiao Jianjia refuses again, then it would be better not to have her as queen. Chapter 546. Would you like to be my queen? I thought that establishing Biaoyang would bring safety to Xiao Jianjia, but she discarded it. Even trample your sincerity underfoot again and again. Later, he gave his preference to Honggu because she had never hurt him. But he was wrong again. The coronation ceremony left him alone, leaving him to face everyone's doubts. Now on their wedding day, with everyone watching, they still ignored him and left him alone to face the doubts. Fuck your love, life really won't be perfected. It's hard to have love when you have a career. Liu Yuan's heart gradually hardened. Love is not something that can be approached casually. It would be better to be as obedient as Li Wuyu, as vain as Xi Yining, and as scheming as Li Baiyu. Although he has something to ask for, he serves him comfortably. Feeling the cold aura emanating from Liu Yuan's sacred mountain, Xiao Jianjia was also shocked. It seemed that something must have happened to make Liu Yuan like this. The man in front of me was like a volcano about to erupt, any word could ignite him. Okay. I'll be the queen. Xiao Jianjia gritted her teeth and hugged him. No matter how others look at me or say about me, as long as it suits your heart. That's all. She didn't want to be a queen if she had accompanied Liu Yuan in starting his business from the beginning and accompanied him through the difficult times. She would have been the queen. But she didn't. Therefore, she had no legitimate reason to be the queen. Liu Yuan's stiff body relaxed. Looking at Xiao Jianjia, who was worried, he said, okay. Let's go back to the palace. He picked up Xiao Jianjia. Ba Bao hurriedly opened the door and shouted, the queen and his majesty are returning to the palace. The ministers outside finally reacted. Quick, beat the gongs and drums, said Cao Wenhu. When Lu Yang saw Liu Yuan holding Xiao Jianjia, he hurriedly followed. Afterwards, Liu Yang went to pick up Li Wuyu and Xianing, and everything went smoothly. However, the seat that was originally supposed to belong to Honggu was now occupied by Xiao Jianjia. Everyone had strange expressions on their faces, but dared not say a word. Everyone could see that the emperor was suppressing his anger, and it would definitely not be a wise choice to provoke him at this time. Li Yang also sent someone back to inform old Lu in advance, so that the palace could make timely adjustments to avoid any inconsistencies and embarrassment to his elder brother. When Lu Qiushan learned that there was a change in the bride's reception, he frowned and said, "What is going on?" He rubbed his head and felt a terrible headache. What's wrong with Honggu? It was okay the first time, but it happened again the second time. No matter how much his son dotes on him, he will not tolerate it anymore. What's wrong, old man? Su Xiuyue asked. Lu Qiushan sighed, knowing that he couldn't hide this from his wife, so he told her what happened. Su Xiuyue exclaimed, and said with a frown, "What happened to this child? She was fine. Why did she leave again?" In her heart, she was quite satisfied with Honggu as her daughter-in-law. Although her background was not good, she was a decent and loyal person, and she gave birth to a grandson with the support of so many people in Biaoyang. She could be considered to have a good family background and deserved the title. She could stabilize the rear for her son. This was the last time someone left the registration ceremony without reason, which has made many people dissatisfied. On the day of the wedding this time, the same mistake was made again. Even Su Xiuyue was a little angry. What should we do now? This is the queen's wedding day, and she's not here. Are we going to make her a queen for nothing? Lu Qiushan smiled bitterly and said, "Xiao Yuan probably wants Jianjia to be the queen. Let Jianjia be Jianjia. There is no one more suitable than her. This has happened time and time again." Leaving Day's face aside, Shuowen is the emperor. How many registration ceremonies and weddings can he have? If the historian records something that goes down in history, I'm afraid everyone will laugh at me. Su Xiuyue didn't want to get involved in the children's affairs. But now, her impression of Honggu has plummeted. Even if she comes back in the future, I will never acknowledge that she is the queen. She treats such a big thing as a trifle. Does she have Shuowen in her heart? But does she have us? If I had known this would happen, I would have persuaded Xiao Yuan to let Jianjia come up no matter what I said. Okay, don't be angry now that things have come to this. Let's find a way to remedy the situation. Lu Qiushan sighed, and hurriedly called the clan leader and the Minister of Rites to discuss the matter, and made haste to make changes before the emperor entered the palace. Lu Xuanwen was also confused. Grand Emperor, how can you change the queen at the last minute? It has been changed. No need to ask any more questions other than that. The wedding will go on as usual. Lu Qiushan waved his hand. Lu Xuanwen and the other man looked at each other and smiled bitterly. I'm afraid we're in trouble again. The only protagonist today is the queen. Changing the queen candidate at the last minute is just a joke. If the news gets out, the whole country will be shocked. Lu Qiushan also understood, but if he didn't change, Li Yuan would become a joke, and Day would also become a laughing stock, and the negative impact would be very bad. If the news that the queen ran away on the day of her wedding were to get out, who knows what others would think of Li Yuan? Why would the queen run away? Could it be that he followed someone and put a hat on the emperor? It is a great shame for Lu Yuan that the world prefers this kind of secret. At this time, envoys from many small countries were there, and Yukong, the king of Hanadu state, was chatting with Li. It's a pity that Emperor Day is not interested in my little sister, otherwise the relationship between the two countries would be further improved. Li Yuan had not agreed to the previous marriage proposal and had never met Yu Yi. So Yu Yi was also present at this moment? A little girl was only 28 years old, with skin as white as cream, almond eyes and rosy cheeks, and an oval face the size of a palm. Her facial features were extremely delicate, and despite her young age, she had a broad mind. She has a face that is as innocent as it can be, but she has a devilish figure. Even though she was wearing a palace dress, it couldn't hide her graceful figure. Brother, is this Emperor Day really as handsome as you say? I am considered handsome, your brother. But Emperor Day is handsomer than me, said Yukong. I drew a sketch of the emperor for His Majesty. His Majesty said how could there be such a handsome man in the world? And accused me of drawing it randomly. Li scratched his head and said. Yu Yi was looking forward to it, holding her red cheek with one hand, wondering what she was thinking. Li Nunu pursed his lips. Yukong nodded, thinking that he would marry his sister to the emperor no matter what. If concubine Zhu became the empress, there would be one more position among the 4 concubines. The reason why Li Yuan refused was very simple. He just didn't want to let Princess Day Yu suffer the fate of being a concubine. If she were one of the 4 concubines, she would be qualified. Besides, my eldest sister also said that a marriage between 2 countries would be more lasting. Bayu needs to learn all aspects of day in order to become a strong country. Relying solely on trade is still not stable. Just as Yukong was thinking, Wang Dakong shouted loudly, "Your Majesty, the Queen has returned to the palace." In an instant, everyone in the palace rushed out. Chapter 547, Just a little bit of weather. The guards on both sides blew horns made of cow horns. 18 salute cannons were placed in an orderly manner and fired a full 108 times before stopping. The middle door of the 12 palace gates opened wide, and the dragon chariot was carried in from the middle door. And behind them were 3 small phoenix chariots. The scene was extremely spectacular. However, the person sitting on the dragon chariot was not Honggu, but Xiaoji and Jia. "Stop the sedan," Wu Sun shouted. Liu unleashed Xiaoji and Jia down from the dragon chariot. "Your Majesty. Welcome. Your Majesty, welcome." Everyone knelt on both sides of the avenue. But when they saw that the person who followed Liyuan was Xiaoji and Jia, everyone was dumbfounded. "Where is Empress Zhu Fe? Why is it concubine Xiao? Isn't the Queen Empress Zhu Fe?" Everyone looked at each other. But Liyuan didn't bother to care what they thought. Xiaoji and Jia also tried hard to calm herself down. On the way here, she didn't see Honggu, only Li Wuyu and Dexai Ning. This means that something really happened to Maggie Chun. The most likely possibility is that she was not in danger, but left on her own. The same was true of the previous registration ceremony in Liyuan. She was puzzled. But Liyuan was in a bad mood, so she didn't dare to ask. She could understand that Honggu felt inferior, but abandoning Liyuan at such a critical moment was not a wise choice. The incident became a big deal and damaged Liyuan's prestige. Li Wuyu and Dexai Ning were also surprised. The two looked at each other and saw strange looks in each other's eyes. But the two of them tacitly did not speak. If Honggu were the queen, their lives in the harem would be easier, but Xiaoji and Jia is not Honggu. Like herself, she grew up in the palace and was the eldest princess with a noble status. Later she became the empress of Daqian, and in this respect, she surpassed them. In terms of background, no one in the harem can compare to her. Not to mention, she also made military achievements and was the first concubine in Day to establish her own government office because of her military merits. The only drawback was that her first child was not a son. If it had been a son, they really wouldn't have had any hope at all. Both of them realized that if they wanted to survive under Xiaoji and Jia, they had to be more cautious. Liyuan held Xiaoji and Jia's hand and walked up the middle road, while Li Wuyu and Dexai Ning could only walk on the sides. There were eunuchs behind them pulling at their long skirts. After climbing the stairs, Liyuan came to his parents. "Dad, Mom, I have brought Ji and Jia and the others back." Lu Qiuishan nodded with a complicated look in his eyes. "Go ahead." Suexai Yui also sighed. Lu Lingzhi on the side had a dazed look on her face. She looked left and right, but why couldn't she see her sister-in-law? But seeing that her parents didn't say anything, she was smart and didn't ask anything. All the civil and military officials in the court were confused. Lu Xuan Wen and the Minister of Rights also hurriedly led the group to perform the ceremony. After paying respects to his parents in Yongping Hall, Wu Sun began to read. The imperial edict says, "I take the world as my responsibility. And I value talents the most. Your virtue is worthy of my body, and your mind is difficult to think about, but you have already calmed down early on. Which is my luck. Today, I specially confer the title of Empress Xiaoji and Jia on you. You will succeed me and rule the world together. So that all people can live and work in peace and contentment. You should abide by the code of conduct for women, work diligently and love the people, help me govern, manage the household well, teach our children and grandchildren, inherit my legacy, and build the foundation for a prosperous age together." Everyone was still confused, but when they heard the edict of enthronement, they all exclaimed in surprise. This, how could this happen? Wasn't concubine Zhu the queen? How come she became concubine Xiao? Everyone below gasped. How could the title of the queen be changed suddenly on the wedding day? At this moment, everyone began to wonder if something had happened. If this is the case, the eldest prince's future is bleak. After the edict was read, Liyuan had Xiaoji and Ji and others sent to the harem. And the bedroom that originally belonged to Honggu also became Xiaoji and Jia's. Li Wuyu and Dexai Ning also took over the positions. He continued to retain Honggu's position. Seeing the confused expressions of the crowd, Liyuan said, "Honggu is in poor health and feels that she cannot take on the important task of being the queen. She has repeatedly begged me to appoint her as the queen. I also don't want her to carry the heavy burden, so I temporarily appointed Ji and Jia as the queen. If no explanation is given, rumors will inevitably spread, which will be bad for Liyuan, Xiaoji and Jia, and even Honggu." He couldn't use Honggu's letter as an explanation, right? At this moment, the old man Biaiyang was stunned. Xiao Chai and his son Xiaoji looked at each other in bewilderment. The position of queen inexplicably fell on Xiaoji and Jia. As for what the emperor said, that Honggu was in poor health, This must be false. But we don't know what happened behind the scenes. Everyone knows that the emperor loved Honggu and, against all odds, made her the queen. So it is definitely not the emperor who went back on his word. Lu Qiushan also stood up at this time. Let's start the banquet today. Everyone's task is to eat and drink well. He was very clear that this change would further alter the situation in the court. There is no doubt that Xiao Jianjia's coming to power will be of great benefit to the control of Daqian. But what impact it will have in the future is unknown. Li Yuan stayed for a while and then went to the harem. He really didn't have much interest in drinking with these people. I didn't even have the mind to spend the bridal chamber. Instead, he was fishing alone in Xuanwu Lake. Wu Sun was serving beside him. He had been with Li Yuan for so long that he had sincerely regarded Li Yuan as his master. Seeing that he did not say a word, he said worriedly, "Your Majesty, if you feel unhappy, just scold and beat me. It's not you who made the mistake. How can I calm down by beating and scolding you?" Li Yuan just wanted to be quiet and sort out his emotions. He is the emperor, the ruler of a country. If he cannot remain calm and make some choices in anger, it will affect many people. He actually didn't regret dragging Xiao Jianjia up today. But at this moment, he didn't seem to believe in the so-called love anymore. Yu Su bit her lip and said, "Your Majesty, do you want to send someone to look for Honggu? Let's look for her. I want to ask her what she's thinking. She abandons me again and again." Li Yuan smoked his cigarette with a calm expression. "I don't think I've done anything to let her down. If it's just because of inferiority, then I've thought it through and given up. I won't worry about her anymore. She has protected me for so many years, and I gave her an answer. Although the result is not very good, but it is enough." Liu Su looked at Li Yuan and felt that his majesty was about to break at this moment. She felt that she should do something at this moment. She stepped forward courageously, hugged him, and said in a very serious and sincere tone, "Your Majesty, no matter what happens, I will definitely stand by your side." Li Yuan patted her on the back and said, "I'm fine. Life is never smooth sailing. It's just a few rough patches." Chapter 548, Unbreakable Fate. Inside the Fu Di Palace. This is the Queen's bedroom. Named by Lu Qiushan himself, and is praised as the residence of a blessed person. Wo Bing looked at Xiao Jianjia with a look of surprise and confusion. "Sister Wo, if I tell you that things are not what you think, will you believe it?" Xiao Jianjia said with a wry smile. The surprise on Wo Bing's face gradually disappeared. "Although I don't know the Queen, but I know your Majesty, Queen Zhu Fei has had such an incident once before, so it's not surprising. But I didn't expect that she would flee again this time. His Majesty must be really sad." As she said, she didn't understand Xiao Jianjia, but she understood Lu Yuan. "As long as it is a decision made, unless there are major unexpected events, I will not suddenly change my mind. I have no intention of fighting for it. It doesn't matter to me whether I become the queen or not. I have already got what I want," Xiao Jianjia said. "Your Majesty, there is no need to explain to me." Wo Bing shook her head. "I can only say that this palace is for people with great fortune and luck. Your Majesty is a person with great fortune and luck." Xiao Jianjia did not agree. Everyone in the palace looked disbelieving, and she was too lazy to explain. No matter what, they still don't believe it, and they won't believe him just because of her explanation. Sitting in this position requires you to bear a lot. No matter what, the matter is done now that I have entered Fu Di Palace. I must take on the role I have been given. I will bear it, good or bad. I accept both praise and criticism," Xiao Jianjia said. Wo Bing smiled but didn't say anything. Xiao Jianjia had indeed changed a lot. He just thought Honggu was too stupid. His Majesty doted on her so much, yet she gave up the position she had obtained to someone else. Is origin really that important? Looking at Xiao Jianjia, she had an extraordinary demeanor. She knew that this position was not easy to sit in, but she faced it calmly. After all, the difference between the two experiences is too great. She couldn't help but think of herself being able to serve His Majesty was already a great blessing. She was originally a weak and feeble woman, and she had been married and had children. "I'm already in my early 30s, old and ugly. How dare I covet those things?" I couldn't help but feel sorry for Honggu and lament for myself. Both of them came from the lowest social class, and she understood Honggu's feelings. Some things don't exist just because you don't care about them. A sparrow turning into a phoenix is a beautiful story, but it is also slander. The atmosphere in Fu Di Palace was depressing. Xiao Jianjia didn't care. If these people in the palace listened to her, they would be put to good use. If you don't listen to her, just change them. The master of the harem is not a punching bag. She felt uncomfortable and always felt that she had stolen Honggu's position. However, since Li Yuan believed in me and made me the queen, no matter what the reason was, I had to do a good job as the queen. It was getting dark. Li Yuankai put down his fishing rod and came to Fu Di Palace. "Push Xiao Jianjia up. You can't let her stay alone in the empty room." "Although I am not happy, But now that things have come to this, I can't just let things rot here. When I pushed the door open, I saw Xiao Jianjia sitting on the edge of the bed waiting for me. Sorry to have kept you waiting for so long. You must be hungry. Come, let's eat something together. I'm not hungry. I just had a snack, Xiao Jianjia said. Your Majesty, should we continue with the process or? Of course we have to complete the process. Li Yuan stepped forward, took the wedding wine, and gave her a cup. After drinking this wedding wine, from now on, you will be my legal wife and the master of the harem. I know that pulling you up here is like roasting you on the fire, but I have no choice. It happened suddenly and this is all I can do. Maybe there will be some doubts, but don't listen to them. No matter what you do in the harem, I support you. Xiao Jianjia shook her head and said, I will try my best to do what a wife, queen, mother, and daughter-in-law should do. Along the way, haven't I received enough doubts and criticisms? What we seek in life is a clear conscience. I have a clear conscience and I don't care what those people think of me. Well, it's as it should be. The two drank the wedding wine. Li Yuan held Xiao Jianjia's arms and took a bath together in the bathtub. He said tiredly, do you blame me? No wonder. Don't comfort me. If I say I don't want to be a queen, that's a lie. No woman is willing to be a concubine, and I am no exception. Of course, if Honggu hadn't given in, I wouldn't have been the queen. If I had fought for it myself, I would naturally be happy, but this position just fell from the sky. I am indeed a little unhappy. However, since I'm here, there's no need to be so pretentious. This position is an honor for others, but a confinement for me. This means that I can only stay in this harem for 10 years, taking care of my husband and children. And being the mother of the country, I have to think twice before doing anything and not act rashly. In comparison, I still prefer my previous life. Working in the hospital, saving lives and healing the wounded without having to think so much. But I can't let you just sit there and face this alone. As Xiao Jianjia spoke, she carefully wiped Li Yuan's body. She had been reluctant before, but today, she was willing to do it. From today on, she is Li Yuan's real wife. There will be a grand wedding, and everyone is trying to clear her name. Nothing else matters anymore. Many people don't like themselves, so what? She is not gold or silver. And everyone loves her. If their experiences were the same as mine, they might not be as open-minded or kind as I am. Li Yuan looked at her, but the touch of emotion in his eyes. Xiao Jianjia was proud and absolutely disdained to snatch anything. If Li Wuyu were to come, he would be obedient and follow his orders in everything. If Xi Aning comes, she will be happy and will be carried away by success. Holding her slender waist, Li Yuan buried his face in front of her. Thank you. You and I are one. Why bother saying all this? Xiao Jianjia held his face and kissed him with her red lips. This was the first time she had taken the initiative like this. The sweetness made Li Yuan start to respond. Thinking back on the years that the two of them had been entangled with each other, in the end, it was still her. I searched for her for many years, and when I was about to give up, she suddenly appeared with her daughter. He asked her to be the queen, but she treated him like a worn-out shoe. When he had given up, somehow the position of queen became hers again. All I can say is that what belongs to her is hers, and no one can take it away from her. The bond between them is truly extraordinary. Li Yuan thought so. For a moment, the bedroom was filled with charming atmosphere. Xiao Jianjia was also happy to feel the change in the man. She also let go of everything, opened herself completely, and gave him everything she had without reservation. Li Yuan, I love you so much. Chapter 549. If you want to establish virtue, you must first establish authority. This was the first time Xiao Jianjia openly said she loved him. This made Li Yuan somewhat touched. I thought to myself, after doing so many things, it wasn't completely without effect. But today he doesn't want to talk about love. One night later, the next day when Xiao Jianjia woke up, Li Yuan was gone. You don't know how to be gentle with women at all. Xiao Jianjia moved her body and couldn't help but take a breath of cool air. Your Majesty, it's time to pay respects to the Emperor and the Empress Dowager. Luo Bing reminded from the side, but her face was expressionless and no one knew what she was thinking. Xiao Jianjia didn't care what she was thinking. She just asked, where's His Majesty? I'm strengthening my body, Luo Bing said. Xiao Jianjia nodded, and then put on the gorgeous palace dress with the help of her maid. She was already extremely beautiful, and after several years of experience on the battlefield, she looked half charming and half heroic. But just a little makeup, she made all the other women present pale in comparison. After dressing appropriately, he hurried to pay his respects. Su Xiuyue and his wife seemed to have been waiting for a long time. Greetings to Dad. Xiao Jianjia knelt on the ground and served tea. Luke Yuishan gladly took it and said with a smile on his face, okay, I have never tasted such delicious tea. As he spoke, he took out a fist-sized pearl and said, this is the deep-sea pearl, take it. Thank you. Dad, Xiao Ji and Jia took the dongshu with both hands. Such a huge dongshu is worth a fortune. Its meaning is self-evident. It also means to induce labor. Looking back, Lu Qiushan was her military advisor in the past, but now he has become her father-in-law. What an unfortunate fate. But she respected Lu Qiushan very much, and only hated herself for being too naive and ignorant at that time. If she had listened to Lu Qiushan, things would definitely be better than now. Mom, please have some tea. Su Xiuyue was in a complicated mood. She took the tea and said, Ji and Jia, you know that from the beginning, I recognized you as the daughter-in-law of the Lu family. Honggu, my daughter-in-law understands. Xiao Ji and Jia interrupted her and said, he is just arrogant and young. And he thinks he can revive the country, so he looks down on everyone and ignores his mother's good intentions. It is my daughter-in-law who has failed to live up to your regard and care. Her eyes dimmed. She was the one who should explain, and she was also the one who did not know how to cherish. In the future, my daughter-in-law will definitely cherish this hard-earned recognition and affection. It is said that people desire what they lack. In the Lu family, she can feel the recognition and love of her elders, and that is enough. Su Xiuyue breathed a sigh of relief. Since you understand, it's good we are a family and we shouldn't have different opinions. I don't want you to hide anything in your heart. If there is any misunderstanding between us, just talk about it, don't keep it in your heart. Lest it harm your health. As he spoke, he took a sip of tea and took out a piece of clothing. This is what I made for you back then. But unfortunately, you haven't been back for a long time, so I didn't have the chance to give it to you. I don't know if it will fit or not. The clothes are not fancy, just ordinary casual wear. But Xiao Ji and Jia was stunned, and said with some emotion, Thank you, mother, I like it very much. Su Xiuyue nodded. After talking it out today, even if she felt uncomfortable, it would not become a knot in her heart after a while. She would naturally not care about it anymore. I hope you can assist Xiao Yuan in the future. He will take care of external affairs, and you will take care of internal affairs. So that we can govern this country well. Your father and I don't have any requests. I only hope to have many children and grandchildren to enjoy their company. Yes. My daughter-in-law will respectfully follow my mother's teachings. After serving tea, it was the concubine who came to serve tea to Xiao Ji and Jia. A few days ago, they had just served tea to Honggu, and just a few days later, the royal flag on the harem wall was replaced. Honggu is arrogant and has a loud voice, but she is not a bad person and does not have much support behind her. Xiao Ji and Jia is different. How did Xiao Yu die? They saw it all. How was the biological mother driven crazy? They had also heard a little about it. All male members of the Xiao clan became eunuchs. Although Yang Tao did this, who condoned it? After arriving in Bianjing, they killed so many people that it was said that all members of the new party were massacred. The bloody smell lingered throughout Jiangdan for 3 months, and even the well water began to seep blood. This shows how cruel and ruthless Xiao Ji and Jia is. This is not to mention that when she leads troops in battle, she is also a ruthless person. Although her wins and losses are mixed, who is not afraid of such a killer? In terms of status and position, she couldn't be higher. In terms of looks, she is as beautiful as a fairy. Who dares to say that he is better than her? The only thing that can be discussed is the offspring and age. I just don't know what this lord will do. After Li Weiyu died once, she no longer had the arrogance she once had, but when facing Xiao Ji and Jia, she still felt a little unconvinced in her heart. But this feeling of unwillingness was because she had repeatedly rejected Li Yuan. Sister pays respects to older sister. Li Weiyu knelt on the ground and offered tea with both hands. Sister, get up quickly. Xiao Ji and Jia sat in his seat and had no intention of getting up to help if he wanted to establish his virtue. He had to establish his authority first. In the harem, there is no pure sisterhood, only respect for virtue and fear of power, and obedience to the wind. Today we will rank the order and establish the priorities. Thank you, sister. A hint of dissatisfaction flashed in Li Weiyu's eyes. He knew, but Xiao Ji and Jia was just making 3 big moves as a new official, but this move must not be directed at him. Xi Ning walked up to Xiao Ji and Jia with a smile. Greetings to my sister, have some tea. Xiao Ji and Jia smiled but said nothing, nor did she reach out to take the tea. All the women knew Xi Ning's temper. She relied on her big belly to act recklessly in the harem. This time, when you are invited to tea, you don't have to kneel down, but you can still bow. Xi Ning also wanted to test Xiao Ji and Jia, and when she saw that she didn't say a word, she said, Sister, my belly is big and I can't kneel down, please forgive me. Sister. Now that she has said so, Xiao Ji and Jia can't force her, right? When Honggu came up, she had no objection, nor did she dare to have any objection, for fear that Honggu would teach her a lesson. But deep down, she was not convinced at all towards Xiao Ji and Jia. Xiao Ji and Jia smiled faintly. How could she not know Xi Ning's trick? It's okay, my sister is pregnant with a dragon seed, so it's naturally hard. It's just a toast between sisters. There's no need for such a big ceremony. Xianing sneered inwardly, thinking he was so powerful, but he didn't expect that he would be defeated after just a few moves. But the next second, Xiao Jianjia's words made her dumbfounded. I heard that my sister is not in good health and she is pregnant with a dragon seed, so she naturally cannot work too hard. Sister Wu, the assessment of the palace maids that my sister is in charge of will be temporarily managed by me. Let my sister have a good rest. I will return it to her when she has rested well. Xiao Jianjia smiled and took the tea from Xia from X, but did not drink it. He just put it on the table beside her and looked at her calmly. Chapter 550. The new queen's first 3 steps upon taking office. Wobing stood aside for a moment, then quickly responded, yes, madam. As the chief of 6 departments, Wobing has this right. But once the queen is confirmed, she, as the chief steward of the 6 4th quarters, will be under the management of Xiao Jianjia. Although she knew that Xiao Jianjia was reorganizing the harem and intended to control Xianing, she still responded immediately. Besides, secretly in his heart, Xianing was a scheming person relying on her big belly and the Empress Dowager's favor. She was quite domineering in the palace. He tried to please her in every way, but Luo Wobing didn't like it and was only superficially respectful to her. Everyone else was stunned. And then secretly shocked. How could such a beautiful mouth say such cruel words? But then everyone began to gloat over his misfortune. You've been so arrogant. Now there's someone who can deal with you. Xianing was also stunned there. Sister, I'm fine, I can do it. It's settled. If anything happens to the dragon seed in your belly, I won't be able to explain to His Majesty. Xiao Jianjia waved her hand. She didn't even have the interest to deal with someone of Xianing's level. As the mistress of the harem, if she can't even control these people, she shouldn't be the mistress. Sister, Xianing was extremely panicked. If the power was taken away from her, what power would she have left? Wouldn't she just be able to eat and wait for death in the palace? She knelt down quickly. Sister, get up quickly, Xiao Jianjia said, but she had no intention of moving. If others see this, they will say that I, Xiao Jianjia, am arrogant and forced my pregnant sister to buy tea. If His Majesty hears this, they will say that I am cold and indifferent. Get up quickly. After hearing this, all the women shook their heads secretly. The gap between the two is too big. They are totally not on the same level. Sister, I'm really not tired. Someone, help concubine Xi up and bring a chair for her to sit down. The baby in her belly is a dragon seed, which is extremely precious. There must not be any mistakes, Xiao Jianjia said calmly. This ridicule made Xi angry and furious, but the others were secretly happy after hearing it. You relied on the fact that you were pregnant with a dragon to act recklessly, and now you are being punished, right? If this gets out, won't Xianing be laughed to death by others? Xianing was helpless and didn't dare to do anything rash for fear of hurting the baby in her belly, so she could only swallow her anger. Then, Morong Wanking stepped forward, being very flattering. Immediately afterwards, the concubines who were pregnant also knelt down one by one to offer tea, not daring to act rashly in front of Xiao Jianjia. Xiao Jianjia was very kind to these people. She immediately had snacks brought in and started a tea party. This was her first time talking to so many people as the queen. There are some problems with the current system for concubines in the harem. I discussed it with Your Majesty last night. The system needs some adjustments. When the girls heard this, they all sat up straight. Li Wuyu frowned. Xianing lowered his head and sneered. A new official has 3 things to do when he takes office. And this is the second one. As expected, the system for concubines must be reformed. However, there are only 2 concubines left out of the 4, and Honggu is nowhere to be seen. It's still him who has the final say. Many people looked at Wobing, but Wobing looked calm and said nothing. First of all, as the master of the harem, I will undoubtedly lead the harem. The assessment of the maids in the palace will be managed by me and will be a unified assessment. Secondly, the 4 concubines will no longer manage the promotion, assessment, and contract renewal of the maids. Finally, His Majesty agreed that the harem should be responsible for its own profits and losses, that is, to set up a market. The first 2 are about centralization of power. Everyone had already anticipated this. After all, there was a queen, so how could she allow the 4 concubines to control the power? Although Li Wuyu and others were unwilling, they had no choice. A higher-ranking official can crush people to death, and the legal wife is the legal wife and has absolute say. But the third one puzzled the girls. Sister, what does this mean by self-financing and self-loss? Li Wuyu frowned and said, does it mean that we have to earn our own salary? Isn't this the most ridiculous thing in the world? Yes, since ancient times, the harem has been funded by the Queen's treasury and supported by the national treasury. How can we be responsible for it ourselves? It's not like Day's treasury is empty and without silver. I heard that at least 200 million aisles of silver were deposited into the treasury this year. How much silver can our harem use? Even if it takes 100 years, it would not be possible to use up all this silver. Many people are very resistant to this. Xianing was now desperate and sneered, being responsible for your own profits and losses. Isn't this competing with the people for profit? If outsiders knew that we women earn money to support the family, wouldn't they laugh to death? It may even damage your majesty's dignity. What you said is not entirely without reason. Xiaoji and Jia did not deny the issues they raised due to the concepts of the times. These were also mainstream concepts. She pondered for a moment and said, there are nearly 2,300 people in the harem now in just 3 years. The population of the harem has quadrupled, and the expenditure has also quadrupled. Because the harem implements a employment system, the salaries of each official rank are transparent. For example, Sister Wu, although only a 6th rank official, had a salary of 800 coins, equivalent to about 80 tiles of silver per month. There were also cloth, household appliance purchase coupons, and some benefits, which added up to 100 tiles of silver. A is now unwilling to keep slaves, but it can hire servants, and also sign a contract. But it cannot sign a contract to sell itself. You can buy prisoners of war and use them as slaves, and this is not allowed. Her salary is more than enough to support a family of 10. Even the lowest ranking maids receive 100 YEBI a month compared to the high salaries of the Song dynasty. The salary of a 9th rank official was only 30 guan a year, plus 40 guan in bonuses. Including other rewards, it would not exceed 100 guan. Of course, embezzlement and gifts were not counted. I implemented a policy of high salaries to maintain integrity, and the annual salary expenditure was also a large sum of money. Nowadays, Day no longer uses copper coins, cloth or grain to deduct salaries. With so many people in the palace, at this rate it would only be a matter of time before the number exceeded 3,000. Including the expenses for concubines, the annual expenditure would not be less than 1.5 million taels of silver. What kind of concept is this? When she was the empress, the annual tax revenue of the entire Daqian was less than 5 million taels. This 1.5 million is almost 1/3 of the tax revenue, but now it is just enough to support a harem. Converted into leaf coins, that would be 15 million coins. It just so happened that Day's harem was different from that of other dynasties, so she proposed reforms to Li Yuan. Li Yuan also expressed his agreement. It's not that Xiao Ji and Jia is trying to be different, but that she understands Li Yuan's thoughts and ideas. She just wanted to help him do this. That's all. Thinking of this, she continued, so, reform is imperative. The harem cannot rely on the national treasury for food, let alone live off the national treasury. Chapter 551. Killing 3 birds with 1 stone. The girls couldn't accept it and their faces turned ugly. Sister, I think this matter should be considered carefully. With so many people in the palace, it's easy to run into problems if we make changes rashly. Yes, if we succeed it's fine. But if we fail, won't we be laughed at? Xiaoning said coldly, Sister, and I will not participate. My salary is paid by the court. I don't ask for anything, I just want a stable life. Please forgive me, sister. I haven't finished speaking yet. Are you sure you want to refuse? Xiao Ji and Jia said calmly. Are you sure you don't want to hear me finish? Luo Bing said, my ladies, please listen to what the queen has to say. It doesn't matter. Anyone who doesn't want to participate in the reform can stand up. Sister Wu, you just need to register. The salary will definitely not stop anyway. We have His Majesty in the court, so they will not starve. Xiao Ji and Jia picked up the teacup and said leisurely, as if she didn't care about them. Luo Bing didn't know what Xiao Ji and Jia wanted to do. But she had just taken office, and she was so anxious to seize power and make reforms. Was she too hasty? If you want to change everyone's mind, it won't happen overnight. Yes, Your Majesty. Luo Bing sighed in her heart. What else could she say? She couldn't just deny her a way out in front of so many people. Sister Wu, I won't participate, Xiaoning said lightly. If there is anyone who doesn't want to participate, please tell me. Don't worry. I always respect other people's opinions. I will never force them, nor will I make things difficult for anyone, Xiao Ji and Jia said generously. But too many people, this is a blatant threat. Many people smiled bitterly. Xiaoning glanced at a few people. Those people gritted their teeth and said, Sister, we won't participate either. These people all cling to Xiaoning's thighs. Xiao Ji and Jia took a quick look and saw that there were 10 of them. This shows how good Xiaoning is at research. Mu Rongwanking hurriedly said, Sister, no matter what you do, I support you. She was a blonde, blue-eyed foreigner who had no presence in the palace. She relied entirely on her singing voice and ventriloquisms. She and His Majesty were just friends on a par with Guan and Bao, and there was no genuine love between them. This made her extremely anxious. Before, he had tried to curry favor with Honggu, and it seemed like he had succeeded, but who would have thought that she would actually run away? This is a good opportunity. As long as I can curry favor with Xiao Ji and Jia, I will definitely not suffer any loss. These people are really confused. A concubine wants to go against the wife. I'm afraid they don't know how much the emperor and the empress dowager love Xiao Jianjia. Although no dragon son was born, it was a matter of time. Xiao Jianjia nodded. My sister is thoughtful. As she spoke, she continued to look at the others. Anyone else wants to withdraw? Report it as soon as possible, then don't participate in the next plan, and don't ask about it. The salary and personal allowance will not be reduced by a cent, and I will not interfere. Since I have nothing to do here anymore, I'll take my leave. Xi Yining didn't want to stay any longer, so she got up and left without even saying goodbye. Many people frowned at this disrespectful behavior. It seemed that the conflict between her and the queen was getting deeper and deeper. But the others just watched and didn't dare to say anything. Xi Yining is so arrogant because he has the support of Jing dynasty officials behind him. Xiao Jianjia is domineering because he has status, position, support, and military achievements. What do these princesses from small countries have? I saw that concubine Li didn't say a word. Xiao Jianjia looked at Li Wuyu and asked, Sister, do you want to know about the plan too? Yes. Sister, I want to understand the plan before making a decision. If the plan is good, I am willing to contribute my strength. Not far from her was Shang Wanmo, as he was the most diligent in just 3 years. She went from being an ordinary maid to a director under the Shang Yi Bureau. An 8th-rank female official. But she has always had Li Wuyu's back. In the past 2 years, she has been trying to attract the emperor's attention. Unfortunately, the emperor is a humble gentleman. Even though there are beautiful palace maids in the palace, he only treats them as subjects. She has no chance at all. Such stunning beauty naturally has no place to be used. Unless he can replace Wobing, he will have a lot of opportunities to get close to His Majesty and successfully ascend to the throne. Now that Xiao Jianjia has come to power, the first thing he does is to reorganize the harem. From this, it can be seen that the reform of the 6 bureaus and 24 departments is also inevitable. Okay, Xiao Jianjia nodded, then looked at everyone and said, the harem is responsible for its own profits and losses. So there will definitely be problems in the early stages. For example, if we want to be responsible for our own profits and losses, then we must have our core product, which is business. However, we cannot connect to the outside world, and this is a limitation. The space inside the palace is limited, so if we want to be self-sufficient, we still have to look outside. This is a restriction. Palace maids are not allowed to leave the palace without permission, including concubines. Even she, the queen, cannot leave the palace casually. From ancient times to the present, women who go out in public to do business have been ridiculed. If there is a husband at home, and this husband will not be able to hold his head up in front of outsiders, this is why Xi Yining said that it is a disgrace to His Majesty. Secondly, it is to compete with the people for profit. Xiao Jianjia also has a solution. Since we have to go out to solve the industrial problem, it will not be a private industry, but a state-owned enterprise in day. There are more than 2,000 maids in the palace. Those with excellent grades can take the exam and be sent out to serve as officials, but not everyone is suitable to be an official. This requires more space to accommodate them. They have spent their best years in the palace, so we must make proper arrangements. This arrangement should neither be a burden to the court nor a strain on the country. So, being self-sufficient is the key. Li Wuyu seemed to be thinking about something when Xiao Jianjia proposed this plan. She thought it was a fantasy, but with this operation, it would become a state-owned enterprise, and use the revenue of the state-owned enterprise to be responsible for the profit and loss and operation of the harem. This would indeed be a good thing. It can not only reduce the burden on the court, but also properly arrange the palace maids. After all, it is impossible for the palace maids to always be the same group of people. New palace maids enter the palace every year. In another year or two, the first batch of palace maids will take exams and leave the palace, and there will be good positions for them. As for Xiao Jianjia, she was the first to attack. It must be said that she had a long-term vision that was truly unmatched by ordinary people. She sighed softly. From this point of view, she was indeed amazing. Shang Guanmoli, who was standing by, was also stunned. A revenue from state-owned enterprises was used to cover the expenses of the harem, which not only paid taxes but also reduced the burden on the court and could also accommodate the female officials. Kill 3 birds with 1 stone. This plan is perfect. No wonder His Majesty agreed. She thought to herself, I'm afraid concubine Xia will regret leaving now. The queen has won the hearts of all the maids in the harem with this move. No matter what she does, she won't be able to turn the tables. Chapter 550 to Direction Selection. It's just that right now, the most important thing is the layout of the industry. There are only women in the palace, so it's not easy for them to leave without permission. Therefore, I decided to apply to His Majesty to find a place nearby to serve as an industrial site. And you will be picked up by a special car. Some space can also be freed up in the palace to run workshops. In the past, most of the industries in the palace were textiles. At nowadays textile industry is semi-mechanized and operates at a very high speed. Looms are moving faster than ever before. Therefore, it is not easy to use textiles as a breakthrough point again. Most state-owned enterprises are based on monopoly and specialization. So we need competitive products. Xiao Ji and Jia looked at everyone and said, research and development is a must. What men can do, we women can do too. The direction of female officials is not necessarily to be officials music, law, scientific research, engineering etc. are all our directions. Sister, besides weaving and sewing, what other special skills do we have? A concubine smiled bitterly and said, you also said that the looms are very fast now. One machine is equivalent to 10 people weaving day and night, unless we buy machines. But this also requires capital. I heard that a machine is very expensive, even the cheapest one requires several thousand yi coins. If you want to develop it into an industry and feed more than 2,000 people, you will need at least 500 machines, or even more than 1,000. The most important thing is that so many machines require manpower. We can't let all the maids go to work. Who will do all the things in the harem? Do they still need to take the exam? And they complete so much work? As the saying goes, what is worrying is not the lack of wealth but the inequality of wealth. If you favor some and mistreat others, people will definitely have something to say if this continues for a long time. Yes, that's a problem too. Sister, innovation is good, but if there is no direction, it is easy to go wrong. It's like setting up an industry outside the palace. If someone in the palace leaves the palace and something happens during this period, who will be responsible? Palace maids were not allowed to leave the palace because they were afraid of having secret meetings with people outside if they got pregnant. It would be a big deal. What if this palace maid had ulterior motives and seduced the emperor, lying that this was the emperor's child? This kind of thing has happened in history. Those who break precedents will never have a good ending. Xiao Ji and Jia pressed her hand and said, I'm just telling you first that in 3 days, I will come up with a detailed plan that will surely satisfy you. If you have any good suggestions, you can also put them forward and I will adopt them. I definitely can't manage such a big thing by myself. I will need the help of my sisters when the time comes. As soon as these words were spoken, the girls' eyes lit up. So, as long as they behaved well, they could be in charge? What the queen meant was that no matter who it was, even if not one of the 4 concubines, as long as they performed well, they could take power. For a moment, the women's minds became active. Lo Bing sighed, and finally understood Xiao Ji and Jia's plans. He thought, I was overthinking. Your Majesty's move is really amazing. She removed the unstable factor without making a fuss, and took the opportunity to win over a group of people. In order to get promoted, these people will definitely agree with her. This is a really smart move. Sister is wise. Sister is smart, she will definitely come up with a suitable solution. Wurong W. Wanking said thoughtfully, Sister, although I don't understand, I have also read some newspapers. At present, the largest industry for women in day is the textile industry. Moreover, the textile industry is not just textiles. It involves all aspects from mulberry leaf planting, cultivation, silkworm breeding to the stripping of silk cocoons. This depends on whether we are doing high-end or low-end business. At present, the largest textile factories in the country are state-owned factories. Although there are small workshops in the private sector, most of them are mid and downstream material suppliers. Even today, day's textile industry has undergone earth-shaking changes. For example, silk, although still expensive, was affordable for ordinary people. This is the benefit of the Industrial Revolution. If we want to run a state-owned enterprise, we must first have the qualifications and technology to have a monopoly. As for the direct flow of salt and iron, we don't have to think about it. Therefore, this job must be suitable for women and requires certain threshold skills. I have a few good ideas here. First, the pastry chef. Second, bouquet planting. Third, paper cutting and high-end embroidery. Fourth, engage in the women's cosmetics industry. Fifth, talent cultivation, medical care, etc. All the women present looked at Mu Rong W. Anking with surprised expressions. There's something about this woman. Most of them only knew how to please the emperor and thought about how to gain more favor, so they would never care about these things. Xiao Ji and Jia was also thoughtful and her thoughts were scattered. Sister, what you said makes sense, I will consider it carefully. She smiled and paid more attention to Mu Rong W. Anking. Among so many people, only she could speak clearly and logically regardless of whether she is really capable or not. She can promote 1 or 2 more. Today's tea party ends here. I hope all sisters will brainstorm. If you have better ideas, you can come to me. Yes. Sister. Don't worry, sister, if you have any good ideas, be sure to tell me as soon as possible. The women dispersed. Xiao Ji and Jia breathed a sigh of relief. Sister Wo, do you have any good ideas? Your Majesty, I am stupid and don't have any good ideas, but if your Majesty needs anything, I will definitely help you. She was not an ambitious person, but her needlework skills were top-notch in the palace. Moreover, she is a traditional person. Although she does not approve of Xiao Jianjia going out to work in public, she has no objection after following Lu Yuan for so many years. She just thinks that Xiao Jianjia is ambitious and enterprising. Today's series of moves to win over and divide them have managed to make this group of people obedient. Although Honggu is good, she is still far inferior to Xiao Jianjia in this aspect. Okay. Sister Luo's words are enough. Xiao Jianjia smiled and didn't say much. Soon, this matter caused an uproar in the harem. Privately, some people mocked Xiao Jianjia for overestimating her own abilities. Some people also think that Xiao Jianjia is too impatient. Some even thought that Xiao Jianjia had ulterior motives. Who could have an independent harem? But so what? She is the queen after all. Xi Yining was so angry that she went to find Lu Yuan and told him about it. I support whatever my sister wants to do, but it's just that it's not appropriate for a woman to show her face outside. Besides, I'm pregnant and sleepy every day. And everyone knows about it. You can't go to work with a big belly, right? Your Majesty. Please try to persuade my sister. Lu Yuan sighed. Okay, I get it. Go back. If you don't want to get involved in this, then don't get involved. You won't make a difference anyway. You will not be short of the salary you deserve. But if you don't want to participate, then don't hold me back no matter what happens in the harem. Don't ask about it. Chapter 553, Teaching Wife. Your Majesty, I also have good intentions. Xi Yining said agreeably. However, Lu Yuan was unmoved. He became increasingly cold towards her after she had acted like a demon many times. He did like Xi Yining's little fox girl in red, but she was not irreplaceable. This woman insists on thinking that she is irreplaceable. Indeed. He still needed her identity to stabilize the surrendered ministers of Jing dynasty, but it was no longer that important. Go down. Lu Yuan waved his hand slightly impatiently. Xi Yining pouted in grievance, not daring to say anything, and left sadly. She didn't even think about the fact that at yesterday's wedding, the originally designated queen became Xiao Jianjia. So how many people were looking for Lu Yuan today? Lu Yuan kept everyone outside. Kai Yongshu, this big troll, couldn't be stopped and came in with Cao Wei and Hu. Lu Yuan must give everyone an explanation. What can Lu Yuan do? He can only find a way to exonerate Honggu, otherwise we will be charged with the crime of deceiving the emperor. But even so, it still took a lot of effort. Without Cao Wei and Hu telling him, he knew that there were a lot of rumors among the people. Some people say that Xiao Jianjia took advantage of her power to bully others and stepped on Honggu. Some people also said that Xiao Jianjia was proud of his achievements and caused a big disturbance in the palace. What's worse, they even poured night incense on Prince Qian's palace. This is not the most bizarre thing. Some people also said that Honggu eloped with someone on her wedding day. Lu Yuan wore a hat for no reason, and he was so angry that he didn't eat much all day. Xi Yining even came over to ask for green tea, and I was almost having an attack of stupidity. Isu looked at the exhausted Lu Yuan and said distressed, Your Majesty, please eat something. I don't have an appetite. Lu Yuan waved his hand and said, let's go to Fudi Palace. Not long after, he arrived at Fudi Palace. Suppressed all his negative emotions, and without notifying anyone, he pushed the door open and entered. He saw Xiao Jianjia sitting at the desk, biting the tip of a pen. In a daze. When he walked in front of her, she finally responded, Why is your Majesty here? Then he put down his pen and looked outside. It's getting dark. Is it time for dinner? Your Majesty? Lu Yuan smiled, walked over, took a look at the things on the table, hugged her and let her sit on his lap. I heard that you dealt with Xi Yining today. She went to file a complaint? It's not a complaint. I just came here to complain. That's just a complaint. Xiao Jianjia snorted. I know she's not convinced by me and is being sarcastic. But considering that she's pregnant with my son, I don't bother to argue with her. Just do something. You are so generous. I thought you wanted revenge. She is just a woman with limited horizons. What's the point of taking revenge on her? It was just a verbal dispute. She didn't do anything wrong at most. I will give her a verbal warning. Lest others think that Xiao Jianjia, am narrow-minded. You are not narrow-minded, Lu Yuan said with a double meaning. Xiao Jianjia blushed slightly, and then said, Your Majesty, you came just in time. This is the plan I wrote. Lu Yuan nodded, picked up the plan and read it carefully. After a long while, he put the plan down and said, This plan. Can it be implemented? Xiao Jianjia looked at him nervously, with urgent eyes. In fact, I didn't plan to establish a queen at the beginning, so I divided the palace maids into 4 groups and let the 4 concubines manage them. I trained these female officials into qualified talent so that they could fill the needs of the local areas after leaving the palace. But then I thought about it. If a new batch of talents is produced every 5 years, then the palace is like a 5-year school. There are only so many people coming and going. If we spread the people from this school across the country, it will not be enough. So your majesty means that all of my efforts are in vain? That's not the case. Education reform in Day is imperative in Day. Both men and women can study, take exams, work, and even become officials. This view is only prevalent in the Jingshao area, while 90 of the places in China are relatively conservative. So next, I want to break this old view. Therefore the harem plays a leading role. Since we are taking the lead, we must do it well. Li Yuan explained in a gentle voice, you want the harem to be self-sufficient without the court having to pay for it, which is of course a good thing if it works. You can continue to recruit more beautiful girls into the palace. 3 to 5,000 people will do. As long as we can afford it, we can train more relevant talents. But this brings up a problem. Xiao Ji and Jia seem to be thinking about something. The harem is not allowed to interfere in government affairs. Yes. That's exactly the problem. That's why I'm also having a headache about the harem. If the news of your reforms in the harem spreads, those people will definitely report it to the emperor. And it won't be just 100 people, they will say that I'm defying the will of the world and breaking a taboo that has been forbidden for many years in time. It will lead to disaster. Li Yuan said with a wry smile. Xiao Ji and Jia was also a little disappointed. I took it for granted and didn't think of this. However, your method is also very good. As long as the court doesn't have to pay, I can shut these people up if I just give them a job to make a living. That would be simple. Innovation cannot be achieved overnight. There are still many people in Day who are old-fashioned and traditional and they're thinking we need to take it slow. Li Yuan hugged her and said, perfume industry, rouge industry, embroidery industry, pharmaceutical industry, all of these are fine. If you want technology, I can give you some technology to help you monopolize this industry and become the leading enterprise in the industry. But this is not enough. We also need to constantly update technology. Having our own core competitiveness is the key. Even though Day only has the city of Biaoyang, it can hold a universal conference. Why? Isn't it because of core competitiveness? We have what others don't. Even if it is just ordinary salt making technology, it is better than those people and can produce a large amount of salt. It's the same thing you're going to do. Xiao Ji and Jia nodded. Then can you teach me, help me choose a direction? Li Yuan thought for a while and said, you are still a doctor. Set up a medical center in the palace and train professional medical students. They will be used both inside and outside the palace. This is also something that others cannot imitate, but this is an expenditure item and cannot support the independence of the harem. So a money-making project is also needed. Medicine is not suitable because it requires a huge amount of money to support research. Without an investment of 3 to 5 million a year, no effect will be seen. Cosmetics can be promoted by Chen Xin. By using the banner of Imperial Palace Supplies, sales can be quickly opened up. In addition, perfumes, accessories, embroidery, and clothing can all be combined together to form a large state-owned brand. But this requires professional marketing, and I happen to have marketing methods that can ensure that the harem industry can achieve profitability or even break even within a year. But if you want, you should give me something to thank me. Right? Li Yuan smiled playfully and rubbed his hands on the smooth stockings. Chapter 554, Husband and Wife United. Xiao Ji and Jia felt that her core had been lost. The rough big hands tossed and tossed her, almost blowing her soul away. Her breathing became a little faster, her slender swan neck straightened up involuntarily, and she subconsciously let out a hot hum from her throat. His Majesty. She felt her heart tremble. Your Majesty. Didn't you feel happy last night? That's the bridal chamber. What I want is gratitude. For some reason, Li Yuan loved to tease her. Now he just liked to see this iceberg turn into a pool of spring water under his hands. What does your Majesty wish to thank you for? If I say it, it won't be a thank you, it will be a request. Xiao Ji and Jia felt as if all the strength in her body had been drained away. Her head rested softly on Li Yuan's shoulder. The fragrance she exhaled sprinkled on Li Yuan's neck, making her feel itchy. Then, let your Majesty deal with me however you want. Xiao Ji and Jia said in a delicate voice. Her former arrogance and coldness now completely lost their meaning in front of Li Yuan, and her truest self was revealed. Feeling her bottom line, But there are maids and eunuchs here, so we can't just act recklessly. Looking at Li Yuan's mischievous look, I felt a little ashamed and annoyed, but I also loved the way he was. Okay, you said it. Li Yuan stopped playing tricks but did not leave. He whispered a rather excessive request in her ear. Xiao Ji and Jia's face suddenly turned red, and she bit her lower lip and said, as your Majesty will do? She felt that if she continued like this, she would not be able to bear it any longer. It would be embarrassing if she got him into trouble. She gritted her teeth and said, since Honggu is not here, I will raise Hu Zihuanhuan also likes this little brother very much. Li Yuan nodded. After one night, his anger had subsided. Alo sent people to track down Honggu, but she seemed to have evaporated from the face of the earth and disappeared without a trace. Also disappearing was her master, Zhu Xiangyu. This woman, perhaps knowing that she had done something wrong this time, dared not reveal her tracks. Although Liu Yuan was angry, he didn't want her to get hurt. But when he thought about the unification of Middle-earth, it would be relatively stable overall with her skills, she should not be bullied. However, who will raise Huzi is indeed a problem. Now that Xiao Jianjia took the initiative to propose, he was very happy. Okay, thank you for your hard work. You and I are one as husband and wife, this is what I should do. Xiao Jianjia hugged his neck, her eyes full of tenderness. No matter how she became the queen, Li Yuan's kindness to her was enough. You will be in charge of taking care of those children. Li Yuan made up his mind and decided to continue using some of the old methods, but with just a few changes. No matter whose child it is, the queen will raise him or her, and the biological mother cannot be called mother but only aunt. This is because of the relationship between legitimate and illegitimate children. Although Xiao Jianjia is not their biological mother, they have to call her mother. Now I think that this is not only to protect the queen and the legitimate son, but also to protect these illegitimate children and their biological mothers. If the child is raised by his biological mother, problems will inevitably arise over time. If you show your intention to seize the throne, the queen will have countless ways to deal with you. Some rules are indeed unreasonable, but they must be the result of lessons learned through blood. The inheritance law also needs to be changed. Li Yuan thought so. My father has a long-term vision. I think I still don't fully understand his advice. As a time traveler, it is naturally unreasonable for him to look at these rules from the perspective of a later generation. But in fact, the constraints of morality and etiquette are a long process to form. Being half a step ahead of others is a genius, being one step ahead is a monster. He is the emperor, so he needs to be more cautious about some things. At this moment, I finally understood what it means to govern a big country like cooking a small fish. Xiao Jianjia frowned slightly. I just came up. You are so anxious, am I? Isn't this as it should be? It was fine before the position of queen was vacant. But now there is a queen, this is the real thing. If you are afraid of hard work, forget it. Li Yuan said half-jokingly. I'm not afraid of hard work, this is my job, Xiao Jianjia said. I'm just afraid that I won't be able to devote too much energy to taking care of these children. Besides, Huan is already so old, it's time for me to give her a little brother. Li Yuan's heart warmed up looking at his wife's shy appearance. He lost all thoughts of reviewing the memorials. Is it? Xiao Jianjia was extremely embarrassed. She used to think that she should just let things take their course, but now that she was the queen, she knew it was not her place to meddle in matters that were not her business. Naturally, she wanted to give birth to a son to clear her name. At the very least, Li Yuan should be able to have a say when facing his subjects and the people. I've calculated the time, and these 2 days are just the right time, Xiao Jianjia said in a low voice. Then what are you waiting for? Li Yuan took out his hand, his fingers were white, and he smirked. It's getting late, shall we take a lunch break? Your Majesty, Baishuan. We have just gotten married, so it is normal for them to be in love now. It is the right thing to do to give Huan a brother. Even if the officials knew about this, they would not blame me. Your Majesty, you are bullying me under the pretext of state affairs. Holding the beauty. He came to the study. Afterwards, Xiao Jianjia Xian was sweating profusely, her black hair was stuck to her face, the blush had not yet faded, and her eyes were full of confusion. No, Xiao Jianjia pursed her dry lips and said in a hoarse voice. Li Yuan took a deep breath, and the dissatisfaction he had felt in mediating with his ministers during the day disappeared. He picked up a cigarette and Xiao Jianjia lit it for him sensibly. Li Yuan exhaled a of smoke. Once upon a time, this was the scene in his dream. Now that it had come true, it still felt unreal. You have a good rest. I'll ask Sister Luo to bring some food. Don't think too much for the next 2 days, I'll give you the plan later. Things in the palace just need to be done according to the plan. I won't care no matter who makes the report. I know you want to help me, but don't push yourself too hard. The treasury is not short of money right now, so I don't need you to save money for me. Li Yuan said as he stroked Xiao Jianjia's jade back. I know you have great ambitions and want to create a country that is unprecedented and will never be repeated. As your wife, how can I hold you back? It is true that the national treasury is not short of silver now, but this may not be the case in the future. It is also a good thing that the harem is responsible for its own profits and losses. Since I am the queen, I must truly be the mother of the country. Just taking care of the husband and children in the palace, doing embroidery and needlework, that is just the stereotype of women in the palace. You often say that women can hold up half the sky, so what I have to do is to hold up my half of the sky for the world to see. Chapter 555, Why do women have to make things difficult for other women? The next day, Li Yuan issued an edict to send all the children to be raised in Fudi Palace. For a moment, there was crying in the harem. No, my daughter, why should I let someone else raise her? Xi Ning held her daughter and refused to agree. I know, it must be Xiao Ji and Jia, this woman, she is so heartless. A child is so young, how can she be separated from her biological mother? Li Weiyu's eyes dimmed in fact. She had guessed this would happen ever since Xiao Ji and Jia took power. Earlier, she had secretly tested Honggu, but Honggu was simple-minded and denied it outright, saying that she would not take the child to raise. But how can Xiao Ji and Jia be compared to Honggu? Taking back power is only the first step, and taking the child over to be raised is the second step. These concubines have completely become breeding machines. Sister, the queen is too impatient, said Li Baiyu, who is pregnant. A decree was issued by His Majesty. Who can say she is wrong? Didn't you see that my father-in-law and mother didn't move? In a simple sense, this is a rule that has existed since ancient times. In a general sense, this is the distinction between legitimate and illegitimate and illegitimate children. Even if the officials knew about it, they would just nod in praise. Li Weiyu saw it very clearly. But I don't want to be separated from my children, Li Baiyu said with a bitter face. When I was a child, I left my biological mother and lived with many sisters. I was happy, but how many of them were treated fairly? When the child grows up, he or she will no longer have any feelings for the biological mother. My son was fine, but my daughter was engaged when she was 13 or 14 years old. The most painful thing is that the child who came out of my belly cannot call me mother. Sis, this isn't fair. Li Weiyu sighed. So what if it's unfair? If we give in to her, our lives will be better in the future. If we are more proactive, children will also feel more fair and just. Fortunately, she only has one daughter at the moment, so she won't do anything too excessive. Someone, bring the child here. Soon, the wet nurse brought the child to Li Weiyu. Looking at her son, tears welled up in his eyes. Even though he was very reluctant, he had no choice but to send the child to Fudi Palace. Son, it's not that mother is cruel, it's that mother has no choice. Li Weiyu choked. She came to Fudi Palace with the child in her arms, and found that many people were there. Xiaoning even knelt in front of Xiao Ji and Jia and cried and begged, Sister, this child is shy. Can you wait until he is 1 year old before sending him here? Xiao Ji and Jia knew the pain of separation from her loved ones, and seeing Xiaoning's humble appearance, she felt unhappy. So she said, the child is with me, and she has not left the palace. You can still see him every day. Why act like this? You were born and raised in the palace, so you should understand this rule. You kneel down and beg me because you love your child so deeply. I can understand that. But it's wrong for you to frame me. Those who know you think you have a close relationship as mother and daughter, while those who don't think I am bullying you and abusing the child. Xiao Ji and Jia said calmly, Xiaoning, why should a woman embarrass another woman? Xiaoning trembled all over, and said bitterly, Sister, I didn't embarrass you, I just can't bear it. Don't you want to reform the harem? I support you. I definitely support you. You are wrong again. Putting the child in Fudi Palace to be raised is not a question of whether you support me or not. If you support me, the child will come to Fudi Palace. If you don't support me, the child will still come. This is the rule. A rule that has existed since ancient times. Xiao Ji and Ji explained and then ignored Xiaoning. Sister, do you really want to force me to death? Xiaoning gritted her teeth. Xiao Ji and Jia said calmly, no one forced you with so many eyes watching. How can you blackmail me? If you are not convinced, just go and find His Majesty. I can tell you very bluntly that if you disobey the constraints in my orders, you can start your own business. I can even ask His Majesty to build a residence for you outside the palace so that you can live alone outside the palace. I will never interfere with any of your problems in the future. If I, Xiao Ji and Jia, try to trip you up or play tricks on you, I am not worthy of being the queen. Xiaoning's tricks were of no use to her. And he didn't care at all. Xiaoning gritted her teeth, her eyes full of hatred. Okay, sister is indeed the master of the harem, her heart is as hard as iron. Sister, you are too kind. Xiao Ji and Jia had seen a lot of storms and waves, and then looked at the other concubines and said, I keep my word. If anyone does not want to raise their children in Fudi Palace, please let me know. I agree that you can leave the palace and set up your own government without the approval of your majesty. The salary will be given as usual. And the harem will never interfere with your lives in the future. Everyone was silent, terrified of Xiao Ji and Jia's methods. Leave the queen and set up a government office. Are they qualified? If you really stand up, you will be eliminated in minutes. How could your majesty agree to such a ridiculous thing? Looking at Xiaoning, who looked distraught, everyone felt pity for her. The concubines who were originally subordinate to Xiaoning also began to waver at this moment. I knew that the person in front of them was not Honggu, who was a man of his word and would not be persuaded by any persuasion. She had the attitude that those who obeyed me would prosper, while those who disobeyed me would perish. After all, she was a former empress, and her methods and scheming were simply incomparable to Xi Yining's. Thinking of this, everyone felt panicked. Wow, it's so lively. Li Wuyu just listened to what was going on nearby, and felt distracted in his heart. If he were like Xi Yining, he would probably not get any benefit. Sister, I'm late, please forgive me. Li Wuyu stepped forward and saluted with a smile. Sister, there's no need to be so polite. Seeing that she was holding the child, Xiao Ji and Jia hurried over to support her and prevent her from bowing. Our little pony is sleeping so soundly. Xiao Ji and Jia looked at the child in Li Wuyu's arms and laughed. The child's full name is Lu Wuji, and his nickname is Little Pony. He is fair, chubby and very cute. This child is so lucky with my sister raising and caring for him. He will definitely become a successful person in the future. Please rest assured, sister, when this child grows up, he will definitely be filial to me. Li Wuyu's eyes were full of reluctance, but there was no reluctance on his face. Let me hold the child. Xiao Ji and Jia held the child in her arms, her eyes full of love. Wuyu, don't worry, I will treat this child as my own. I dare not say that I will treat him equally, but I will definitely not let this child suffer any grievances. But if this child makes mistakes in the future, I will still educate him. I just hope you don't think I'm mistreating the child. Something should be said in advance to avoid any rift between the two in the future. It is a blessing for this child to be educated by his elder sister. Li Wuyu lowered his eyebrows and looked pleasant. And all the girls were in a trance. Li Baiyu was very angry but didn't dare to say anything. The other concubines were even more afraid to speak. Even Li Wuyu bowed his head. How could they be qualified to compete with Xiao Ji and Jia? Chapter 556, The Tiger Eats the Girl. Xiao Ji and Jia nodded regardless of whether Li Wuyu was sincere or not. Her attitude was very good. No matter what, she would not treat the child unfairly. As for Xi Yining, he felt even more helpless. She knew very well that if she didn't give up the child now, when the child was born, if it was a boy it would be fine. But if it was a girl, her future life would be very difficult. Unless Li Yuan pampers her, but in fact, Li Yuan hasn't touched her for a long time, and he is no longer as patient with her as before. Most of the time, he is impatient. Just at this moment, the daughter in her arms started crying. Xiao Ji and Jia handed the child to the nurse and looked at Xi Yining. If you don't want to give the child to me, go back, I won't force you. Give it to me, I'll give it to you. Xi Yining took a deep breath and reluctantly handed her daughter over. Since my sister said so, I will definitely give it to you. Although Xi Yining was a bad person, Xiao Ji and Jia was not the kind of petty person who would vent her anger on a child. But just when she was about to pick up the child, Xi Yining suddenly let go. At that moment, the child fell down instantly. Oh no, child! Xiao Ji and Jia was shocked and angry, and quickly went to grab the child. She never thought that Xi Yining would do such a thing. This was her own flesh and blood. Because the incident happened suddenly, people around did not react in time. All that was heard was a scream from Xiao Ji and Jia, and the hand that was originally holding the child was empty. Xi Yining's hands were empty, and the child was nowhere to be seen. Oh, Wobing was also present. Seeing this scene, she was also overwhelmed. Little princess. Although this child is a princess, she is also quite loved by His Majesty. If anything goes wrong, Xiao Ji and Jia will be held responsible. A hint of madness flashed in Xi Yining's eyes. But just when she thought she had succeeded, Xiao Ji and Jia grabbed the child before it hit the ground. Xiao Ji and Jia is also skilled in martial arts, and has not slacked off at all during his years in the army. However, what Xiao Ji and Jia did not expect was that the child's clothes were suddenly torn. Bang! The child fell right to the ground. Wow! In an instant, the cry of a child resounded throughout the Fudi Palace. Child, my child! Xi Yining burst into tears and quickly held the child who had fallen to the ground in her arms. Doctor, call the doctor quickly, my child is injured, hurry up! All the women gasped, and looked at Xiao Ji and Jia in disbelief. This is too vicious. It is human nature to be reluctant to part with one's own flesh and blood. And what's more, Xi Yining is pregnant, so it is even more normal for her to be reluctant to part with her. Don't take your dissatisfaction out on your children. Wo Bing rushed over. Is the little princess okay? Don't come over, don't come over. I don't trust anyone except the imperial physician now. Xi Yining hugged the child tightly at this moment. The child's face turned purple due to crying. It was obvious that he had suffered a serious fall just now. Xi Yining, let the child go quickly, you ray, suffocating her. Although Xiao Ji and Jia was extremely angry, she was afraid that there was something wrong with the child. I'm a doctor, I'll check the child. Hurry up. Sister, I know you don't like me, but you can't take your anger out on such a young child. You are also a mother. If you do this, how can the sisters dare to hand over their children to you? Xi Yining kept begging. I beg you, please let my child go. If you want my life, I will give it to you. Please don't hurt my child. Xiao Jianjia's face looked particularly grim. Quick, go call the imperial physician. The sharp-eyed servant has already gone to inform the imperial physician. Go and call his majesty, that kind-hearted person. Go and call his majesty over. If his majesty doesn't come, I'm afraid the three of us, mother and son, will all die here. Xi Ning saw the opportunity and made the matter bigger and bigger. The entire Fudi palace was bustling with noise. Li Yuan did not come over, but Suexi Yui heard the sound and hurried over. When she arrived, the imperial physician was examining the child. He glanced at the king Xiao Jianjia. Jianjia, what on earth is going on? Before Xiao Jianjia could speak, Xi Ning burst into tears. Mom, please save my child's sister. I gave the child to you, but you deliberately didn't hold on to him firmly. So the child fell from a height now. We don't know what sequel there will be if his brain is damaged. He might become a fool in the future. Suexi Yui looked particularly unhappy, and glanced at Xiao Jianjia in surprise. Is that so? Mother, there are so many eyes in the palace. Do you think I would do such a thing? Xiao Jianjia said. No matter how stupid or angry I am, I would never do anything to a child. If I really wanted to do it, I would do it completely secretly. Why would I do this? Also, do you think I am such a person? I know Jianjia. She's not that kind of person. Suexi Yui shook her head slowly. She knew Xiao Jianjia. She was a very proud person, and would not vent her anger on a child. On the other hand, Xi Ning loves to make trouble. She had heard a little about what was going on in the harem, but she did not show up. Naturally, she expressed support for her daughter-in-law. If these concubines were ignorant and made the harem a mess, she would not let them off easily. In her heart, although these women were all concubines of her children, she only had one daughter-in-law. What do you mean? Did I let go on purpose and hurt my daughter? Xi Ning gritted her teeth and said, Xiao Jianjia, you are not that kind of person. Am I that kind of person? If anything happens to my daughter, I will never forgive you even if I die. Whether it is or not. You know it in your heart. Besides, your method makes me look stupid. She did not show it for the royal family. Offspring have always been very important, even for princesses. The Lu family had few descendants to begin with, so they placed even more emphasis on them. If this matter were to get out, I don't know what kind of damage it would do to my reputation. But she was used to it. She suffered enough blows over the years. She is used to having too much debt. Suexi Yui now knew that this was not the time to ask for censure. So she stepped forward quickly and asked, Doctor, how is my granddaughter? Your Majesty. We can't tell anything for now at present. It seems that the princess is not seriously injured, the imperial physician said truthfully. A child is so delicate, maybe he has internal injuries. Xi Ning said confidently, and then said to Suexi Yui, Mother, I can't give this child to my sister. Since you don't want to hand it over to Jianjia, then hand it over to me. Suexi Yui said calmly, We'll know in a few days whether it's okay or not. Xi Ning was a little surprised, and then said, Mom, how can I let you come for this kind of thing? I can just look after the child. Suexi Yui snorted coldly. You are pregnant, so you don't have to work so hard. I am the child's grandmother, how can I harm her? Chapter 557, Jianjia, I believe you. She had been in the palace for so long and had heard some bad things. Although I have never seen it, that is because her status is too high and those dirty things dare not be performed in front of her. But that doesn't mean she is stupid. If this child were left with Xi Ning, who knows what she would do? If the child is in trouble, I will definitely give you a fair shake. If the child is fine, I will also investigate this matter thoroughly. Suexi Yui brought the child over and touched the child's head. Sure enough, there was a bump on it. She felt distressed and said, We are all parents, we have our own conflict. Show can we involve the child? I don't care how you guys make a fuss, but if anyone dares to vent their anger on the children, I will not let them off easily. Then she said to her little granddaughter, Be good, come back to the palace with grandma, and no one will dare to bully you. Xiao Jianjia said apologetically, Mom, I'm sorry to have caused you trouble. It's my fault that I didn't do it well. Suexi Yui sighed. Don't be impatient, take your time, I am at ease with you and I believe in you. Xiao Jianjia felt warm in her heart. These words undoubtedly cleared her of the grievances and invisibly supported her. Thank you, Mother. I'll take the child away first. But you must keep a close eye on the child. Yes, Mother, don't worry. The same thing will never happen a second time. Xiao Jianjia assured. She understood that Suexi Yui was reminding her. She was also frightened. If she hadn't been quick enough to grab the child would have fallen from such a high place and would have been in serious trouble if not dead. She had torn clothes hidden in her sleeves. The children's clothes were all made by the Construction Supervision Bureau. They were of high quality, and the ones for children were even more finely crafted. It was impossible for them to beat her easily. In other words, Xi Ning was well prepared. This woman was more than just cruel. Even a tiger won't eat its own cubs, but she even schemed against her own flesh and blood. But if you think about yourself, wouldn't your fate be the same as your child's? All parents are calculating towards themselves. That's ridiculous. There really are parents in this world who don't love their children. At this moment, Lu Yuan also arrived. Where is the child? How is the child? Although through hard work, he has more and more children, but in his heart, children are still very important. In addition, he is a time traveler and does not have old-fashioned ideas, so he loves his daughter even more. Because boys will eventually inherit the family business and girls will get married sooner or later, so they should be more concerned about them. Even if he doesn't pay attention to those boys, the women in the harem will spoil them to the sky. Your Majesty, you are finally here. Xi Yining threw herself into Lu Yuan's arms. If you don't come, you won't be able to see me and the child. When the girls saw this, they all felt sad and thought that this woman was too good at acting like a spoiled child and making complaints. Where is she, Woer? Lu Yuan asked. My mother took her away, Xi Yining said with tears in her eyes. Your Majesty, please make a decision for us, mother and daughter. When Lu Yuan learned that his daughter was fine, he breathed a sigh of relief, but at the same time, he was furious. What on earth is going on? Xi Yining sobbed. I gave the child to my sister. But when I let go, she didn't catch the child, and the child fell directly to the ground. Such a small child fell from such a high place, and must have suffered internal injuries. Don't talk nonsense, Lu Yuan said coldly. Jia is not such a person. All the girls were stunned and looked at Lu Yuan with fear in their hearts. This is not right. If Honggu hadn't withdrawn on her own, wouldn't it be Xiao Jianjia's turn to be the queen? If that's the case, why does His Majesty trust her so much? Xiao Jianjia was also quite moved. This incident happened in a flash. So what if she saw it clearly? Who can guarantee it? If anything happens to the child, she will be held responsible whether she is responsible or not, and will inevitably be criticized and despised by everyone. But Lu Yuan did not blame her at the first time. Instead, he trusted her without reservation. At this moment, there were tears in her eyes. How foolish she was to have tried to push away such a good husband. Your Majesty. You, Xi Yining, don't think that others are so stupid and bad. It was okay that she acted like this on a daily basis, and he just thought it was just because she was pregnant and had hormonal disorder. In addition, with the country destroyed, he must be in a bad mood and a little capricious, which is understandable. But what she did today had touched her bottom line. Your Majesty, I didn't do that. How could I hurt my own child? Xi Yining looked hurt. I will investigate this matter thoroughly and find out who was right and who was wrong, Lu Yuan said. Also, I was the one who gave the order, and it was also my intention to bring all the children to Fudi Palace to be raised. If anyone is unwilling, just come and tell me. Don't take your anger out on Jianjia. I have always believed that as long as a family lives in harmony, even if there are some minor frictions, it does not matter. Therefore, many rules are not enforced, just to make everyone live happier. Now I see, I was wrong. Some people take genuine kindness as insulting. The freedom I gave them has become a reason for them to act tyrannical. Lu Yuan rarely gets angry in front of the women. Even though he looked calm this time, everyone could hear his suppressed anger. Regardless of whether Xiao Jianjia did this or not, she is the biggest winner. At least she let everyone see the emperor's attitude. From now on, anyone who wants to make trouble must consider his or her weight in the emperor's heart. Since you are having a hard time, don't blame me, Sister Luo. Just bring out the previous harem management method and use it. Be obedient to me. Anyone who doesn't want to live a good life will be sent to live in the cold palace. Yes, Your Majesty. The women also hurriedly said, Your Majesty, calm down. Xiao Jianjia stepped forward and said, Your Majesty, forget it, it's just an emergency. It's better not to make a big deal and affect others. If the rules were too strict, I wouldn't feel comfortable. Also, I am the queen, and I have to slowly correct the customs in the harem. Lu Yuan sighed and said in front of all the girls, I know you are kind, but if someone takes advantage of you, just deal with it. Whether it's caning or banishment, as long as you have a reason and evidence, I will support you. He glanced at the women, not daring to look at any of them. Thank you, Your Majesty. Xiao Jianjia held Lu Yuan's hand, full of confidence with Lu Yuan's support. She would be able to do more in the harem in the future. Xi Yining looked at Lu Yuan in disbelief, and shouted in grievance, Your Majesty. Lu Yuan ignored her and said to the girls, Go back. Soon, the women left. Lu Yuan looked at these children, his expression softened a little, and he held Xiao Jianjia's hand. Jianjia, I believe you. Chapter 558, Sudden Explosion. I believe in you is better than anything else. In Xiao Jianjia's opinion, this trust is worth more than gold. Xi Yining is extreme and needs to be watched carefully to prevent her from harming the baby in her belly, Xiao Jianjia said. Lu Yuan said somewhat depressed. Maybe because her first child was not a son, she felt a little disappointed she didn't love Xiaoyue and hardly took care of him in the palace. Xiao Jianjia was startled. What a poor child. I originally thought it was just hormones, but now I see it's psychological. Li Yuan shook his head and said helplessly. The truth is self-evident if it is made public, her reputation in the palace will be completely ruined. Xiao Jianjia said. She is constipated but has not yet recovered. Maybe she will get better after the baby is born. Not retaliating is Xiao Jianjia's kindness, but it does not mean that she will tolerate it. Li Yuan held her hand and said, I'm sorry for wronging you. Xianing is not a brainless person. She dares to do this because she is sure that she is pregnant and no one dares to touch her. Until this matter is clarified, it will be a harm to Xiao Jianjia. Aren't there enough rumors about me? Xiao Jianjia said calmly. Who doesn't get scolded behind their back? True and false, false and true. There are too many rumors. And others just listen to them for fun. This is the last time. If she continues to act like a demon, I will not forgive her. Li Yuan said. Xiao Jianjia did not dwell on this issue too much, but talked about the support system. Although Fudi Palace is large, it is also a problem to accommodate so many children. Since we have taken them from their biological mothers, we must take responsibility. Li Yuan nodded and said, let the clan office send people to take notes and select female officials to educate the princes and princesses full-time. Before the age of 3, children are raised together, and after the age of 3, boys and girls are raised separately. A child care department was set up in the palace to take care of children full-time. I will dispatch female soldiers from outside the palace to guard and prevent people with ulterior motives from approaching. The harem should also set up a medical department and select female doctors with excellent medical skills from outside the palace to specialize in pediatrics. The food that children eat must be carefully selected, and every step must be implemented in detail by the person in charge. Make sure to register. In addition, I will build a children's playground in the harem for children to play. At this point, Li Yuan smiled and said, do you have anything else to add? Xiao Jianjia thought for a while and said, also, we need to keep good records of the children's clothing and travel, and try to provide them with a safe environment. Li Yuan nodded. You decide. Raising a child is never an easy thing. Although there are so many people helping, it is natural to raise the child well. If the child is not raised well, it will be troublesome. I save that. The couple discussed it for a long time before finalizing the matter. At this time, the incident of the queen throwing the princess had gradually spread. It started with the harem, and then spread to the entire palace. Su Xiaoyue had just coaxed her child to sleep when she learned that this matter was being spread throughout the palace. She was furious and ordered a thorough investigation of those who spread the rumors. For a time, people were in panic, but the rumors spread much faster than she thought. That afternoon, rumors had already spread outside the palace. The next day, the whole of Ryokyo knew about it. It's like there is an invisible big hand controlling everything. Daiyi's harem is quite chaotic. In the reception hall for foreign officials of the Honglu Temple, Anki said with a half smile. Apu sat on the futon, turning the rosary in his hand, and said, we have been in Liangjing for many days, but things have not progressed yet. It's time to take action. Xubu frowned. How can we do it? We are imprisoned here, and no one can answer us. They neither want to see us nor let us go. The Yi people regard us as their enemies, so how could they let the tiger go back to the mountains? Han Qi's smile disappeared at this moment. He felt that he was stuck in a quagmire and couldn't move at all. It seemed that their purpose was seen through by Lu Yuan. I think Day is not going to reconcile with us. You've made the Buddha angry. Get out and kill him. Api's usual naive look was gone. His face suddenly became ferocious. It's not the right time yet. Han Qi held his hand. At least, we are not completely without gang here. At least we know where the princess is. After secret investigation, they finally learned that Princess Yan Zhi was imprisoned in the prison of Honglu Temple. The eldest princess of the Xiongnu Kingdom was actually detained in prison like a prisoner. Who wouldn't be angry after hearing this? Han Qi dipped his tea in the water and started drawing on the table. This is a rough topographic map of the Honglu Temple. The prison is in the north, 3 or 4 miles away from us, and it is heavily guarded along the way. It will be extremely difficult to rescue the princess. Create chaos, fish in troubled waters, and rescue the princess, Xubu Li said. Do you know how solid Day's prison is? Han Qi glanced at him coldly. The outer wall is built with red bricks and cement, and iron bars are cast inside and sealed with iron liquid. Even using explosives may not be able to blow it open. Besides, do you know the structure of the prison? Then what do you say we should do? If this continues, we will be trapped here to death. Xubu Li said angrily. They hold the princess' life in their hands. We are passive. We can't really agree to Lu Yuan's unreasonable request. Wait a little longer. We need to understand it more carefully. Han Qi wiped the marks on the table with his sleeve. The Imperial Master will see that we haven't been back for a long time, so he must have a way to deal with it. That night, Li Yanla left school. Her schedule is very full now. In addition to studying every day, she also has to write reports to Yimo truthfully. I have to study it every now and then. Recently she bought a set of simple machine tools and started to polish some small gadgets at home. I also built a simple research room. During the 2 years in the palace, research had exhausted all her enthusiasm. Now, her attention is no longer focused on gunpowder research, but specializes in delicious. She just wanted to piss Li Yuan off to death. Miss, you finally came out here. These are freshly baked fried buns and the latest milk tea from Mixue City. Ice cubes are provided. Please drink slowly. Wu was waiting at the school gate. But there was a man following Li Yanla. A trace of vigilance flashed in his eyes, and he said with a bit of hostility, Miss, who is he? Lie you locking around the quarter? Leia, is this your servant? Li Yanla looked at him. Qian San Bao, we are not that familiar with each other, call me Lila. At school, Li Yanla used the alias Lila as he was actually a girl of 18 or 19 years old. She was pretty, with a wisp of white hair on the front of her head, and had good academic performance. Many people pursued her. Qian San Bao is one of them. Thus when Li Yanla was about to find an excuse to get rid of him, suddenly, there was a loud noise coming from the front. Chapter 559, Conspiracy emerges. There was a loud bang. Not far in front of Li Yanla, thick black smoke was rising. Someone was lying in a pool of blood. It happened to be school dismissal. And a large number of students went out. In an instant, the surroundings became chaotic and everyone fled desperately. Qian San Bao was so frightened that he was shaking all over. He screamed for help and rushed into the school. There are not only security guards but also patrolling soldiers in the technical school. Hearing the explosion, he rushed forward to check. Miss, let's go. Wu nervously protected Li Yanla behind him. But at this moment, a man in the crowd rushed into the school like crazy. Oh to hell, all of you, die? A man was blown to pieces on the spot, and at least a dozen students fell to the ground. Blood splattered on Li Yanla's face. Run, Li Yanla panicked. The two of them ran for a while in a panic, only to find that there were many people running towards them anxiously ahead. The sound of explosions one after another came to my ears. Where on earth did the explosion come from? Is it the enemy attacking us? No, this is impossible. This is Liang Jing. How could someone call us? It's impossible. Li Yanla said solemnly, this may be a planned and organized riot. They unified the Middle Earth, but the time is too short after all. Li Yuan killed more royal nobles. There are always some people in this world who are tough and are not afraid of being killed. The outflow of the gunpowder formula also gave these people some power to resist Day. Even though they are still no match for Day, they have the confidence to resist. There are more than 3 million people in this capital city, and how many of them are mixed in? Even if we bring in a little bit of gunpowder, it will definitely be a lot. After analyzing this, Li Yanla calmed down a little, knowing that these people were not coming for him. Let's go home. What happened next was similar to what Li Yanla had guessed on her way home. Explosions occurred in many places in the capital. The explosion sites are all densely populated places such as schools, hospitals, and shopping malls. These people claim to be the remaining ministers of Daqian, which really shocked Li Yanla. This intention is too obvious after several rounds of killing. There are no remaining ministers in Daqian. All the people of the new party have died. Zhao Yi and Xiao Jianjia wrote letters to the emperor several times to express their allegiance. It is rare for Day to get Daqian and get the country's justice. Besides, Day has provided a lot of support to Daqian, and the people live well. It's obvious that someone is jealous of Xiao Jianjia becoming the queen and wants to take the opportunity to frame her. Seeing that Li Yanla was still analyzing with great interest, Wu felt his scalp tingling. Ancestor, if we have anything to say, can we go home first and talk about it? You are a grown man, don't be so timid. This is not a busy city, there won't be any problems. Also, don't underestimate the reaction speed of the day guards. As soon as he finished speaking, he saw the fully armed guards walking towards him quickly with live ammunition. The loudspeaker above the head also sounded, all residents are requested to return home in an orderly manner. The court has now controlled the enemy. Look, I'm telling you. Li Yanla took a bite of pancake and a sip of milk tea. His mouth full, like a hamster. Wu smiled bitterly and said, then we should go back. Alas, Queen Xiao is also pitiful. She temporarily took the place of the queen and was criticized by everyone, but before she could even get comfortable in her seat, she caused another incident of throwing a girl, and clamored for the independence of the harem, which led to rumors that she had ulterior motives. The problem hasn't been solved yet, and this one happened again. If I were Queen Xiao, I would probably even want to die. Li Yanla analyzed the situation, and even felt a little gloating. The relationship between the three kingdoms was not good to begin with. Besides, her sister was still in the palace. In her opinion, her sister was the most suitable person to be the emperor. Chao Ji and Jia didn't give birth to a son. That's good too after all the reputations are ruined. That stinky thing will definitely not be able to bear the pressure. I will depose her and my sister will be able to take over. Aunt, can we go back first and talk about it? Awu almost knelt down in front of her. Go back, the bigger the noise, the better. On the other side, in the official courtyard outside the Honglu temple, Anki sat up straight suddenly and looked outside. What's that sound? He quickly stood up and walked out of the yard, and found that many officials were looking at the door. Where did the explosion come from? Did something serious happen? At this time, the patrol team from the Honglu temple came over and said, It's okay, go back and rest. Anki cupped his hands and said, Captain, there won't be any safety issues here, right? No, just sleep peacefully. The patrol captain gave Han Ki a bad look and then ordered his men to guard the gates of the courtyards. At this time, the sound of uniformed footsteps was heard on the main road outside. Han Ki felt relieved, knowing that something must have happened in Liangjing. Back in the yard, a PU was standing behind him. Should we get someone to do it? I don't know. Han Ki shook his head. It was very difficult for them to pass on messages to the outside world now. There were people watching everywhere, and there were gunmen. Not even a bird could fly out. A few days ago, they found an opportunity to pass on the message, but have not received any reply so far. Just let them play it by ear. It must be one of ours. Xub Yuli said happily. We will definitely be able to rescue the princess tonight. There were still a number of nobles imprisoned in the Tianlao prison of the Honglu temple who had not been beheaded, so the only way was to divert the blame, lest they suspect them. Han Ki also took a deep breath and said, Don't sleep tonight. A PU chanted a Buddhist name, sat cross-legged on the ground, and began to recite scriptures. At this time, Liu Yuan in the palace had also received the news. When he learned that hundreds of people were injured, he was furious. Investigate thoroughly. Dig 3 feet underground to find out. Call Niudajan over here. Soon, Niudajan entered the palace. Seeing the emperor's gloomy face, he knelt on the ground in fear and said, Your Majesty, I pay my respects to you. Did you catch anyone alive? Your Majesty, these people are suspected to be Daqian's assassins. They are all tied with bombs and we haven't caught any alive yet. Niudajan said bitterly. This is such an unexpected disaster. Daqian death warriors, where did Daqian's death warriors come from? Liu Yuan just thought it was ridiculous. A barking dog doesn't want a human. If you kill someone, will you shout that you are the murderer? Daqian has been in such a killing spree. The north has been governed for several years and the weather is good. There are only a few families in the north, and they are all honest. Biaojingji, Bianjing, and Jiangdan had all been slaughtered in turn. Daqian has surrendered and followed the will of heaven. They have no reason to rebel against A. Chapter 561 Liu Yuan, Yu Lier. Yan Zhi was indescribably excited. But she remained calm on the surface. Thank you, Your Majesty, for taking care of me these days. When Yan Zhi returns to the country this time, I will definitely persuade my brother to be friends with Day forever. As she spoke, she toasted Liu Yuan with tea instead of wine. Liu Yuan saw the hatred in the depths of her eyes and didn't believe what she said, but it didn't matter anymore. Okay, I wish Day and the Xiongnu will be friends forever. Liu Yuan raised his glass with a smile. Soon, the maid brought the dishes to the table. In the past, Yan Zhi would not even have looked at it twice, but now, she has not tasted meat for almost a year, let alone such a delicious food with good color. Aroma and taste. She is so drooling. However, she had great self-control and first said gratefully, Thank you, Your Majesty. Don't be in a hurry to thank me, eat more. Liu Yuan picked up a piece of meat with chopsticks and put it in her bowl. She only put down her chopsticks when she saw Liu Yuan picking up his chopsticks. The moment the meat entered her mouth, she almost cried. Delicious, so delicious. But she did not eat voraciously. Instead, she pretended to eat slowly, fearing that she would lose face in front of Liu Yuan. Liu Yuan also found it funny. This woman was really something. However, most of the food on the table ended up going into her stomach, and she even felt a little full. Liu Yuan pretended not to see it. Are you full? If not, I will tell them to do it again. I am full. Thank you, Your Majesty, for entertaining this servant. Since I have decided to let you go, don't call yourself a slave anymore. Whether I return to the Xiongnu or not, in my heart, I will always be Your Majesty's servant, Yan Zhi said with lowered eyebrows. Liu Yuan also let her go, and then said to Luobing, Sister Luo, arrange for someone to wash Princess Yan Zhi and change into a gorgeous outfit. Yes, Your Majesty. Luobing nodded. After Yan Zhi left, Liu Su asked in confusion, Your Majesty, if we really let Yan Zhi go, this woman is definitely not a good person. If we let her go, she will definitely take revenge on Day like crazy. I know. Liu Yuan picked up the teacup and said calmly, Revenge? You have to have someone alive to take revenge. Liu Su was stunned. Could it be that you? Just wait and see, the best is yet to come. The next day, Yan Zhi woke up in a spacious bed. She didn't know how long it had been since she had slept in such a comfortable bed when she thought of her dark, damp room, which was full of fleas. She felt itchy all over. Looking at the maid standing by her side, she even felt a little dazed, as if all the suffering she had endured before was just a dream. Princess, you are awake. I will help you wash up. Two maids came over quickly. One helped Yan Zhi to dress, and the other helped Yan Zhi to wash. After washing, I put on rouge and makeup. Looking at her ugly self in the mirror, Yan Zhi trembled all over and roared in her heart. Lu Yuan, Xiaoji and Jia, the suffering you endured today will be repaid tenfold or 100fold in the future. She couldn't put on makeup, so she could only wear a veil to avoid scaring others. However, before leaving the palace, the imperial kitchen prepared a sumptuous breakfast for her. Open your mouth and clothes will come to you. Open your hands and food will come to you. Yan Zhi couldn't help but sneer. It's too late to be nice to yourself now. She originally thought that Li Yuan was very interesting, and it would be fine if he could capture her and take her into his harem. It is nothing for me to submit to such a powerful man. If she gave him children, and with the support of the Xiongnu, her children might even have a chance to inherit Day. But now, it's too late. Princess, it's getting late. His Majesty has been waiting for you for a long time, the maid reminded. Yan Zhi picked up the handkerchief and slowly wiped her mouth. Let's go. Came to Yongping Palace. Yan Zhi returned to being the humble servant she once was. She knelt on the ground and said, Your Majesty, I am leaving now, please rest assured. Your Majesty, I will remember my mission and fight for peace between the two countries. Get up, let's go. I'll take you there. To Yan Zhi, Li Yuan's enthusiasm seemed more like flattery. But it was too late for her to please him. Your Majesty, I'm leaving. Before getting on the carriage, Yan Zhi looked reluctant to leave. If you didn't know better, you would think that two loving lovers were about to separate. Let's go, have a safe trip. Li Yuan waved his hand. The carriage slowly left the palace. Inside the carriage, Yan Zhi was a little confused. Why didn't she see the Han envoy? However, the driver explained that they were already waiting outside the city to avoid being intercepted by angry citizens. Yan Zhi could accept this excuse. After all, the Huns had massacred cities and killed civilians in China, and their reputation had long been ruined. Li Yuan let himself go and cooperated with the Huns, which was also a certain amount of pressure. Thinking of this, the corners of her mouth slightly raised. I have finally made it. When I return to Pingjing, I will definitely take revenge, severe revenge. The carriage drove for a while, and Yan Zhi suddenly felt something was wrong. This is not the way out of the city. Where are we going? Princess, let's not go through the east gate, let's go to the north gate. Oh, I see. Yan Zhi nodded, thinking that Lu Yuan was really cautious. She became more convinced that Lu Yuan was really going to let her go. However, as the carriage gradually drove into the downtown area and into the entrance of the vegetable market, she vaguely saw a judgment stand set up in front of her, but it was too far away for her to see clearly. Because of working under dim light for long periods of time and malnutrition, she had some problems with her eyesight. Is this the way to the north gate? The driver said nothing. Suddenly, there was a commotion outside the carriage, and some people appeared from nowhere and ran towards the carriage. Not only that, there were also explosions in my ears. The people around who were watching the excitement also scattered like birds and beasts, and disappeared in the blink of an eye. Yan Zhi was so frightened that her face turned pale. She tightly grasped whatever she could hold on to. What on earth is going on? At this moment, the driver suddenly jumped off the carriage, the horse lost control, and the wheel hit the curb. In an instant, the carriage fell to the side. Yan Zhi was also knocked over and rolled around in the carriage. She fell so hard that she saw stars and was completely dazed. But before she could react, someone opened the door of the carriage and jumped in. Princess, are you okay? Princess, you have been wronged. We are here to save you. Yan Zhi felt dizzy looking at these people. Her brain froze and she lost the ability to think for a moment. She could only let these people take her away. When he stepped out of the carriage, he found that he had already been surrounded by the fully armed day guards. You Hun villains. You have been surrounded. Lay down your weapons and give up resistance. We can still spare your life. An Iudaj and shouted loudly with a loudspeaker in his hand. Yan Zhi was awakened by the voice. She looked at the hundreds of black gun muzzles and trembled all over. Li Yuan, you liar. Chapter 560. Goodbye Yan Zhi. An Iudaj lowered his head, sweat dripping onto the ground. I will definitely find out the truth as soon as possible. I think you have been too safe these years. I have said long ago that the security of the capital cannot be ignored. Especially in the past 2 years, we must be cautious. Li Yuan took a deep breath and said, Send the injured to the hospital. All expenses will be reimbursed by the treasury. I tell you, don't let me impose a curfew. Do you understand? Niudajn was also furious. Your Majesty, if you can't find the real culprit, I will bring my head to you. A hasn't had a curfew for many years. The capital's nights are much more prosperous than the days. How much economic boost can it give? He was also aware of the huge blow that a curfew would have on the economy of a city-state of 3 million people. Go down. Yes. Niudao left in a hurry. Li Yuan was mentally prepared, but he didn't expect these people to be so cruel. Is it the Huns? Li Yuan gasped. But there was no movement from the Honglu temple. They were determined to rescue Yanzhi, so they would not dare to act rashly. Even if they did take action, they would have to be fully prepared. But they didn't know that Yanzhi was not in the Honglu temple, but in the imperial palace. Li Yuan tapped his fingers on the table, and a vague answer came to his mind. Liu Su said bitterly, Your Majesty, these people are too abominable. You must not let them go. However, I think they are not Daqian's assassins. They are either the Xiongnu or the assassins of Xpi A Jing and Jing. Li Yuan nodded. It doesn't matter which country the assassins are from, what matters is what the people think. These people who shouted Long live Daqian are regarded by the people as the people's martyrs. Liu Su frowned. My queen. Although he disliked Xiao Ji and Jia, he couldn't bear to see her being slandered like this. After all, she is the queen, and she is tied to Li Yuan. They prosper together and suffer together. It's only been a few days and so many things have happened one after another. If they are not properly resolved, there will be even bigger troubles. She is very tired during the day. There is no need to disturb her. Li Yuan waved his hand and then came to a separate small courtyard in the laundry department. In this small courtyard, clothes were piled up like a mountain. Judging from their styles, they were all clothes for palace maids and eunuchs. In the mountain of clothes, there was a figure who was concentrating on rubbing clothes. The dim light illuminates the world, which seems particularly sad. Li Yuan looked at the figure in front of him and couldn't help feeling a little emotional. Hearing the footsteps, the figure raised his head, and what caught the eye was the rolling flesh and the horrible scars that could scare a child to tears. When she saw the person coming, she trembled all over, then hurriedly lowered her head and quickened the speed of washing the clothes. Rouge, don't you recognize me? Yanzhi lowered her head, and tears as big as beans fell into the washtub. The defeat, disfigurement and life as a prisoner had destroyed her pride. Day after day, they washed piles of clothes in the laundry, ate simple meals every day, and worked until late at night before going to bed. Her white, tender and delicate hands were now extremely rough. The palms were covered with calluses because they had been soaked in water for too long. The skin was torn and there were scars all over, bleeding continuously. I have lost 2 sizes of weight. There is no trace of the princess's elegance left. Your Majesty. Your servant greets you. Yanzhi hurriedly put down the clothes in her hands, knelt on the ground, and saluted Li Yuan. Liu Su also felt a little sad. The Yanzhi who was once so arrogant and charming had now become such a miserable person. It's all fate. Get up. Li Yuan said, Your brother sent someone to redeem you, was willing to pay tens of millions of silver, and was willing to be Day's younger brother. I really didn't expect it. Yanzhi still lowered her head, not daring to look at him when she heard this. She was a little excited, but she didn't dare to show it. I am guilty, and I should atone for my sins here. I made a few requests, but they didn't agree. If they had agreed, I could have let you go. Li Yuan smoked a cigarette and looked at Yanzhi, feeling a little emotional. Thinking back to when he first saw Yanzhi, he really had some evil thoughts. But now, even if she was naked and standing in front of him, he didn't have any thoughts at all. How can I, a woman, influence the affairs of the country? Now I am just a small worker in the laundry department, and the affairs of the country have nothing to do with me. But if I don't finish washing these clothes tonight, I'm afraid I won't even have anything to eat tomorrow. As she said that, she started washing clothes again. However, Li Yuan did not feel sorry for her. He thought that this woman was just afraid of death and did not know she was wrong. But someone who ordered the interception of Jingjiang River and poison the water source do this? Don't wash it? No, Your Majesty. I am here. Who dares to punish you? Yanzhi thought, is this bastard going to let me go? Thinking of this, she was ecstatic, but still pretended to look pitiful. But she seemed to have forgotten that her horrible appearance was particularly hideous in Li Yuan's eyes. Come on. I'll take you to eat something delicious, Li Yuan said. Thank you, Your Majesty. But I only need a bowl of white rice and a plate of pickles. Is this all you're going to eat? No, usually I just have porridge and some pickles. This is good enough. Li Yuan sneered. Even at this time, he was still trying to please the people in the laundry department. Tonight, I'll give you a big dinner. Then, Li Yuan said to Wu Sun, ask the imperial kitchen to prepare some delicious dishes. Yes, Wu Sun was puzzled, but still hurried down to give orders. Liu Su was equally puzzled. As of now, Day and the Xiongnu have no intention of reconciliation. Why did Li Yuan come to see Yanzhi? But it be that because of what happened in the capital, they wanted to stabilize the Huns first? Thinking of this, she nodded secretly, thinking that she must have guessed the truth. Arriving at the pavilion in the imperial garden, Li Yuan personally poured a cup of tea for Yan Ziechai and looked at Yan Ziechai, who was standing uneasy, and said, "Come over here, am I going to eat you?" "I dare not." "If I say yes, then it's okay," Li Yuan said. Yan Ziechai gritted her teeth and sat in front of Li Yuan as if she had mustered up her courage, but she only dared to lean against his half-buttocks. "I have to say, this woman's acting is really good. It seems like she really got into the role of a servant." But Li Yuan knew very well that the woman in front of him was a devil who killed people without blinking an eye, and she could not be tamed easily. Moreover, this woman's so-called pride is nothing but bullying the weak. If she really had pride, she should have committed suicide after suffering such humiliation. How could she bear such humiliation? "Thank you, Your Majesty," Yan Ziechai said and couldn't help crying. "I thought I would die in the laundry department in this life." "No, you are a princess of the Xiongnu. Your brother dotes on you so much. How could he let you die in the palace?" Li Yuan smiled and said, "I kept you in the palace to protect you. You also know how much the people in Middle-earth hate you. But after tonight, you'll be free." Chapter 562. I won't allow anyone to bully you. She didn't understand why Li Yuan went to so much trouble to put on a show when she was already a prisoner. But what she was sure of was that Li Yuan was plotting against her. "I surrender. Don't kill me," Yan Ziechai shouted, afraid that these people would shoot. How could she talk about revenge if she lost her life? "Send the princess away." Several people protected Yan Ziechai, and then many of them lifted up their clothes, revealing the explosives tied to their abdomens. "Let us go, or we will die together." The Han warriors were shouting. Niudaj said angrily, "Well, the explosion last night was indeed done by you bastards. There were no survivors in last night's explosion. Everyone was blown to pieces. Moreover, these people were not from Liangjing. They all came to Beijing to make money. Although they have temporary residence permits, it is not easy to find out their identities in a short period of time. But in the late night yesterday, a message came from the palace, asking him to spread the news of the execution of the Xiongnu princess in the capital, and a beheading platform was built at the entrance of the vegetable market before dawn. At first, Niudaj thought that last night's explosion was concocted by the Huns to threaten Day. Looking back now, there seems to be another meaning. That is, to exonerate the queen. Whoever carried out the bombing, after today, it can only be the Huns. It's all thanks to Your Majesty. You killed two birds with one stone and tricked the Huns' death warriors out. If these people had killed indiscriminately, I don't know how much trouble it would have caused." Niudaj was also frightened. "Let us go, quick." "Walk?" Niudaj sneered and made a gesture. And suddenly gunshots rang out. Bang bang bang. Thousands of guns fired at the same time, and in an instant, the hundreds of people in front of them were turned into sieves. Perish together? Who gave them the confidence? Based on the black powder concentration that is circulated outside, it is impossible to cause much damage at this distance. Most of the injuries in last night's explosion were minor, with the only two deaths being caused by being hugged by the assassins because the distance was too close. Yan Ziechai, who was in the crowd, felt pain all over her body, and large mouthfuls of blood spurted out of her mouth. "Li Yuan, you liar." Yan Ziechai fell in a pool of blood and didn't know what had happened until her death. But she had eaten 2 full meals, so she wasn't starving. Her eyes were fixed on the direction of North City, and she wanted to leave until her death. Niudaj clenched his fists and everyone put away their guns. "Oh, forward and check if there are any survivors, shoot them again," Niudaj ordered. Soon, all the bodies on the ground were dragged away, and the city defense brigade brought a water truck to wash the ground. Looking at the people who were sticking their heads out to look, Niudaj got on a carriage and shouted loudly with a horn, "Fellow villagers, the culprits of last night's explosion have all been killed. They were all Hun thieves. Please spread the word and don't let rumors spread. Huns, I was wondering how they could be the remnants of the great Qian. That damn Xiongnu thief actually dared to frame the queen. He deserves to die. Well done for killing him. The queen is a man of great righteousness. She took the initiative to submit to Day and made great military achievements for Day. How could she do such a thing?" Everyone was whispering to each other. And within the morning, the news spread throughout Liangjing. The government also issued an official document and posted it on bulletin boards in various markets. The court officials who were originally ready to make a move now all stopped. "Don't do that anymore. If you do, anyone with eyes will see it. But now is the best opportunity. If we let her take the position of queen, will we still have a chance? She only has one daughter, and has not given birth to a prince yet. Besides, she has brought all the princes and princesses to Fudi Palace. But if anything goes wrong, she, as the queen, will be the first person responsible. Besides, she allowed her harem to be independent. Isn't this assignable ulterior motives? The thing about rumors is that there is no cost to slander. And it is useless to dispel rumors, even if they run themselves ragged. Even if she gave up, others would remember this incident and it would become a stain that she would find difficult to erase. So, this time we are just testing it out. The emperor was really too kind to her in order to wash away the stain on her. He even pulled out Princess Yan's Ehi to take the blame. At this point, the war between Dai and the Xiongnu is unavoidable. The man smacked his lips and said, "You still say you don't want war. But you are simply being too aggressive. Without money, without people, and without food. That's called militarism, but Dai has money, people, food, and weapons, so that's a just war." The man sneered and said, "Dai's merit system is the most inspiring for soldiers. In the past, the three kingdoms wanted to learn from Dai, but they only learned the form but not the essence. Who doesn't want to make more contributions and build a future for future generations? There is a lot to be done in such a vast territory. However, if we want to bring down Xiaoji and Jia, we have to be strong ourselves." "You are right. Just disperse, keep a low profile recently, and don't cause any more trouble. If you piss off the guy above and he starts asking questions, you'll all be in trouble." Yes. No one knew what happened in the tea house. At this time, Niudajan was reporting his work. "Your Majesty, these people are very cunning. On what we can see so far, they should not be the Huns. It's just that we need to further investigate which faction they belong to." He was very nervous and did not dare to look up at the emperor. "I understand," Li Yuan said. "The work of the Security Bureau needs to be strengthened together with the City Defense Force. They must strengthen the review of outsiders and leave no blind spots. They used explosives this time, but what if they poison the water source in the market town? Peace and stability are hard to come by. What happened this time has made all my work in the past few years go to waste. Do you understand?" Niudajan lay on the ground, sweating profusely. "I admit my guilt. It's good to plan ahead, but for things that haven't happened, there are always some oversights. This is also good. Every failure will give you a lesson, so you won't be careless in the future." Li Yuan tapped his fingers on the table and took out a plan. "Follow this plan and mobilize the masses to find the spies hiding in the crowd. After the unification of Middle-earth, the biggest enemy is not from outside, but from within." "Yes, I obey your order." Niudan breathed a sigh of relief. But he was determined to find the spies in the capital and kill them swiftly. "Bow down." As soon as Niudajan left, Xiaoji and Jia came over. "Why are you here? Did something happen?" Li Yuan asked. Xiaoji and Jia came up to him and stared at him without saying a word. Tears faintly in her eyes. After a while, she said, "Why are you so nice to me? Isn't it my duty to be nice to you?" Li Yuan held her hand and embraced her waist. "You are my wife. I won't allow anyone to bully you." Chapter 563 Family. Xiaoji and Jia's heart trembled and her nose felt inexplicably sad. But Li Yuan's determined eyes and unquestionable tone gave her confidence. She had been queen for only a few days when difficulties came one after another, any one of which was enough to ruin her. But Li Yuan always stood up at the first moment and shielded her from all the storms. What fell on her was gentle rain and soft breeze on her face. Li Yuan never took credit for herself, just like she did that year when she brought Wan Huan to see her father. He has never changed. "Why are you crying?" Li Yuan hurriedly wiped her tears. "I know what kind of person you are. Those villains who slander you are slandering me. How can I let them bully you? I can't help it." Xiaoji and Jia sobbed softly. "Li Yuan, you treat me so well. There is no one in this world who treats me like you do." Her biological mother abandoned her, used her, and harmed her. The father who raised her abandoned her, used her, and treated her perfunctorily. The uncle who saved her had been deceiving her from the beginning. Everyone around her is fake, so fake that she doesn't want to think about it or open her eyes to see. When she first met Li Yuan, she thought that was the biggest disaster in her life, but she didn't expect that this man would be her greatest salvation in this life. How can it be overcome by just saying, "You are my wife"? Even if they are husband and wife. So what? How are your parents? That's a living example right there. When Li Yuan was in trouble, he did not get involved, but when he became rich, he was never stingy in sharing with himself. "I never asked for anything from myself and always put myself in other people's shoes." From this moment on, Xiaoji and Jia wished she could cut out her heart and give it to him. She couldn't say anything to Corny, but what she said came from her heart. Li Yuan pinched her chin and whispered, "Do you know the meaning of family?" "Family?" Xiaoji and Jia shook her head gently. She naturally understood what her family meant, but she seemed to have never understood it. "In my understanding, a family has a head of the household and a virtuous wife. There are kind parents above and lovely children below. I am very lucky. I have kind parents, cute and sensible children, and a virtuous and beautiful wife. This is a home." However, if a family is disunited, they are just living together and will break up sooner or later. Wu Yu is okay. But Xianing is much worse. People like Mu Rong W Anking, although they were concubines, were far from being family members. It's normal for me to favor you. There is no such thing as helping the right instead of the relatives in this world. Even saints are not immune to this, let alone, I am not a saint. Because we're family, I don't ask for anything in return, Xiao Jianjia murmured, because no one had ever told her this, and her parents had never let her experience what home was like. And now, Li Yuan uses his actions to tell her what home is and what a real family is. And you are my wife. And being with you is home, Li Yuan said, so, do whatever you want to do boldly. I'll take care of everything. Xiao Jianjia nodded heavily, then kissed Li Yuan heavily on the lips, and left after a while. My dear man, I am very happy about what you said. Remember to come to Fuji Palace tonight, I will reward you. After saying that, she shook her hair proudly, which made Li Yuan laugh. Okay. I'll go to Fuji Palace tonight. Remember to save some food for me. On the other side, in the outer official courtyard of the Honglu Temple, the ferocious soldiers of the Honglu Temple roughly dragged Han Qi and others away. General, what on earth happened? Han Qi was also shocked. God damn it, what have we done to offend anyone here? Can you please be reasonable? Xubu Li was tied up like a dumpling, and he felt so uncomfortable that the flesh on his face was almost piled up. Is it because of what happened last night that you want to blame us again? Amitabha, benefactor, could you loosen the rope on my body? It's stuck in my crotch, Apiyu said with a frown. The envoys from various countries were secretly looking through the crack in the door. Others didn't know what was happening, so how could they not know? Not all envoys are like the Han envoys. The Xiongnu envoys are finished now. Bei will definitely kill them as a sacrifice. It seems that the war between Dai and Xiongnu is unavoidable. Everyone was talking in low voices, seeing the Han envoy being dragged away like a dead dog. They were terrified and afraid that this incident would affect them. The group was brought in front of Du Chun. Seeing Du Chun, Han Qi forced himself to remain calm and said, Master Du, what happened? Han Qi, you are quite calm. The explosion last night was caused by your people, right? Du Chun said, it's useless for you to deny it. Your people robbed the execution ground and were all shot dead. Oh, yes, including Princess Yanzi. After these words were spoken, everyone in the group was stunned. You, what did you say? What happened to the princess? Xubu Li said angrily, what did you do to the princess? He's dead. He was beaten like a sieve. There are holes all over his body. There's not a single piece of good flesh. It's creepy to look at him. Du Chun smacked his lips. Damn you, you bastards, you are treacherous and immoral. Xubu Li cursed. Han Qi's expression also changed drastically. Are you determined to go to war with the Huns? Fuck you. I will fuck your ancestors. Apiyu changed his honest and kind look and became ferocious. Whether to fight or not is not up to you, only Dai's decision counts. Facing the abuse, Du Chun didn't care at all. It was just a rampant act before his death. Originally, if you agree to Dai's request, you could give the Xiongnu a chance to breathe, but now, there is no chance. By the way, when you go to hell, please say hello to your Xiongnu ancestors on my behalf. After saying that, he raised his hand and the guards behind him raised their guns and shot. In order to save bullets, they were all shot in the head, and they died one after another. Han Qi, who thought he was confident, had a collapsed forehead and the back of his head exploded. Apiyu became a fat man. Even his brain was full of fat. Xubu Li died the most tragically, with his eyeballs being blown out. These people are really kind people. They come all the way here to die and give Dai an excuse to start a war. Du Chun sighed. He knew very well what had happened in the past few days, and the emperor's methods were becoming more and more powerful. Everyone knows that war between the two countries is inevitable, sooner or later. But Dai needs an opportunity to arouse people's attention. Now the opportunity and the excuse are there. He went to the palace in person to report. Li Yuan said, it's a pity for these high-quality laborers, but there are still 1 or 2 million laborers on the border. If we capture them, it will be enough for Dai to use for 20 to 30 years. Your Majesty is wise, but if this happens, there will be no room for maneuver between us and the Xiongnu. Li Yuan sneered. The Xiongnu are just wolf cubs, they only like to be remembered but not to be beaten. This time, I will completely cut off the roots of the grassland. Chapter 560. For the time is ripe. Your Majesty, news has come from the front that the Second Army has arrived at the front. News has come from the 3 armies that they have arrived at the front line. News came from Bianjing that the Xiongnu had entered the country from the border and occupied Xiao Pass. News after news reached the palace. Nowadays, with the telegraph to transmit messages, they can create an information gap. Even if Li Yuan wants, he can even command the battle remote. However, as soon as this thought arose, he extinguished it. Always give those below you the opportunity to advance. As the emperor, he just needs to be the manipulator behind the scenes. The opportunity has matured. It's time to fight the Huns to a conclusion. Inside the martial arts hall, all the military leaders were sitting upright. Stone is bold. I am here. You will temporarily serve as the acting commander of the 4th Army. Jidadan was extremely excited and hurried to express his gratitude. He was recruited by Xiaoji and Jia back then, but it was actually Lu Qiushan who recruited him. Later, when he learned about the relationship between Xiaoji and Jiu and Juan, he realized that he would most likely achieve something in the future. As it turned out, his initial feeling was correct. Over the years, I have worked diligently and made some contributions, but he felt that he was not qualified to serve as the commander of the 4th Army, not even as acting commander. But he knew better how he got the position of commander of the 4th Army. It was all because of the Queen. Everyone couldn't help but look at Shidadan with admiration. They also secretly sighed. It was really the case that the winners were the kings and the losers were the bandits. His Majesty was now starting to promote the Queen's supporters. However, this is correct, he was bold and was originally a division-level cadre. He was also experienced in many battles and had many military achievements. Although promoting him to this position may seem like forcing things to happen, people do not have much objection to it. Break the mountain. I am here. A tall and mighty Pashan has taken off his heavy armor. In the past 2 years, he has been advancing triumphantly, killing the Jing army and making them lose their armor. He is famous for his brutality. But as the team expanded and more talents emerged, the name of Pashan gradually faded. In recent years, he has been promoted to a full-time division-level cadre. You will temporarily serve as the commander of the 5th Army. Thank you, Your Majesty. Everyone is familiar with Pashan. A fierce general, but before he was captured, he was also a talented general, capable enough to command an army. Hawkeye. I am here. How are your 2 tribe troops? Your Majesty. The situation couldn't be better. The men of the 2 ethnic group are working hard to make achievements for day. Hawkeye was also eager to try. He knew that he was not talented enough to be the commander of an army. So he devoted himself to cultivating talents among the 2 ethnic group over the years. Many of them have served as high-ranking officials. Okay. He will serve as the acting commander of the 6th Army. Li Yuan said he did not forget these old men, but let them study and improve themselves for a period of time. The 2ZU army will be incorporated into the 6th Army, but don't let me down. Yes, Your Majesty. Hawkeye saluted, his cross-eyed look particularly serious and a little fiery. Afterwards, Li Yuan selected 3 more members, all of whom were senior members. The 4th Army is going to be a Meishu. I have already designated several military bases, which will be divided into 3 bases. In the next 3 years, the number of military bases originally belonging to the Diaxia territory will increase to 15. Yes, Your Majesty. Jidadan thought he was going to fight with the Huns, but he didn't expect that he would be stationed in a military base. But think about it, there are already the 2nd and 3rd armies on the front line, as well as Shang Wei and others, who can be said to be shining generals. Did he go there to hang out? He is not qualified to take credit for these people's work. Didn't you see what happened to Wang Dabiao? So, he accepted it with pleasure. Bashan. Go to Dajing, you know what to do. Yes, Your Majesty. Bashan nodded heavily. What could he do in Dajing? Of course, he would kill people. Anyone who dares to cause trouble will have his head twisted off. He was particularly satisfied with the Emperor's dispatch. Hawkeye, you once told me that one day you would kill all the barbarian Ogs. Now the barbarians have been killed, but the Huns are still there. It's time to deliver on your promise. The 6th Army was fully mobilized to support the front line and defeat the Huns. After defeating the Huns, you settled in the western part of Daqian and established a military base. It's cheaper to do it. Yes, Your Majesty. Hawkeye was also very excited. There is a fast channel in the north, and it takes less than 10 days to reach Bianjing, and it can reach the front line in as fast as 1 month. The 7th and 8th armies will continue to recruit soldiers until they are expanded to the 10th army. Meeting adjourned. Farewell, Your Majesty. Everyone hurriedly stood up and respectfully saw Li Yuan off. For now, the 6th army is still too small. Although they are taking the elite route, the territory of Day is too vast. These 600,000 are like a drop in the ocean, and are of no use at all. The total military strength during the peak period of the Three Kingdoms period exceeded 9 million. Is that scary or not? So Li Yuan felt that a 1 million strong army was necessary. It is best to maintain it at around 1.5 million. If we defeat the Huns, 1.5 million will not be enough and the number may have to be increased to 2 million. This expense is huge. A modern army is expensive. But fortunately, he is very rich now and can fully cover the expenses. At the same time, inside Xiao Pass, Hu Yanti and Xing looked unhappy when he received the letter from his disciple. Li Yuan really dares to ask for a high price. Aton cursed angrily. He was Hu Yanti and Xing's second disciple. He was tall, thin and dark, completely different from his senior brother Apu. They have hostages in their hands and they have the power, so naturally they are asking for an exorbitant price. It seems that Day still wants to negotiate. How about we put pressure on him? Qiyu Lin Shanyi said. Everyone in the tent looked at Hu Yantianxing. Hu Yantianxing said. The Day people have no intention of negotiating if they really wanted to. They wouldn't say such things. I should have known that. Master, are you saying that the Day people are playing tricks on us? That's right. Hu Yantian nodded and said seriously. Now we can only find a way to rescue the princess, or use a large price to exchange her for him. Master, Han Qi asked us to put pressure on him and cooperate with him. So let's mobilize our troops now, Atong said impatiently. Hu Yantianxing took a deep breath and said, come here. Pass on my order, let Han Ming lead the 500,000 troops to advance 500 miles and tell Yi Jun that if he doesn't release them, we will launch a full-scale attack. These days, they have not been doing nothing. They have looted the small countries around Day, and captured hundreds of thousands of able-bodied men to use as shields. They were also studying Day's combat methods and their weapons, identifying weaknesses and blind spots. As long as we can withstand the first few waves of attacks from Day, we can advance with the help of heavy cavalry. As long as you get close, killing Yi Jun is as easy as killing a pig or a dog. I hope everything goes well for Han Qi. Hu Yantianxing thought so. Chapter 565. Empty city strategy? Hu Yantianxing didn't know that Han Qi had already been buried. This is the information gap. Han Ming is Han Qi's younger brother and is also a talented military officer. He immediately led his troops to the Daqian Great Wall, 500 miles away. This section of the Great Wall is only more than 300 miles long. It was initiated and built by Emperor Izu of Daqian. It is not connected to the Dajingshan Customs Great Wall. 100 miles ahead is Ba Yujingji. The Daqian Great Wall is not very tall. It is built along the mountain ridge. It looks like the undulating dragon's spine, which is particularly spectacular. This is also the barrier of the northwest, Tianmu Peak, which is known as the most dangerous mountain in the northwest. However, in Han Ming's opinion, it was just average, except that the road was a little tortuous. General, the scouts have come back to report that there are Yi troops stationed inside the Daqian Great Wall. Do you know how many people there are? I'm not sure, but it should be no less than 2,000 people. What are we afraid of with 2,000 men? Let's go ahead and defeat these people and capture some prisoners. And we will be more confident. Han Ming said. The Emperor of Day wants to save face. He can't just ignore these people. Maybe we can get the princess back without any effort. Of course, be careful and explore the way to see if the other party has set up a trap. Yes. The scout left quickly. Han Ming asked his men to rest on the spot and replenish their strength, preparing to launch a charge. Even though there were only more than 2,000 people in the Daqian Great Wall, he attached great importance to it. Because the enemy occupied the high ground, it would be very likely to defeat them if they had sufficient weapons and ammunition. They had been on the border for so long without taking any rash action, and were also waiting for the imperial court to produce more gunpowder. He controlled many small countries and traded with Day, one of their trades being gunpowder. Including the previous reserves, the amount of gunpowder they had was enough to launch several wars. They even got cannons from Dajing. Although they were a bit bulky and not very powerful, they were still very useful for sieges. They also captured a large number of craftsmen and cast a number of copper cannons. Although the quality varied, as long as they could be fired, it was good enough. This time, let Day also taste the feeling of being bombarded. Han Ming felt more confident when he thought of the hundreds of bronze cannons under his command. As early as 2 or 3 years ago, Pingjing began to manufacture firearms on a large scale. Why were the Huns so keen on attacking the Agubi Empire, which was in its heyday? Because their iron ore and smelting technology were far superior to those of the Huns to some extent. The fine steel and iron they forged were even slightly better than those of Middle-earth. Their one-piece armor not only has strong defensive capabilities, but also has lower costs and is more suitable for large-scale production. The only downside is that it's not as convenient to move around as mail armor. Now, the Agubi Empire has been resisting stubbornly for such a long time. I am afraid it would have been destroyed by your majesty long ago. Thinking that he still had more than 10,000 muskets in his hands, he secretly made up his mind that he must fight this first battle well no matter what. After a long time, everyone rested. The scout came back again. General, everyone inside the Great Wall has fled. What did you say? Han Ming frowned. How could the people have finished running? We went inside the Great Wall, and found that the place was deserted, empty, and there was nothing there. Empty city plan. A possibility flashed through Han Ming's mind. Explore again. Team is any area within a radius of 50 miles. Send out all the scouts after every 10-mile exploration. Come back and report. Yes, General. Han Ming did not dare to act rashly as it was getting dark. He hurriedly sent his men out on patrol, fearing that they would fall into the enemy's trap. The people of Middle-earth are unparalleled in wisdom and strategy, with an army of 500,000 strong coming in a mighty force. Their whereabouts cannot be concealed. After dark, the scout came back and reported, "General, we have checked the area within a radius of 20 miles and found no trace of any of them. There is no sign of any living person within 30 miles. There is no sign of any living person within 50 miles. In the second half of the night, An Ming's eyes were full of bloodshot. This is impossible. I don't believe they gave up the Great Wall Pass so easily. This is the last barrier to enter Baiyujingji. Now, the northwest of Daqian has almost become a dead zone. There are not many people here. There are not many troops along the way. The people have already migrated south. At this moment, Bianjing is the center. Even Baiyujingji has long been deserted. And the number of people is not as many as that of Snei in its heyday." Qiyu Mao Shan said he is an out-and-out panicker, but he was left behind in the Middle-earth and changed his surname to Qiyu. "You mean, they didn't deploy too many troops on the front line?" "Yes, they only has so many soldiers. We just finished the War of Unification, and the place is not stable yet. We can't withdraw too many soldiers. If we do, the gains will outweigh the losses. Therefore they could only withdraw their troops. If it were me, I wouldn't extend the battle line too long. This area of 2,000 miles is like a den of ghosts, and is not worth defending. It's the same for both us and they. If we stay here for too long, the baggage can't be delivered, and we will starve in less than half a month." Qiyu Mao Shan said seriously, "We don't have much time. We must get supplies within 10 days, otherwise, it will be very troublesome. What matters in marching and fighting is food and supplies. A reason why they do not have too much logistical pressure is that fighting to support the war gives them the confidence. But this is a den of ghosts. There is not even a human figure. They can't chew on the tree bark." An Ming nodded and said, "The state affairs require us to advance 500 miles since there is no one inside the Great Wall. Let's go in. Don't rush in rashly." "No, how do you know there is no tunnel hiding soldiers here? What if they have laid a large number of mines in the city, waiting for us to fall into their trap?" Qiyu Linshan said, "We should first send some people into the city, bring hunting dogs with them, and see if we can find anything." An Ming felt a little nervous when he heard this, and immediately selected 1,000 people to go to the Great Wall Pass to check. The next day, the subordinates came to report, "General, we have searched for 2 or 3 hours and found nothing, although there are several tunnels. They are empty, with only a small amount of food and weapons inside. Our hunting dogs searched the entire Great Wall Pass but found no explosives. In addition, the scouts checked the area within a radius of 70 miles and found no problems." An Ming took a deep breath. "It seems that what you said is right. They really didn't send too many people to guard the place. It seems that they knew we were coming and ran away. These people are really cunning." Qiyu Mao Shan sneered, "No matter how good the Great Wall Pass is, it is far from the village in front and the shop behind. Baiyujingji is in ruins, but it also has high walls. It is not so easy to capture Baiyujingji. How could they know that our target has never been Baiyujingji?" Chapter 566, Exposing Whereabouts. Conquering cities and territories is the ultimate goal, but their main goal at the moment is to capture as many civilians as possible to increase the number of cards in their hands. All of Xiang's layouts in Middle-earth were destroyed, so there was no need to disguise himself anymore. On the other hand, news of the fall of the Great Wall Pass reached Bianjing. Chen Wei sneered after waiting for so long. "These bastards finally came. Notify the 3rd Brigade, the 5th Brigade, and the 7th Brigade to follow the original plan and make sure to capture all these people in one fell swoop." With radio communications, sending intelligence becomes much easier. There were indeed not many people inside the Great Wall, only a few thousand. However, around the Great Wall Pass, there were still 3 groups of troops lurking, totaling about 13,000 people. These 13,000 men are enough to deal with a war involving 300,000 or 500,000 people. According to intelligence, the Huns did not take any further action after entering the Great Wall Pass. They would not launch a large-scale attack until the news of Princess Rouge's death reached them. What we are fighting for is a time difference. Report to the brigade commander. News from Bianjing. Ergo, you took the deciphered intelligence and read it carefully. Okay. Pass on my military order and march towards the Great Wall Pass tonight. He was originally in the firearms brigade, but was later sent out because of his outstanding performance. He rose rapidly from a company commander to become a brigade commander. At this moment, he only felt that the decision he made at that time was extremely wise. He had 4,500 men under his command and 150 heavy machine guns. In addition, with the advent of light machine guns, their firepower became even more powerful. There were 100 mortars alone, and 375 caliber howitzers. It was entirely thanks to his status as a veteran in the firearms battalion that he was able to obtain so many weapons, with plenty of artillery shells and bullets. If he had this configuration 10 years ago, he would have dared to dominate Middle-earth. But now, this is the configuration of an advanced brigade. It is said that Day is now preparing a heavy armored brigade, which has about 5,000 to 7,000 people. This heavily armed brigade is equipped with the most advanced weapons in the country. In addition, there are new heavy-duty trucks, four-wheeled diesel locomotives, and amphibious cat-type vehicles. Rocket launchers being researched by the military are also said to have made substantial progress. Once formed, a heavy brigade is as powerful as an army, which is terrifying to think about. The strength of the 3rd Brigade was already terrifying in his opinion. Doesn't this heavily armored brigade have the capacity to destroy an entire country? I don't know if I will have the chance to lead the heavy armored brigade in the future, suppressing the prospect in his mind. Yrgoyu walked out of the tent. Everyone was quickly packing up and preparing to evacuate. The place where they were was relatively remote, nearly 200 miles away from the Great Wall. Within 2 days, we must reach the Great Wall Pass and reunite with the 5th and 7th Brigades. It was mid-autumn, and the autumn heat was raging, making everyone sweat profusely. A heavy equipment was so heavy that even horses could not pull it on the winding mountain road, so it had to be carried on the back. After 2 consecutive days of forced march, everyone's nerves were stretched to the limit. Drip, drip, Commander. The 5th Brigade has reported that they have arrived at Vulture Ridge, 30 miles outside the Great Wall. Commander, the 7th Brigade has arrived at 18 Bends, 35 miles away. Yrgoyu knew that they were only 20 miles away from the Great Wall. It was dark at this time, and it would be too easy to be discovered if they marched during the day. So they hid during the day and moved out at night. Let the soldiers take this time to replenish their energy and rest, and send our situation to the Brother Brigade. Yrgoyu was sitting aside, chewing some dry food, and he was also very tired. There is another big battle tonight. Before the defenders of the Great Wall Pass withdrew, they left many tricks in place. For example, the tunnel leading into the city. However, the Great Wall Pass is not too big, and we cannot move forward if we rush in. The best way is to blow up the city walls and suppress them with long-range firepower. When other brother legions arrived, they attacked from 3 sides, making it impossible for them to go up to the sky or enter the ground. Commander, the scouts have come back to report that they have found the tunnel and successfully placed the explosives. They are just waiting for us to pass through. Good, that's great. Yrgoyu nodded excitedly. Somehow, after having the radio, he always felt that the war had become a child's play originally. Communication relied solely on sending messages on 4 legs, but now, he could receive signals without leaving home, which could avoid delays in fighter planes to a great extent. Yrgoyu was also a little excited. He had been in Dakion for so long and trained every day that his hands were about to grow hair. Today, I can finally kill to my heart's content. He couldn't help but speed up. And at the same time, inside the Great Wall, Anming had no mood to sleep. I don't know how Big Brother is doing in Liangjing. He has been here for 2 days, and there is no one around for 100 miles. Yumaoshin leaned against the battlement, smoking his cigarette. I always feel uneasy, something will happen. The entire city has been searched. Everything that needed to be checked has been checked, and the tunnels have been sealed. That's exactly why I'm worried if they plant bombs in the tunnels and ambush us. I won't be worried. This Great Wall Pass is located on a high ground, with no obstructions and a full view of the surroundings. It is easy to defend but difficult to attack. Moreover, we have sent out so many spies. If there is any problem, they will definitely warn us immediately. As soon as he finished speaking, a bright light suddenly rose in front. The light exploded and turned into a ball of fireworks. Anming's pupils trembled. Oh no, there is something going on ahead. Ring the gong. Wake everyone up, and be ready to fight at any time. Guiyu Maoshan couldn't help but slap his mouth. You're such a crow. What you say will come true. The sound of the gong awakened the sleeping soldiers, and they put on their armor as quickly as possible and climbed up the city wall. I will lead 10-0 people out of the city if there are any problems. We can also issue early warnings if there are few people. We can send 1 signal if there are many people. We can send 2 signals. We will let people out of the city as soon as possible and not fight them in the city. It's pitch dark, and if we stay in the city we'll just become dead targets. They have powerful weapons for siege, and we can't defend the city. Might as well go outside and fight them. It's dark and our vision is blocked, and so are theirs. Guiyu Maoshan looked at Hanming seriously. Hanming also nodded heavily. This was also their way of dealing with the situation. If they defended the city to death, they would definitely lose. Because no matter how strong and tall a city is, it will be destroyed. The cavalry could not move freely in the city and could only become animals to be slaughtered. Once you leave the city, that may not be the case. He laughed grimly. I'm not afraid of them coming, I'm just afraid of them not coming. I was so angry, and I had no place to vent it, but they came to me on their own accord. Guiyu Maoshan didn't waste any time. He hurried down the city wall, mounted his horse, and left the Great Wall with thousands of cavalry. On the other side, Yrgoyu's face was also not looking good. He didn't expect these Huns to be so cautious. Since we've been exposed, there's no need to wait. Set off flares and prepare to charge. Chapter 567, A Cowardly Death. Bang! Several flares shot up into the sky. The 3rd Brigade began its charge. Detonate the explosives in the tunnel, and don't let them have an easy time. Commander, it seems that some cavalry have come out from inside the Great Wall. Don't be afraid. Just keep pushing forward and set up the heavy machine guns, no one can stop us. The Urgoyu also became angry. They have special tanks to transport heavy machine guns. In wartime, there is an iron plate in front that can be used as a shield. Soldiers sitting in the chariot are like a fire bunker unless there is an archer who can shoot an arrow in the head from hundreds of meters away. No matter how many people come, they will be helpless. 40 heavy machine guns were set up. Diergoyu had already heard the sound of galloping horses. Mortar ready. Diergoyu made a gesture. With the support of flares, there is no need to worry about being attacked from behind by the enemy. In the darkness, a moving black outline could be vaguely seen just then. A gust of wind blew away the dark clouds in the sky, and bright moonlight sprinkled on the ground. Diergoyu saw the enemy clearly and shouted, "Fire!" A heavy machine gun started firing, and the flames were particularly bright in the darkness. The tail flame of the expelling shell flashed in the darkness like a meteor. The shells exploded in the crowd, and countless people and horses fell to the ground. The armor they were so proud of was vulnerable in front of the heavy machine guns and was torn apart like paper. The momentum of Qiyu Maoshan's charge was instantly curbed. This was totally different from what he thought. In the blink of an eye, the formation was in chaos. None of the soldiers charging in the front could make it, and all fell in a pool of blood. He just felt his scalp tingling. This is totally different from what I thought. Without trenches, relying purely on armor, it is impossible to get close, not to mention blocking the enemy's attack. As long as the enemy has enough bullets, we can keep killing them. At this moment, he felt that he was extremely wrong. Some things are taken for granted. Without personal experience, it is impossible to understand how powerful they is. Quick, change the formation and outflanking from both sides. Qiyu Maoshan took a deep breath, and the cavalry immediately changed their formation and charged from both wings. And behind it is a specially made shield vehicle. The front was made of thick iron sheets and various rattan and wooden boards. They had tried, and found that it was difficult to blow it up, even with a large amount of explosives. Bing ding ding. Ding ding ding. The bullets hitting the front of the shield vehicle do have strong defensive power. It worked. It didn't penetrate the shield car. Qiyu Maoshan was overjoyed, and immediately said to his followers, "Quick, fire flares, fire too. Notify Han Ming, and let them leave the city. There are not many people here, so take them all down." The flares not only illuminated the terrain, but also revealed the number of Yi's troops. With just one glance, he estimated the approximate number of people, which was definitely no more than 7,000. With such a small number of people, you dare to launch a sneak attack? You are courting death. Qiyu Maoshan sneered, his face distorted. "Do you really think we are fools and don't know how to improve?" Bang! Bang! Accompanied by 2 signals, it took off into the air. Han Ming on the city wall also frowned and put down the telescope in his hand. Although there were flares, the distance was too far and he couldn't see clearly. However, the flare was clear. It seems that the other side has a lot of people. Han Ming was about to give the order to leave the city. But suddenly I felt a chill on my back, and the hound at my feet suddenly started barking frantically. Before he could even speak, and he heard a loud noise, which instantly ruptured his eardrum and caused him to lose his hearing. A sharp pain came along with an earthquake. Han Ming was terrified. The thick city wall under his feet seemed as soft as tofu and collapsed outwards. The wall is collapsing. Help! The strong desire to survive forced Han Ming to jump up, but no matter how high he jumped, he could not stop the city wall from collapsing. The city wall fell heavily on him, smashing him directly into the rubble, smashing him to pieces. There was a loud bang. The entire section of the city wall collapsed, and it is unknown how many Hun soldiers were killed. The earth seemed to be shaking. The sudden change shocked everyone. Some people were still alive under the rocks, and they kept wailing, "Save me, save me. I'm in so much pain. My legs are numb. Please help me move the stones off my body, please." For a moment, everyone was in a panic and didn't know what to do. Qiyu Maoshan in the front was completely unaware of the huge changes happening behind him, and he just charged forward excitedly. Diergoyu watched the enemy change their formation without panicking. He set up a heavy machine gun and started firing. If the enemy had hundreds of thousands of people, he might still be nervous and worry about not having enough firepower. But the other side was too arrogant, and they dared to come and die with only 10 or 20,000 cavalry. This is purely a delivery service. He also noticed the movement at the Great Wall Pass and knew that the city had been breached. Set up the howitzers and fire at the Great Wall. This was the opportunity Diergoyu had been waiting for. No matter what, the credit for this battle belongs to him. When the 5th Brigade and the 7th Brigade come over, they have to discuss with him the distribution of the credit. 3 75 caliber howitzers were lined up in a row. The artillery loaded the shells skillfully. 3 shells streaked across the sky like meteors. The roaring tail flame is like a charging warrior. Inside the Great Wall, after a brief panic, the Hun soldiers had no time to reorganize their troops. An Ming died miserably under the city wall, which dealt a heavy blow to the morale of the Hun army. But what followed was a bombardment from 3 howitzers. One of the bullets landed squarely in the crowd, but the remaining two missed the target. But even so, this fatal howitzer shell caused immeasurable damage to the crowd. It's the will-o'-the-wisp, it's the white phosphorus bomb, it's the white phosphorus bomb, it's the white phosphorus bomb. These demons. These people are demons. This place is at least 6 or 7 miles away, and they can strike so accurately. They didn't know that the maximum range of the 75 caliber howitzer was over 10 miles. The distance between them is the best striking distance. The explosion site soon became a restricted area and no one dared to go there. Quick, get out of here. General Han is dead. Let's go and help General Qiu. After a brief moment of confusion, several generals stepped forward to stabilize the morale of the troops and lead the soldiers in the city through the pile of rocks. However, what greeted them were blows one after another. The frequency of the howitzer's attack was not fast, but there were too many people in the city. As the frame angle continued to jump, the attack became more accurate. With the help of moonlight, we can better observe the situation in the city. Gunners are rigorously trained and have their own methods of correction. A Yumaoshan also felt something was wrong. He turned around and found that there was no reinforcement behind him. What's going on? Yumaoshan was confused. He had been advancing for such a long time, his cavalry were almost wiped out, and he still hadn't received any reinforcements. For a moment, he was anxious and angry. Chapter 568, Disastrous Defeat. But when he saw the city was being bombarded, he suddenly understood. For a moment, I gnashed my teeth in hatred. I was also extremely frightened. From such a long distance, Yi Jun could actually directly bombard the city. If they stayed inside the city, they wouldn't even be able to see a single person before the city fell. It's terrible, really terrible. The more terrifying they are, the more we must capture this group of Yi's troops. Otherwise, will the Huns still have a future? General, our people are coming, the followers said excitedly. Yumaoshan took a look and saw cavalry coming to support one after another, and he breathed a sigh of relief. However, the first words spoken by the cavalryman who rushed up to him made his heart sink to the bottom. General Qiu, General Han is dead. What did you say? Yumaoshan was dumbfounded. The city suddenly collapsed, and General Han was not in a hurry to dodge, so he was directly crushed to death by the rocks. He was trapped under the city wall and could not be dug out at all. Yumaoshan felt like the sky was falling. Why did the city wall collapse? I don't know. There is no trace of the enemy at all. The visitor was about to cry. Yumaoshan gnashed his teeth and said, never mind. Call everyone over and defeat this group of people. Then we will win. If we can't even defeat a few thousand people with an army of 500,000. Then we should stop going against Day, and just go back to Western medicine and race horses. He couldn't understand why Han Ming died so miserably, but the arrow was on the string and had to be shot. I must decide the outcome with Yi Jun today. However, the shield car was no longer useful after being damaged. It was broken into pieces and could no longer serve as a shield. Despite the massive military support, something worse happened. General, a large number of enemy troops have been spotted in the southeast. There are a large number of enemy troops in the northeast, and our retreat has been cut off. A trace of fear flashed in Yumaoshan's eyes. Where did this enemy come from? I don't know, it just popped up. Yumaoshan turned his head and found that the sky behind him had been illuminated by flares. A large number of enemy troops charged, cutting off the reinforcements, Rutan trapping the cavalry inside. Upon seeing this, Yu immediately called a halt to the bombardment. Finally they are here. If they don't come, I will have finished the fight. He felt very calm, but still a little nervous when he saw the surging Hun cavalry. After all, there are too many people, and seeing the enemy getting closer and closer, they can only fight desperately once their security line is broken. The enemy and us are outnumbered, so they are unlikely to win. Once we lose, and our equipment falls into the hands of the enemy, it will be a heavy blow to our friendly forces. The timely arrival of the 5th and 7th Brigades greatly relieved his pressure. Quick, suppress the enemy. 150 heavy machine guns were deployed one after another. There are also more than 100 light machine guns. The bullets are consumed quickly, and long-term shooting causes high wear and tear on the gun. Especially for the NIU heavy machine gun, which has water quinkle tubes, a large amount of shooting also requires stopping to cool down. These Huns are killing madly, rushing forward regardless of anything. If they were infantry, it would be fine, but they are all cavalry. Hold the mortar steady for me. Take out the Ba Bosha, damn it, can it still help these bastards break through? Use thermite bullets on me, and I won't believe these bastards won't die. Irgo Yu was in so much pain that in just a short while, half of his family fortune was gone. Yu Mao Shan was also extremely anxious now. The battlefield was divided into 3 parts except for their side. The rear was almost under pressure. If you can't make progress, you can only escape. After fighting for so long, we haven't even broken through the enemy's defense line. How can we continue to fight? He didn't know how the enemy came without anyone noticing, nor did he know how the city was breached. If the city wall had not collapsed, Han Ming had not died, and the army had attacked, the Yi army in front of them would have been defeated long ago. General, I can't hold on any longer. Too many people have died. I don't have the energy to fight anymore. Some people have fled. After all, they are not our main force. These miscellaneous soldiers are too afraid of death. The follower's words made Qiyu Mao Shan breathe faster, and he was extremely unwilling. At this time, they were only 200 or 300 meters away from each other. As long as they made war efforts, they would be able to defeat these people. Sound the horn and withdraw the troops. Qiyu Mao Shan knew that Han Ming's death had shaken the morale of the army, and the arrival of Yi Jun's reinforcements further destroyed everyone's fighting spirit. He didn't know how many Yi Juns were behind him, but it must be quite a lot. Why does God favor Middle-earth so much? Qiyu Mao Shan dared not to roar and reined in his horse to retreat. As soon as he, the main general, left, the army was defeated and everyone scattered like birds and beasts. The collapse was